Hi guys, welcome. It's Friday night on Saving Throw, and that means ordinarily it's time for Wildcards, which sort of is tonight. It's Wildcards, but we finished our first season of ETU, so tonight is our not our by the campfire chat, but our by the bonfire chat, because college students love bonfires, we assume.
I did more in high school now that I think about it, but
College students love bonfires, we declare.
in Texas.
Yes. So here we are. We are going to be answering some of your questions, or just discussing some things from the stream this past season, and then time permitting, once we get through all of the questions, we will take live questions from you guys in chat. So if you do have live questions in the chat that you did not submit to the questions form, please hang on to them until the end of the stream, at which point we will ask for them, and then you can throw them all out, and we'll do our best to get them answered.
And Dom is going to do a keg stand if we unlock all the tiers.
He's not.
He won't. Yeah, he's not going to do that.
Completely false.
He's not going to do that.
But maybe.
Only because we don't have a cake.
That's the only reason. And guys, we have a toast.
Woo!
Yay!
So let's go ahead and rate. Oh, I guess this is a good time to point out. We do have reward tiers for this evening. To see what they are, you can enter !unlocks in the chat and follow the link. They are a bit more casual. This is what we typically do for our Wildcards post-season campfire bonfire things. So check them out. And then also, we are experimenting with quest mode, which is live now in the chat. So you can enter !quest.
Quest mode.
Quest mode in order to check that out and
Or
play around with
below
it.
the video, and there's a little icon for quest mode. Basically, it's a way to earn a free sub. So there it is.
Neat.
Thanks, Ghost Hack.
That's cool.
It's a way to earn a free sub and also free donations too, free tips.
Yeah,
so,
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, just
So
by downloading.
give it a
phone
try.
games and stuff.
Uh-oh. Another tip from
DJ
DJ Regular.
Regular.
Thank you very much. And also, big thank you to from before the stream, Lady Imago and SF Giants 49er. Thank you for the bits.
Thank you.
And Savage Philly GM. Thank you guys for the tips as well. I got to plug that all in here. So,
And be honest about that quest mode. We're just trying it out. We're seeing if it's a thing that is cool or not. So I don't know. So let me know if it's just a distraction, takes you away from the stuff that's happening here. We're interested to know. So.
You could also do that stuff while we're not streaming.
Yep, it's true.
So you don't have to do it while we're streaming. You could just save it for later.
so everyone,
if it is distracting.
raise your drinks.
Okay.
Lady Imago would like us to toast. What will I do on Fridays until Wildcards comes back? I guess I'll have to interact with people IRL.
Gross.
Yuck.
Oh.
Raise them up and chug!
Chug!
Thanks very much, Lady Imago. Also, man, look at this place. This table is filthy. And since we have unlocked the first reward tier, Dom, can you do something about this?
Oh, that's really happening.
Can you vacuum the table?
This is really happening?
Dom?
I just got up.
I know you just got up, but we have unlocked the first reward tier, which is, man, look at this place. And this table could use a little bit of TLC.
Oh boy, look at this table.
Clint is in the, don't worry, Clint. It's a very light kind of vacuum, you know? Yes, it is a full-sized, it's actually a backpack vac with an attachment, a hose
Big ol'
attachment.
Hoover.
Yep. So, Dom, if you could go ahead and vacuum that so before we can get started.
I know you guys were tired of that robot voice, but here's some more robot voice.
So anyways.
I'm not sure I understand this unlock.
Yeah.
What?
I'm not sure I understand this unlock. I mean,
The table's,
Are you questioning the
down
unlocks?
for it.
the table's gross.
Sure, okay.
It needs to be vacuumed.
All right.
This was basically my way of forcing Dom to clean the table.
All right.
It's what the people want,
Yeah, okay.
and they've shown it. Yeah, welcome to Luigi's Mansion. The next unlock requires Dom to go get Chinese food. Unfortunately, we already ate Chinese food before the stream began.
We
We did actually get Chinese food.
But-
I got Chinese food.
Yeah, we can make Dom go get some, though.
Dom, go get Chinese food.
Let me edit the unlocks real quick. Yeah, don't forget that spot there. Good. That's looking a lot better, guys. That's looking a lot better.
Okay.
All right, let's put that in. Great, great.
Megan, come back.
Thanks very much, guys. All of you guys in the
Megan's
electric
okay.
guys.
Look at
Yes,
the
yes.
scared
Off
vacuums.
the wood with their vacuum. Oh,
No,
man.
I
Cortra,
don't-
thank you for the bits.
Surface.
Oh, you kept expecting to hear Curse Spanish Gold going up through the vacuum? Yeah, that would suck. All right, guys, so before we jump into the questions tonight, obviously, but we'll say this anyways, spoiler alert if you have not finished this season of East Texas University that we just ran on Wildcards, possibly spoiler alert for anything we've ever done on Wildcards. So go into that with that known. If you haven't watched it and you don't want anything ruined for you, maybe come back to watching this later on after you've finished. If not, do so at your own peril, because here we go. Anything else we need to talk about before we jump in?
No, I don't think so.
What if we all just dove into the table?
All right, I'm going to get the bonfire noise playing again.
Okay.
But what if that?
Because remember that
robot's
study from a few years ago that was like studies don't actually, or spoilers don't actually make you enjoy something less.
Yeah.
Intros.
I don't know if I believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. So, yeah, we could intro everybody, I suppose. Let's do it. Everybody, intro yourselves. Your name, your character's name.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jordan Pridgeon.
Aloud.
Hi, my name is Jordan Pridgeon, and I play Josh Sawyer, who is a journalism student.
Just the name.
Couldn't stop.
Got it.
Hi! My name is Megan Caves, and I play Adelaide Blackwood.
Hello, I'm Gaurav Galati, and I play Calvin Everett Jr.
Hello, my name's Dom Zook, and I play Ron Tagoth Stevens.
And my name is Jordan caves-callarman, and I play everyone else.
Yay!
So,
We did it.
We got a lot of questions submitted by you guys, so let us jump into these. And again, if you do have any other questions or anything that comes up during the stream while we are talking, be sure and save it for the end. If there's time, we will try and get to live questions.
You guys normally talk about Transformers this much? Because that's awesome. That's great.
All right.
Apparently, Bumblebee was really good, but I
It
never saw
was.
it.
It was a good movie.
Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. That's all in here. Save all it. There are 118 questions that have been submitted. I guarantee you most topics of conversation that you guys are thinking about jumping on right now are already represented by questions. So you might as well just save it. Okay, here we go.
Sorry, Clint.
First question, and this comes from Matt P3000. What is everyone's favorite Marvel movie? Also applicable for Barrett and Laura Lee and anybody else Jordan might think of. So I'm going to take this question to mean, what is your character's favorite Marvel movie?
Never seen one.
Oh.
That makes sense.
Oh,
Ron
character's
has
favorite
never
Marvel
seen
movie.
a Marvel
We gotta
movie.
fix that.
Yeah.
Gotta fix that.
The first movie he
Yeah.
saw was In-Game.
Yeah.
And whoa, was he way out.
He's like, this is not a good movie. It doesn't explain who any of these people are.
I mean, Adelaide probably really liked Captain Marvel.
Okay, Captain Marvel? Why? Do you not want me to pry into that answer?
No, because it would be really the main one in the Marvel universe, at least, with an empowered female
Sure.
Black Panther. Sure.
as the main character.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Why is there no dance number in this movie?
Megan's is I really liked the first Thor movie, but I don't think
did.
that's like. I mean, I like it as it continued on, but at the time, I was just like, I like Thor. He's really cool.
But just to be clear, we don't care what Megan liked, just Adelaide.
Sorry.
Who else?
I think Sawyer's favorite was one of the Captain America movies.
Which one?
Probably Civil War. Because I think that he liked that it was like a more personal.
I feel like Sawyer, and I feel like Sawyer would really like Winter
Yeah,
Soldier
that's-
because
But
of
I
the
think
whole
he
like
also really liked
corruption
Winter Soldier.
inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. that got exposed.
Yeah.
And,
Wait,
like,
Winter Soldier, is that the one where the Hydra thing?
Hail Hydra.
Yes, okay, then Winter Soldier actually is his favorite.
that tracks.
Yes,
that tracks.
yeah, definitely Winter Soldier actually.
Okay, all right. Calvin?
Calvin's would probably either be, I think it's Black Panther over Ragnarok. I think Thor Ragnarok was also very good, and Calvin would probably really enjoy that one because it was a very goofy film compared to the other ones. But Black Panther, by far, is his favorite Marvel movie. But it doesn't hold a candle to Transformers, let's be honest. Like,
Sure,
let's
yeah.
be real here.
I can think of a lot of characters, so I will just do the two named ones. Laura Lee has never seen a Marvel movie, and it's a point of pride for her. Like, she goes out of her way to not see Marvel movies, and also out of her way to let people know that, oh, she's never even seen a single Marvel movie. So, you know, whatever. I'm sure they're fine.
That tracks.
Barrett's favorite Marvel movie.
Is Superman.
Yeah. Probably.
I do really like that
Batman
answer.
versus Superman. Dawn of
And
Justice. Or
Barrett's
Justice
favorite
League.
Marvel movie is Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice.
That is just the right answer.
I will.
Sorry. Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman. That's right. DOJ.
And Ron's commune totally got the Roger Corman version of Fantastic Four on an eBay VHS buy, and that's all he's been exposed to.
The next question also comes from Matt P3000. What kind of pizza does the Pizza Barn serve? New York, Chicago, etc. And what's their most popular pie? The Pizza Barn serves very large, like normal pizza, like not deep dish, not New York. Yeah, it's just like it's people.
I always imagine like big thin pizza you can like buy by the slice or get a big full thing of it. That's my image of the Pizza Barn.
It's a normal thick crust. They just make a really solid traditional pizza is what they make. It's the Pizza Barn is not a fancy place. They're not going to sell Chicago or New York style. That's not going to sell super well in Pine Box, because and their most popular one, pepperoni. Sorry to disappoint, but I also didn't create the Pizza Barn, so maybe ask Ed Wetterman and Preston. But that is my take on the Pizza Barn.
Normal crust, non-thin crust.
Non-thin crust.
I mentally think of it as Mellow Mushroom, but without the like psychedelic theme, because Mellow Mushroom was my college pizza place.
I think of
yes,
it like Hideaway.
I am inclined to agree with Clint. The Pizza Barn sells pizza-style pizza.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true.
If someone comes in and is like, well, I want something special, like, we sell pizza here.
Yeah. The questions are not randomized, so if you thought you were making a big joke about putting in a bunch of questions and they are all the same thing or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'm going in order. Next question comes from Gunslinger Andy, or Gunslinge Randy, as we call him, because we're super good friends. Which class or professor are each of the students looking forward to next year? I don't have to answer this one, so take it away.
Yeah, I feel like Calvin hasn't looked at any of that.
Yep, that makes
and
sense.
will not until the day before when he has to sign up for classes. So, that is his answer.
Okay.
I took Native American philosophy in college.
Oh, you did? Oh.
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, kind of. I mostly played Final Fantasy, but
Yay!
Yeah, but Megan took Final Fantasy II in college.
Awesome.
but that,
fun.
yeah, I could totally see Adelaide, like if there was something that was about some kind of folklore or something like that. Although she also, I mean, she just wants to do whatever is going to get her to be a librarian, you know? Like, what's that going to be?
What's it gonna be?
She probably hopes to have a class in the English department that is not with Cutter.
Well, good luck. All right, who else?
I don't know if Sawyer has one class he's like particularly excited for, if only because I don't think classes have. I think.
Well, you haven't gotten to
focus-
do any like actual journalism classes
Yeah,
yet.
so I was gonna say I think long term, like he's looked at classes like in the thing that are like fundamentals of journalism or
I mean, you've probably taken like 101 style classes.
sure, but like stuff that gets deeper into
Right.
it and maybe even has like guest lecturers who are professional like journalists from the
Pine Box area.
from Pine Box and stuff like that. And that's probably what he's excited about eventually, but there's a lot of like class requirements he has to go through to like get there and stuff. So maybe there'll be some more of that kind of thing this next year.
Okay, and Ron, who, as Innocent Brown
Yeah.
pointed out, maybe you won't even be at college.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ron would have loved to take a class from Glenn Mack, like actually take a class from Glenn Mack. But yeah, who knows?
Who knows? We don't know. We'll probably find out. Okay, cool. Moving on.
It would be kind of funny, Innocent Brown Coat, if like Sawyer got deeper into the journalism world and just found out that every journalist in Pine Box is like, oh yeah, you want to try and report on things here? Yeah, fucking try it, man. No one will believe anything you say.
All right, this next question comes from BSB Care, and it is a longer one, so pay attention, guys.
Okay.
Question for the Dean, Jordan, and Megan regarding the big fight with Laura Lee. To the Dean, was the plan always to have Laura Lee cheating on Sawyer, or was that something that the players latched onto and you ran with? For Jordan and Megan, the three-way fight, Sawyer, Addie, Laura Lee, was intense. Did you draw on any particular past experience, or did things just spill out in the moment? And what was the talk like after the show about the fight? So I will start with this one. I will start by saying that I was not planning on having Laura Lee cheat on Sawyer at all. I actually don't even think that was my idea. I think one of you or someone at the table asked, like, do we hear someone else, like, talking in the room? And I was like, sure, yeah, there's someone else in the room. And then the guy came out afterwards.
No, that's not what
one of you
happened.
guys said something. I
don't
swear to
think
God.
that is.
I wouldn't have thought to do that.
I'm pretty sure we
otherwise.
said it after you said someone was talking in the room.
Maybe I did. Actually, maybe I did say that.
That's what I remember.
Maybe.
So no, it was not. In that case, I'm totally wrong. Yes, you guys are right. I did make that decision, but I didn't make it ahead of time. No, I just made that in the moment. It seemed like something that would happen. Although, for the record, we never got confirmation that she was cheating on Sawyer.
I think from Sawyer's perspective, it was less of a she is necessarily cheating on him and more of a she's clearly lying about the person just having been in the room.
Sure.
And like the fact that that lie is there just like opened up the fact that there are more lies.
Sure. And then, did you guys draw on any particular past experience for that scene, or did it just play out in the moment?
I think it just kind of
I think it just played out.
played out, right?
I don't know that I've. Like, if we're talking about the exact experience of being in the midst of. I mean, I'm sure I've been in the midst of awkward conversations, but I don't know.
I've kind of been on the other side of relationships where, like, you try and tell someone, like, it's a bad relationship and they react very badly to it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, you were Laura Lee.
Because I feel like that's a very real thing that happens. When you're, like, outside a relationship, you're like, this is bad, this person is being bad to you. Like, it tends to be people's reaction to get angry at you for telling them that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of what I drew from in reacting to it, at least.
Okay. And Megan, you didn't really pull from anything?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. And then the other question was, what was the talk like? Actually, that's not true. Because when I remember, so the next question is, what was the talk like after the episode? I don't feel like we talked a whole lot about that scene, but you did mention that Laura Lee felt a lot like some of your family members
Well, I mentioned
in that scene.
Laura Lee did. I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily, yeah.
But the manipulative nature of what she was doing in that scene.
Well, okay, yeah, sure. In that instance, not so much that situation, but the way Laura Lee was behaving was very upsetting to me because I kind of spent my whole life dealing with that from the majority of my family members, not to that extreme. But yeah, I
don't think any of your family members ever tried to say that you were the one that was actually sleeping around with everyone.
if they did, that would be something coming out of them.
Would be. So
that freaked me out.
So largely that moment was all improvised. Actually, I had an entirely different plan for what was going to happen with Laura Lee and Sawyer in that episode.
Really?
Yes. Because you remember she had a super surprise for you. And
I know.
She was gonna like take you somewhere.
She was gonna marry you.
All I knew was that there was going to be a fight. Like, I was going to take him somewhere and get into a fight with him. And all I knew was that she was going to tell him that she loved him in the middle of a huge fight. That was all I knew. And it just played out.
But you're like, great, a fight happened anyway.
Yep, I was like, all right, we can do it now. So thank you for that, BSB Care. Let's do another question from BSB Care.
Okay.
What? Why'd you say it like that?
You said let's do another.
Right, but you like agreed like before I was done talking, which was kind of.
It seemed pretty normal.
It just felt like there was a weird thing happening.
Yeah.
From BSB Care.
Is my character gonna die?
we don't know how to be ourselves, people.
Show Ron first.
Yeah. Weird you say that.
Okay.
BSB Care says, as I think he may still be traveling back up north for the study group, what was your favorite The Hussman gif from this season? And for those of you who don't know, basically before every episode of Wildcards, for like the past 2 or 3 seasons now, the Hussman has been making and posting custom GIFs where he redoes the dialogue from famous movies and putting them on Twitter.
Yeah.
And they're pretty great.
Elaborate.
I really like the Avengers one. Not that I didn't like the other ones, but that was just like so.
Oh,
That was awesome.
yeah, that was for the night Endgame came out. So he basically took a scene from Infinity War.
I
And,
really liked that one.
yeah, that one was pretty good.
They're all good, but that one's just like really. I also
Yeah.
liked the one where it was like after that crazy roll that I made to
Yeah.
whatever the hell it got out of. Anyway, that one was also fun. Where they're like watching TV. I don't know what movie.
Well, yeah, that was from Revenge of the Nerds, and he had on the TV screen in that scene, he had put the feed of our stream.
Yes, it was so impressive.
That's why that was cool.
That one was pretty good. I liked that one.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any others favorites?
I really like, this isn't from this season, but I really like back in Deadlands Wildcards, the one he did after we had the TPK, where it was a Westworld GIF.
A what?
What?
Don't do this now.
Sorry, we all got.
You know, I'm going to stand by myself.
We don't have time. We don't have time.
So instead of fighting, could you say the whole word by words, like spell it out instead of saying?
We don't have time.
That's fine.
GIF.
We
No.
don't have time. What are you saying?
Which
I really like it. It was a Westworld GIF, and it was like, it's like, oh, dude, he's gonna make him heroed or something like that. I remember, but someone was like, he'd never have the balls to do that or something like that, and then like the guy who was the Man in Black in Westworld, like shot a bunch of people. I don't remember. I just like that one. I don't remember the very specifics.
Jordan liked that one that was Westworld.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to the next
One was
question.
the best one of this year.
This question comes from Owen Lean. How many goths would Ron Tagoth scoff if Ron Tagoth could scoff goths?
Next.
I think at least
Thank you
Pats.
very much, Owen Lean.
what is scoffing? mean?
Probably 4 though.
Eat.
No, like
Oh.
This question comes from Owen Lean. Okay, a more serious question. How much preparation do you each do before each game?
Like what kind of preparation? Like
And that is not specified in the
costume
question.
preparation or like preparation.
I would just say any preparation you do before each game would probably be fair game.
I mean, I cook dinner.
Megan does make dinner most days.
She does make dinner for most nights that we are here for Fridays.
I mean,
so.
I probably have the most like prep as far as costume stuff goes.
Hold on. Actually, real quick, I should point out that we can all read the chat right now. So if you are going to discuss any bits of lore from East Texas University that the players at the table don't know, which is anything that has not come up on stream yet, don't do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I take. I mean, yeah. I don't have
No
quite as
worries.
much as I did with Rosaline, but I do that, and then. But as far as preparation for like getting into a mindset or something like that, if you mean that kind of preparation, there really isn't a whole lot. I mean, for the most part, we try to kind of focus. I say that we really aren't very good at it.
Not very good at it at all, actually. We're not very good at it.
Before we get going, but yeah, there's not really a lot of prep outside of that, unless there's something specific we would be prepping for, I suppose. At least for me as a player.
Thank you very much to Kaga for the
Thank
tip.
you.
Thank you.
I really think most of our prep comes between seasons because we
Yeah.
do a lot of work then as a group to like figure out if we want to try, like if the dynamic is working, if there's a way we want to like try and like show like, oh, we haven't really worked on these characters' relationships, we want to try and like build it out a little better, or to figure out like what sort of things are going to be interests or concerns of our characters going forward. And sometimes it changes throughout the season, but like between episodes, I actually kind of feel like as a player, I don't want to do too much thinking or preparation because I think it feels better if things happen in the moment and kind of evolve with what's happening in the show.
We do, and we'll get to this later on because there are some questions about this. We try to avoid doing any preparation or planning before each episode.
Yeah.
As a group, like it will go out of my way to keep information from them.
I live with him. I know.
But we'll talk more about that later because there are some questions about that. How about you guys? Do you do anything? Do you have anything to add to that before session prep thing?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, sometimes when you tell us that there is going to be a check-in part at the start, I make sure to, if I want to do a scene, I make sure that if I want to put someone else in it, I make sure that they are cool being in whatever scene that is. I don't know what's going to happen in that scene, but it's like, hey, I'm going to do this. Would your character like to be there, or would they naturally be there? Because I don't want to drag anybody into a scene that they don't want to be in.
Sure.
So that's the only part that we sort of prep beforehand. sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a surprise and we just do it live at the table.
Yeah, I mean, stop me if this is a question that's going to be answered, but sort of like they're all saying, sometimes because it is streamed and we have a time limit, we have a season limit, we have all these various different things, there are some things that we kind of have to go like, okay, we need to head this direction, and every once in a while we'll like talk things through in between, but it's not, we don't really make a lot of plans.
And we'll talk about some specifics on that kind of stuff later on. Dom, anything you do to prep before each stream, apart from, of course, get the studio opened and operating and all of that stuff?
No, not really. It's a little bit of a Mr. Rogers kind of action, putting on the Ron outfit.
He does. He takes off his Dom hoodie and puts on his Ron hoodie.
Yeah.
It's really true.
Yeah. So, no, not really.
I will say...
Turno's part is all scripted, confirmed.
Yes, Rob is entirely scripted. I try to, well, actually, we're going to talk a little bit more about my prep later on. So we'll keep going for now, but I'll talk a little bit more in depth about that since there's some specific questions about it later on.
We snuck and read his notes at one point, and it just says "wing it" on every page.
Yeah.
It just keeps. I just keep writing like, oh no. We actually did hit the next reward tier.
Yay!
Ooh. What's this one called?
This really happened.
I'll get the broom.
No, Dom, don't worry. You can sit down. This really happened. Jordan Pridgeon,
Yay!
can you share with the table, with the group, with everyone in the Alumni Association as well, a awkward or embarrassing or just really typical college-age story from your misspent youth?
This is not typical. This only happened once, and it's so. I was the sort in college who would lean into bits pretty hard.
What do you mean in college?
Wait.
I am still that. I am still that person. However, when I was drinking more in college, sometimes it led to worse situations and decisions. And this is like one of my... So I went to a party, and the whole time before...
Pirate Ninja Monkey, thank you very much for the resub.
Thank you very much. When I went to this party, and like the running joke that day had been like, yeah, you know what? We've never gotten into a fight at a party. That's what's going to happen. We're going to go to this party and we're going to get in a fight. And so I kind of came to this party, and it was my friend's birthday party. And I had this like joke running that was like, oh yeah, we're just ready to fight people. So I went and I got pretty drunk. And at one point I'm in the basement playing beer pong, and the lights start flickering. And I go, somebody fix these lights! The lights are flickering! And some guy turns to me, he goes, yo bro, the lights are fine. And I was like, what? You and these lights got something going on, man? What? You good friends with the lights? And I just thought it was so funny that he seemed so offended by the fact that I was like, somebody fix the lights! And because I had been with my friends kind of going into this like fake fight mode all night, it just like kicked in that I did the bit where I go into fake fight mode. And because I like put on the like mode of that, the guy just decks me in the face. And I don't remember being hit in the face. I don't remember that at all. From my perspective, I was talking to this guy, and then I'm just... Everyone is looking at me, and I go, what's happening? And everyone in the party, like in the basement, is looking at me, and I'm leaning against the wall, just gushing blood out of my nose.
God.
I completely blacked out from the hit. I did not remember that at all. I remember before and after. So I'm sitting there, just covered in blood. I'm like, oh, sweet! I get hit in the face! That's cool, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, and I'm just like covered in blood. Some of my friends come in, they're like, "What? That guy hit Jordan? Like we should beat the crap out of him." Mm-hmm. And someone's like, "No man, he was like asking for it," and I'm like, "I probably was." I honestly, he shouldn't have hit me. I was not that bad about it.
I like how much your friends had your back though. Like, no, seriously, like he was fucking asking for it.
They know me. So after that, I'm like, well, I'm covered in blood. That's gonna be a bummer for this party. I'm gonna go home. And they were like, okay, do you want us to take you home? And I was like, I know where I am. Everything is great. So I throw on my jacket and I go outside, and it's snowing. It has been snowing all day. So I walk outside and I'm just covered in blood. And I start walking down the street to go back to my house. And about 15 minutes walking, I realize I have no idea where the fuck I am. and I am like, well, I'm lost. I'm lost walking through Charlottesville in the snow, covered in blood. And I walk one way, and I go, I think I'm that way. And in the turning process, I slip on some ice and just tumble into the ditch. So I'm just lying in a snowy ditch, covered in blood and drunk. And I pull myself out of the ditch, and it's like, ugh. And a car pulls up and goes, hey, excuse me, are you okay? Hey, aren't you on the improv team? And some guy recognizes me from my comedy there, and I'm like, yeah, hey, how's it going? And they're like, you're covered in blood, man. I'm like, yeah, a guy hit me. It's like, we're pre-law students. Do you want us to sue them? I'm like, no, but if you could tell me how to get to 13th Street, it would be very helpful.
And they give you a ride?
And they're like, anyway, see ya. Beep, beep.
They called another one of my friends who picked me up and took me home.
Oh.
And so I get home and I go into the house and I go to the bathroom and I like knock on the door. So it's like, I'm in here, and I wait for like 10 minutes while someone's in the bathroom. And finally I open the door and blood is just still coming out of my nose. I'm like, hey. And they're like, oh, fuck. And I was like, yeah, I had a fun night. And I went to the bathroom.
That wasn't the end of it.
Passed out on the couch in our
He's
living
hit
room.
so many like buttons that would be the perfect thing to end this story, and then there's just more story.
Never stop. This is the best.
No.
I passed out in the living room. The best part is waking up the next morning to like two of my housemates standing over me and going, what the fuck happened? And I was like, oh yeah, I went to a party. You know how it is. And it was great.
All right, so shouldn't have had him go first.
Yeah, can I make a motion that the rest of them are just Jordan tells another story?
Yeah. Can you just have that?
No.
That's my best story.
No, you all have to try and follow this.
It's like his character intros all over again.
No, I wasn't. It wasn't critical. I just was amazed by how many continuations there were to the story.
No, I went to University of Virginia, not Virginia Tech. A lot of my family went to Virginia Tech. It's a whole rivalry thing inside the family, so.
This has been That Really Happened with Jordan Pridgeon.
Yeah!
Really happened.
Everyone raise your drinks. Vampire 54
Okay.
bought us a shot. Folks, we all know 6 hours of play, 20 episodes per session, also even a movie. Raise them up and chug!
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Vampire 54.
Did SF Giants 49er give a toast? Because they did a $1,500 or $1,500.
$1,500! Oh my God!
That's a lot of, yeah.
For
Let's
the
go
bits?
on that one for a while.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Says
they
thanks
did
for the
bits.
good time, squirrel cheese.
Wait, Pinnacle
That
started
sounds
at
like a
Virginia
toast to
Tech,
me.
really?
No, squirrel cheese is an emoji.
That's awesome. That's a really
But does
cool
that mean you have
fact.
to hate them now?
Thanks
No,
for the good
all
All
times.
right,
Okay.
also,
It's like when you're in the rivalry, you have to kind of hate them, but after you're out of Virginia, you're like, yeah, we get it. Virginia.
Also, SF Giants 49er maybe bought us a shot, so raise your glasses. Cheer 1000, cheer 100, cheer 100, cheer 100, cheer 100, cheer 100. Thanks for the good time, squirrel cheese. Raise
Yeah!
them up and chug.
Chug.
I don't normally do this.
Thank you, BSB Care.
BSB Care, thank you very much.
Weirdest thing a
normally do
DJ's
what?
ever said.
You want another? Do you want a Blue Moon or do you want a...
So let me put in the. Oh wow, okay. BSB Care has kicked us up the next 2 tiers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna answer a couple more questions, then we'll come back to those. Then we will answer a couple more questions. So we will get back to that. Thank you very much, BSB Care, and all of you guys in the Alumni Association. Let's keep the party going. Oh wait, hold on. We should raise our cups for this
Okay.
from BSB Care. I walked into half of Jordan's story and it's still going. Raise them up and chug. Thanks very much, BSB Care. All right. Next question. This question is from Eminem Has My Bike. Question for the
Do
Dean.
you need help?
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay. How much of the NPC conversations are scripted? Do you write what they will say in your prep sheets, or do you just wing everything on the spot? If you can, please show up prep material for Wildcards. Thank you, all of you are awesome. Best regards, Eminem Stole My Bike.
We gotta help this
I
person
like
get
that
their
name.
bike back.
Yeah. I know a guy who might know a guy who knows a guy
Sanjay the Bitchy
who
Clay.
knows Eminem.
Anyway.
Hold on, he's gonna show you some notes.
Yeah.
All right, so first thing, how much of the NPC conversations are scripted? Almost none. The loosest thing I do when I am doing an NPC conversation, if it is an important NPC conversation that I know I want the study group to get into before a session begins, what I will typically do is, this is this is an episode right there. That is one episode. It's just a loose outline. I do some bullet points.
There we go.
Just this one page. One
Totally
page
visible now.
is well, I'm not trying. I don't want
No,
it to
I
be
know.
100% visible.
Enhance, zoom.
And then anytime it's basically bullet points, and then I will circle for myself any information that is critical that I remember to deliver. I don't typically have who's saying it or how they're going to say it or how anything's going to go. All NPC interactions with these guys, I basically jump into going like, here's how it starts. Let's see where they take this. Because I learned long ago, it's very hard to predict which direction these guys are going to take any sort of NPC interaction. So largely I wing things when it comes to conversation. I don't pre-write anything that I am going to say before an episode. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
It
Woe
does.
is to the person who scripts a NPC interaction on this show. That's
Right.
just
Yeah.
not
why?
gonna
I mean,
happen.
why
It's
waste?
not gonna go well.
Why waste your time? So next question comes from exactly.
Yeah, Confederate
How in
work.
the hell could I have anticipated James Bogue and Rosaline Byrne getting so far into a Confederate fort?
It went really well, you guys.
But
Yeah.
that was
Such a good job.
that was a different wild
Definitely
card.
a gas leak in that episode.
Mike C has a question for us. To the group as a whole.
Like, see? Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's
my
like
uncle.
it's the same first name and last initial as your uncle. It's probably him. To the group as a whole, who was your favorite NPC/character this season? And is there any character in particular you'd like to see again in the future?
Tech guy.
The IT guy in the
The
library?
IT guy who everyone thinks is part of the library.
He was your favorite.
He was my
your favorite NPC. Okay, all right.
Barrett for sure.
Barrett's your favorite
I would
NPC.
never have thought that an annoying roommate could be also the most entertaining roommate because he very much is like he's the person I want to see the most because like I have to act annoyed by him, but I'm just loving the interactions that everybody has with him. And also, like, he showed, like, a weird soft side in that one episode, and you're like, whoa, there's more to him than...
The truth episode?
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been fun interacting with Barrett and just deciding as Sawyer, like, no,
Yeah.
I dislike this guy, and
Yes.
I will just tell him I dislike him.
But at the same time, you love interacting with him, right? Like,
sure,
anytime you
as a
interact with him, you're
player, absolutely.
like, yeah. I would bring him on more adventures if I could.
I'd say it's a toss-up between Dennis and the pawn shop owner.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody else mentioned
Pawn
pawn
shop
shop
owner.
owner.
The pawn shop owner that you
What, we got the
signed a
gold?
contract with.
Oh, yeah. His name was,
Forrester Harris, I believe.
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, Forrester Harris.
There's definitely more to him that meets the eye.
I don't know.
He's a
Um,
Decepticon.
I don't
for
think
sure.
so.
Oh, he's a Decepticon.
I don't know if there is any
Starscream.
particular one that sticks out to me that I want to see more of. I don't guess I think about it like that.
So there's no one who stands out as someone you'd like to see again.
No
Like,
NPCs?
what about
I mean,
what about a guest?
Oh yeah.
Well, I like all the guests.
Keith, my drug
Keith
dealer,
Long is, like,
for
such a-
sure.
I would see Abria's character.
Renee?
Also good.
Yeah.
I mean, interacting with Laura Lee was a very fun thing the entire time.
That actually caught me off guard. I just expect Laura Lee, as originally conceived, was just Adelaide's weird, boring roommate.
I hate it.
But then we had
I straight up hate it. She freaks me out.
You hate Laura Lee?
Yes.
Oh no.
She's too close to like real life people,
Oh,
and
I
it
see.
freaks me the fuck out every time he does it.
But we did, I think it was the second episode, was the first time Sawyer interacted with Laura Lee, and you just played him like he was like almost immediately smitten with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I don't know why, but when you first started acting her out, I had this thought. I was like, what if Sawyer's into this?
Yeah, so that was fun to play.
Yeah,
so thanks for
Renee.
the question, Mike C.
Renee.
Did everybody get a chance to respond? No other. All right, moving on. This one comes from Tyrannodon. How is it no one outside the town knows of any of the strange goings-on at the university? We know past students are in the know, so they just don't talk about it or something? That question is one that I hope will be answered for you over the course of the next 3 seasons of Wildcards.
Because that's something Sawyer's gonna try and figure out.
Suffice it to say, that is not something I can go into a lot right now. However, I will say there are many reasons. Many reasons.
He doesn't know yet.
Many reasons.
He has no idea.
Top.
Men.
Top men. This one is also for Tyrannodon. For Dom.
It's you.
It's me.
Considering Ron's need for healthy food, what do you think would happen if he were to ever experience cheesecake? And not the heavy processed stuffed. I mean the really creamy, chilled, and so good it would make a puppy pull a freight train cheesecake.
What do I think would happen?
That's a statement.
What do you think would happen if Ron ever experienced like some next level cheesecake?
Immediate death.
Yeah, probably a heart attack. His body is just not ready for that type of
Cheese and cake.
cheese intake.
I remember one of the first times I tried cheesecake, I was like, whoa! Like, it was so intense. So I bet it would be...
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It would. I mean, if you've ever not had sugar for like a week or 2 weeks or something, if you
Or your
cut out-
life.
or your life, but you cut it out for a period of time, and then you have like a soda or Snickers or something, and suddenly like all these sugar flavors, the endorphins in your head, and all of that dopamine, just everything kicks in, and you're just
How
like,
did I live without this?
whoa, these taste great now. I'm sure that Ron, if he ever had sugar of any kind, would be like, oh, but then he's also super disciplined, and he would not have a problem going back and going like, well, cheesecake diet for me.
The theme seems to be so far that the study group thinks Ron will really get into this thing, and Ron never likes it. Ron doesn't like pizza, Ron doesn't like Taco Bell, Ron doesn't like candy.
We're gonna find Ron's thing.
I think Ron is like a
Pocket
legit health food enthusiast. I think like he's grown up eating it, and he's cool with that. He has not had a positive response to anything you guys have tried to feed him.
The way that I mean, we'll probably, this might be another question or whatever, but the way that I sort of deal with Ron is, because I'm a super sugar freak, and so it's difficult for me. I initially started out the season only drinking water at the table, which was very difficult for me. and then because I wanted to kind of get in that mindset, but it didn't work for long. And but Ron, I think, has the way that he grew up on the compound and making all of his food himself and everything. Like, it's not that he wants for more. He doesn't need a sugar. He doesn't need that stuff. And so when he tries these things that everyone else has had and these highly processed foods and stuff, like, they don't taste good to him. He knows what tastes good.
I'm inclined to agree with Lady Imago, though. Deep inside, Ron has some kind of major vice that we have not yet discovered.
We just have to try more things till we find it.
That's awesome.
Maybe we'll find
what
it.
Clint is talking about in chat, Clint ran an ETU game where he had pre-gens that were the study group, and that is a great Ron quote. What have the children done wrong to be punished with this food?
Yeah. That's great.
That's perfect.
All right, so thank you for that question, Tyrannodon. Let's move on, but before we do,
Yeah, Ron's vice, raisins.
we have unlocked This Really Happened.
Yay!
This really happened. Dom,
Really hard.
regale us with an awkward or embarrassing or just prototypical college-age story.
That's why I showed up to work today.
Gosh, I don't know.
Regale, regale, regale,
Hey,
regale.
come on, don't pressure him.
We're not. We're chanting a really weird thing.
Yeah. Okay. There's a couple. They are no Jordan level stuff.
Tell us about the time you got punched in the face and then wandered through the snow and then fell in a ditch and then got recognized and then went home and then someone freaked out about your nose bleeding and then the next day everyone was like, what the fuck happened to you?
Okay, I've only got 2 of those.
Okay.
So we don't have time for both. No, I remember one time, so the theater that I went to Pacific Lutheran University, and the theater was in the church because it's a Lutheran university, of course. And I remember at one show I was working the lights. I basically had to get one of the screens in the back to wave so that the lights kind of made a little almost flame look. And I was laying on the ground, and it was an old thing, and then these bugs just started coming, and I was like, I couldn't move. I had to stay on the floor, and these little bugs were just kind of coming around, and I was just like, go hurry the scene up.
But you didn't mess up the scene,
I
did you,
didn't mess
Dom?
up the scene. No,
He didn't.
Pro.
no.
He's a goddamn professional.
Another time.
He fear factored the shit out of that.
I've had the experience where my girlfriend and I broke up, but I didn't know that, and so
We've all been there.
She and like a bunch of friends just sort of ignored me for a while, and then
Awful.
but you know we still talked and stuff, and then but it became clear later on. I figured it out, and then there was a New Year's Eve party, and I went, and my ex got really drunk, and I held her hair back, and I took care of her that whole night. Because all of my friends got really wasted too, and were out smoking cigars by the pool. And I don't drink, so I was just like, hey, cool. And then, so that happened, and then the next morning, she actually came to my apartment with her friend and like knocked on the door, and I lived on the second story, and I was still in bed, and I like looked out and I saw it was her, and I never answered the door.
Ooh.
So if you're watching,
Wow.
I was there. I just did not want to get up and answer the door.
Oh man, Stone Cold! I love
Whoa!
it.
That
That's
is not the
great.
direction I expected that to go.
Yeah.
Boy,
It was like
I love that
he
ending.
took care of her all night, and she shows up with her friend the next day to be like, you know what? Maybe I was wrong about this. And Dom's like, nah.
Well done.
That is so fucking brutal.
Thank you for the tip, Ozark Howler.
Wow, well done.
you.
Ozark Howler, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for the tip. Let's get that added in to our lovely little thing.
Oh,
It's in the
man,
thing.
That's great.
It's in the thing. All right.
Amazing.
Moving back to the questions, and then we will get the next unlocked that has been unlocked. This question comes from Vampire 54. I'm sure this will come up. You are correct. But what was the plan if they failed in the basement?
It did.
So,
Oh right. He was so sure we were going to. We were all sure, I guess.
Yeah,
I know
mean,
what the plan was. Now.
like,
didn't I tell you guys what the plan was?
I think you've told us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me.
Before, but I mean, in the moment, we were so sure we failed.
Oh yeah, I was pretty sure.
Oh man, I
You
was
totally
positive
told
you
us,
guys
but just
failed.
like say it for them.
Yeah. So the what we're referring to, for those of you who don't know, is the scene in the basement in, I believe, episode 8,
Oh man, I don't know the
which I think was called The Thing in the. It's the episode called The Thing in the Corner.
Yeah.
Oh, I have my notes right in front of me. I can just find it out.
Notes.
But. Oh, hold on. Now I committed to it, and yeah, it was 9, episode 9. They had to get out of there while that shadow demon thing was trying to touch one of them, and was trying to touch Adelaide.
And we all just shit our pants except Adelaide.
Yeah, who then rolled a ridiculous roll to complete the dramatic task and exit the basement, which was a possibility I prepared for. I knew that I wanted to make the ritual difficult, so that it would ratchet up the tension. I did not know that 3 out of the 4 study group members
Demonic
would be
tutors.
ejected from the dramatic task, putting it all, which significantly ramped up the difficulty. But I was excited that they were going to fail, because I did indeed have a plan in place for them to fail, and I was like, all right. This was my B plan, but like as I'm sitting at the table when there's just a ridiculous amount of room left, they need so many more successes. I was already starting to be like, okay, cool. So what can I do with this? How am I going to end this episode with that going like that? And then she made that ridiculous roll and blew up all of my in the moment prep.
Sorry, go on.
I don't want to say too much because there are ripples from that storyline that are still going to be happening at the campus, but Adelaide would have been possessed by a demon,
Tracks.
I think that could have been really cool too.
and then
But also the role was really cool.
and
so-
then at least the next episode would have been dealing with that. So that was my plan, and that is all I will say.
Just to say, I don't know if we've like talked about this. I should have talked about this in Discord or chat or anything like that. But of every RPG game I've played, That is perhaps the most cinematic feeling moment of my entire RPG playing life, dictated almost entirely by the dice forcing things on us. Like everyone just one by one crit failed their way out of that situation. It was a hopeless, worthless situation. I didn't want to reroll because we had just kept crit failing, and I figured maybe if we failed by 5, it would be better than failing by 7, which would have happened if she had crit failed. But like, I honestly think that felt like a movie, and it wasn't something we planned. It was not something we could have planned. But like, one by one, we kept dropping out until Adelaide, who was the focus of the demon, had to like pull herself together and make it happen.
Yep.
With like one last minute strength of will. And I just like, I came out of being like, oh, RPGs are amazing.
Yes. So yes, BSB Care. There was no bull problem this time. That was absolutely something I expected there to be a high likelihood of failure for, and had a contingency in place for. So this next question comes from Evil Dice Monkey, and I'm curious how you guys would respond to this. This is for the entire study group. What one ability from your legendary Deadlands characters do you think would be most useful for your novice ETU character?
Oh,
I know this. Elan.
Elan?
I miss Elan.
The
I
edge you
do.
started the game with?
I know, and it was like a defining edge for my entire run as Gabe. Like, Elan was very much Gabe's edge the entire time.
Anyone else?
Alertness, I guess, would help me overcome my
Alertness? You
my
don't think it'd be helpful to have improved hip shooting?
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I know. No,
Jeez.
I have alertness, though.
I know you do. Yeah. No, I mean, for Ron, yeah, all the gun stuff that Bogue has would be pointless on Ron. So yeah, those are just some really cool edges that Bogue had. Ron would not need any of those.
Yep.
I mean, I think a lot of Rosaline's stuff would be helpful for Adelaide. She'd love to be able to use all that magic. And I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's Adelaide. I mean, she'd probably do pretty well at huckster magic, I'd think.
When do we do the crossover episode? When does that happen?
Were you guys going to cross over with yourselves?
Yeah, with our old Wildcards characters.
No?
You heard it here first, folks.
I think she would specifically find Mind Rider helpful, though. In
Oh,
life.
sure.
I mean, it was helpful in Deadlands, but can you imagine how helpful that would be
Yeah,
to you?
Be very helpful.
It'd be wild.
Yeah.
I'd probably like Tough as Nails would be really good for anybody to have, just because +2 toughness is bonkers good.
Yeah, that's true.
It's almost doubling my toughness at that point, which is ridiculous. So Calvin just being literally just a muscular, super tall guy with a giant claw would also be great if I could just make that happen.
Okay.
But he plays a little differently, so probably not.
Yeah, right? He would play very much like Howl if he had that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for the question, Evil Dice Monkey. Next question comes from Benjamin M. Dan. And this is, again, for the group as a whole, so Megan's just not going to get to weigh in. The study group seems to have a really good chemistry with each other. At times, it seems like it could be developing into more than just friendship. Has any of the study group ever considered any of the others in a romantic sense, or are they too firmly in the friend zone with one another?
No, not really. I mean, like, there's a thing when you get in a group of friends that is like when Calvin got here, he didn't expect for this group to be his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all kind of got thrown together, and we stuck together because of the adventures we went into. And there's always a thing when you're in a small group of people and you're with someone who is attractive and the sex that you're interested in, that you're naturally like, I wonder what would happen. I think Calvin has probably wondered that, but been like, I think it's not that he doesn't like Addie. He probably thinks Addie's very attractive and cool.
So, Canon, the sex that Calvin is into is a female.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, I don't think Calvin would like... He doesn't think Addie would like him. Like, he thinks he's, like, not out of her league, but, like, she doesn't, like, see him that way.
So if Addie
But if
was
she
like,
did, Calvin would be like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Relationships.
yeah, if Addie was like, would you like to go out?
I don't think he would ever even think of that. Like, I don't think it's so far out of reach that he's not even like considered her.
Okay.
But he's like, yeah, she's attractive. I'd give it a shot. It's college. It's not like marriage, you know. You're just thinking about dating somebody. You're not saying I'm gonna get married to this person.
Right.
This is super metagamey, but I was kind of immediately like, well, Sawyer can't be interested in Adelaide because Gabe and Rose were together. So it'd be like too much of the same thing if that ended up happening.
You forced Loreley.
Could.
And now
Oh
look where
no,
you are.
Jody's sad. She ships Calvin and Addie.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Wait, what was
ETU Circuit, save that question for the end. I think that's a good question.
That's a good question.
What was the question?
Has any of the study group ever considered any of the others in a romantic sense, or are they too firmly friends?
I think the only person that Adelaide is sort of briefly considered is Ron.
Who hasn't?
I mean,
Mostly
yeah, how could we not?
Let's be honest.
Most specifically in the episode when we infiltrated the.
Frat house?
When we're stuck in the
Closet?
Yeah.
That one.
I think my name is right here. RHAN.
Oh, how does that feel, Dom? How does that feel, Dom?
Oh, I don't
Tell
know,
us
Calvin. I'm changing your name to Calvin, by the way, in real life.
You're now Calvin.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I haven't. I'll be honest. I have not determined if Ron is bisexual or not.
He went on a date with like this smoking hot chick.
That does not mean
So
he
I
can't be
feel like-
bisexual.
And she like totally tried to eat him.
Yeah, and he said no, like a doofus.
But yeah, I do think that Ron has somewhat feelings for Addie, but honestly hasn't. Ron has a completely different perception about relationships and stuff like that.
That's
so
true.
he's not. I don't think. I don't think he's ever like considered it more than briefly, and probably just doesn't really think it's something that should ever be pursued.
Yeah, I think Adelaide's kind of the same way. She just doesn't. I think of Adelaide as being closer to a demisexual, if I am using that right, and that she's really got to be friends with somebody. It kind of comes from there. So I don't think she's. I think it tends to go more that way. I don't think she's strictly like that. But in a set, like I could see her being in a relationship with anybody, any of the characters at this table, actually. They would just have to come about in very different ways. And I agree with Jordan. There is kind of this thing of like, I don't know, not necessarily wanting to put Adelaide and Sawyer. However, it could be interesting in contrast because it'd be completely different.
Well-
Rosalie and Gabriel were completely different kinds of characters.
Okay, so I'll just throw this out there, like a tiny look into real life Jordan, which is, so part of why I decided it would be interesting to be interested in Loreley is because she reminded me very much of my freshman year girlfriend in college. And I ended up dating my freshman year girlfriend's roommate later in college. Which is a weird coincidence.
It
there.
is, but you already told your story, so I'm gonna have to cut you off right there.
It's done.
Thank you for the question, though. And this next one also comes from Benjamin M. Dan. How did the compound come to develop Sipsu as their preferred fighting style? Also, what do they think of other fighting styles? Karate, Aikido, Judo, etc. Do they consider their style to be the superior form?
What about Baritsu?
You see,
Yeah, they've read a lot of Conan Doyle and put that together. There's a lot about the compound and the cult of Rontagoth that I can't wait to explore in future stories. So I really don't want to talk too much about it, but
He won't even tell you.
yeah.
Gosh, what a jerk. Who doesn't tell everyone everything about what's going on behind the scenes?
But I will say that, you know, the Sipsu sort of began
Kata.
yeah, Jim Cotta. Oh God, what was the tagline for Jim Cotta? I forget. Anyway, it sort of began because they didn't really have any like self-defense courses necessarily in the compound, but realized after having some run-ins with the law and some other things that they needed something to sort of protect themselves. They're not like preppers. It's not like a Waco situation or anything like that. But they wanted to feel protected, and also have a way to work out. And
it's a good way to stay in shape.
yeah, and so I think there's in my canon there are a lot of old reels from Super Bowls and games from like the 50s and 60s that are extant in the compound, and so that sort of morphed into watching that, and then kind of getting a little bit of boxing and stuff thrown in there, and it just sort of became a way of marshaling an art, as it were. And that's sort of how Sipsu came about in the compound. So what do they consider about other things? They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. There is no competition in the compound. They don't believe Sipsu is any greater a protection self-defense tool than any other self-defense martial art. But Sipsu is just what they learn.
Yeah, and Sipsu is what Ron excels at, thanks to Coach.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome. What did you get? Pants?
Whenever you
Pants.
say coach, I always imagine the guy from Cheers. Like the guy who's like,
the
Coach.
The original Coach before
From
Woody
Cheers.
was there, yeah.
yes, before Woody took over.
I just think of the TV show Coach.
The TV show Coach.
Yeah, I
that's
was
what I
also
think
thinking
of
of
too.
the TV show Coach.
All right, this next question is also from Benjamin M. Dan. This is for the Dean. When you introduced Jackson, I thought he was going to be a sleazeball whose only defining characteristic is that he kept aggressively hitting on Addie.
True.
However, as the season went on, he seems to have developed into someone who could possibly be a good love interest for her. Was this development planned on your part, or was it an organic thing that just sort of developed naturally? And thank you very much, Tattered Timalian, for the tip. I will get that updated here, which means we have unlocked another thing, and which we will get to in a moment. But first, I have to answer this question. So, Jackson is an interesting case because I am running Degrees of Horror, and the only thing that Degrees of Horror mentions about Jackson when they first run into Jackson is that if there are any female members of their group, he will try and get their phone number or hit on them. That is the only thing mentioned about Jackson in the actual scenario for the first session. So I did that. And as I did it, I was like, this makes him kind of seem like an unlikable guy. And I read that from everyone at the table. I was like, yeah, okay. So my plan was not to turn Jackson into a viable love interest for Adelaide at all. My plan was to add dimension to Jackson as the season went on, so that when it came time for Jackson to vanish, there was at least some amount of investment in him as a character and a human being. So my idea was basically to not try and go back and retroactively change who Jackson was from that initial encounter, but just to explain more about who Jackson actually is behind that initial encounter. So that was my goal in the season, and whether or not I was successful at it, you decide. But yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Made us care about Jackson. God damn it.
Well, I tried to. We're gonna do this one and then 3 more, and then we will do the next unlock.
That was very specific.
I know. This next question comes from Benjamin M. Dan. I don't know if you've ever said, but do any of the study group have siblings, or are they all only children?
I think didn't you say?
I feel like you said you had with Adelaide is an only child
Okay,
for
kid.
sure.
You're an
I've
only
never
child?
said,
You've never said?
but I'm gonna decide right now because I haven't thought about it.
Ooh, wait. Yeah, okay, do it.
That Sawyer has a younger sister.
A younger sister?
Yes. I've decided that right this moment.
How much younger?
3 years.
Oh boy. She's gonna be kidnapped AF.
Sawyer has a younger
Yep,
sister.
he's writing that down.
You're gonna rue the fucking day.
3
And-
years.
And you know why I'm saying
all of
that?
us are like, no, and actually my parents just died, so.
I feel like my instincts, and I think
No
this is
extended
like
family.
a common RPG instinct, whenever you ask about family or connections, is to be like, you know what would make things easier? Nothing. They have no family. Their family died.
Yep.
They're
Oh.
only child.
I
Nobody knows anything.
So disagree with that personally.
Wait, but what I was saying,
Disagree with what?
I don't know. Continue what you're
I'm
saying.
saying that's what people go to very
not what
quickly,
I-
and that's what I naturally go to with characters. And I find that in a lot of my characters being like, they have no family connections. That way it's way easier. But I think it's a more interesting choice to have family and like to have relationships, which you always do, as you were pointing out.
The cool loner is kind of like, I feel like a lot of people's like when you're first getting into RPGs, you're like, oh yeah, my guy, he's an orphan who grew up on the streets and he's a super powerful wizard.
It also makes sense practically, because if you have family, then it makes less sense that you're out wandering the world killing strangers.
Only if you like your family.
Sure.
Wandering the world killing strangers can be a great way to deal with family you don't get along with.
Yeah, no, I always think about, like, I specifically made Adelaide an only child on purpose. I don't know, maybe I always liked the, like, Batman thing, you know, growing up, but no, I think it's more interesting to have drama with a family member or, yeah, something like that.
So only
I
child.
think about that. But yeah, I do think of her as an only child.
Younger sister, 3 years younger, named?
Named Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Lindsay
You write
Sawyer.
that down, because I'm not writing it down.
Calvin is an only child?
Sawyer. So Calvin is an only child, and that's
His name's Kinsey.
by intent, just because the way he's treated by his parents, because his parents got divorced when he was probably like 11 or something, and he was very much taken back and forth between New York and Atlanta, where his mom's in Atlanta, his dad's in New York. And he actually enjoys that lifestyle of spending time with his parents, separated and apart, because like they just weren't good together. They were fighting all the time. He's like, this is better. I get both of them, and they're great. But I think I'm gonna also make a decision here to say that Calvin, what happened?
Step siblings?
That's what I'm going towards.
Ah.
So his mom is now pregnant.
Oh, I like that.
She lives in Atlanta, and she has maybe not remarried. She's not married, but she's seeing someone.
It's gonna be a demon child, you know that.
No, shut up. And she is pregnant.
Calvin's mom is pregnant.
Yes.
Ron,
No, he's an only child.
is that due to any sort of compound rule?
I don't think it's a
One child per...
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
It's less a compound rule and more a dom rule I was already choosing overprotective parents, and I didn't want more of a family that Ron would have to deal with.
Sure.
So.
I think it also makes sense too, because you have such overprotective parents and they have such a helicopter parent feel that like you are their only child, and
Yeah.
they're very much about, like, I think that's very much a type,
Well,
you know?
the other thing is that Ron is very close to the rest of his. I mean, he's close with the rest of his family, obviously, because they all live on the commune together. So he's never been like without an extended family. So.
And let me clarify, I'm not saying like doing the loner thing is a bad idea. I just think I lean into it too often, and I think sometimes it's nice to like push yourself out of your own
Chop
like
me.
character comfort zone.
Judo.
Two, Ghost Hack. I'm an only child who grew up with a single mom, and I like to have siblings. It's fun.
It's not.
Tatterdemalion bought us a shot. Everyone raise your drinks. You better top Jordan's story, Garav. Parentheses, I spelled it right. And he did. Raise him up and chug!
Chug.
Thanks very much, Tatterdemalion.
You're right.
Finger.
All right, so let's move on to the next question. This one comes from I don't want to alarm anyone, but this one comes from Benjamin Ebdam.
Hey.
Was Laura Lee Sawyer's first real girlfriend? Also, how much experience in romantic relationships do the rest of the group have? I imagine that Ron has next to none, but maybe he just doesn't talk about it. So, first of all, was Laura Lee Sawyer's first real girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And then, how much romantic relationship experience does the rest of the group have?
Oh. Damn it. No. Don't look at that.
I would say
Look at me instead. Don't.
I'll keep answering while they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think Sawyer had like some minor relationships in high school, but nothing particularly serious. And there was obviously a physical element to this relationship, which was not something he like expected coming into college.
Okay.
Necessarily.
I think Adelaide had a couple relationships before. I just think she kind of like falls into them. I don't think that she. I don't think that she thinks to seek out relationships. It's not that she doesn't want them. I just think she's kind of like.
Not something she's focused on?
yeah, she gets so focused on like I gotta do this work and I gotta do this and there's this thing and I gotta rebel against my parents, whatever. I don't think it doesn't cross her mind. She just doesn't think about it in times in which she can actually utilize it.
Do you think a boy like threw a rock at her at some point and it had a note on it that was like, "Will you be my girlfriend? Yes, no."
I don't know that. I think she would probably say no if you threw a rock at her.
But it had a nice note on it.
It wasn't a hard rock; it was a soft rock. It was like a river,
Soft
river,
rock captain.
river
Depends
worn.
on what age, but I think she would have been like, just come and talk to me. Don't throw shit at me.
Oh, you
yeah.
don't know men at all. This is what we do.
We throw rocks with notes tied to them. That is how we court an entire gender.
We might as well be, is what I'm saying. We're terrible at it. Most of us.
Yeah. I think though, have you guys ever had like a friend who's really more than a friend, but you guys never really named it anything more than that?
Uh-huh.
Because Megan has
Listen, relationships are really fucking hard, you guys.
a couple times in high school.
No,
It's true.
keep talking.
Anyway, no, it's so much fucking drama.
When's Megan's story thing coming up?
That's high school, though. I'm not
Yeah,
going
it's
to
high
tell
school.
that story. Anyway, they were 2 years older than me, so that was like way after college. So,
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, I think she probably had friends that were kind of more than friends, but never really named that way. I think she had a few that were actual relationships.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this side of the table?
Calvin's probably had tons of girlfriends that none have lasted longer than like 3 weeks. And they're always like the worst kind of people who are clearly after him for the money. Like he's a person who's very flaunting with all that he has and obviously uses that to get women, like he's not hiding that. He's not saying like, no, you have to like me for who I am. He absolutely loves the attention. But once he's in it, he's like, oh, I get it. They're only in it for that. But after being alone for a while, he's like, no, I do want that. And he's like, no, but it's a back and forth.
That makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
to me psychologically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Don?
No.
Ron has no romantic background.
No, I don't think that the compound has enough of a community for him to have connected with anyone.
Seems like an
There's not,
oversight
like,
on the part
one-
of the compound.
Yeah.
There's not like one girl your age that your parents are always like, let's have them hang out.
She's the only girl
Arranged
your
marriage?
age.
Oh man, we gotta do arranged
Yeah.
marriage.
No.
Oh, it's gonna be so good for
No,
Ron.
they don't do arranged marriage.
What is there's like dating app inside of like a compound
Well,
called
hold
like,
on, hold
called
on.
like Elder or something?
Cultistonly.com.
Guys, it's a...
Say the thing.
What?
Say the thing.
Rosa?
What's wrong with these lights? in here? Somebody fix these.
Somebody fix these lights.
Punch him in the face.
What? You have something going on with these fucking lights, huh?
What's your later reaction?
Next question.
No, I didn't think you were
Yeah.
doing it.
This question is also from Benjamin M. Dan. This is for Ron. How many people on the compound take advantage of the year off to experience the outside world? And of those, how many decide not to come back?
About 60% take the journey. They do the journey. And I would say of those, about 8% don't come back. Most people do come back.
Those are super specific numbers.
It's almost like Don has put some thought into this.
Yeah, I heard Don
He
too.
did say that.
He did
That's
say
okay.
Don.
It's not written down here. It's
I said Don.
Well, 3 people said.
I
he
think
did.
it's like people moving back to their hometown, right? It's kind of the same except more extreme.
It's way more extreme. Yeah.
It is, yeah, because it's like so separate from the rest of the world, so it'd be really scary.
Yeah.
To leave that.
I mean, the way that I look at it.
McDanry, thank you very much for the
Thank you.
resub.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
The way that I. Yeah, there you go. You spelled it right at least. The way that I look at it is that if you were raised on this compound and then suddenly you're out in the real world, it's an intense experience to be out there, and a lot of people aren't going to be able to handle that, and so they are going to want to go back to the safety of the compound. So I don't think a lot of people have had sort of the wanderlust to get out and do more things. And some get swallowed. No, not yet.
Yeah. They probably don't feel super comfortable outside of it.
Took.
Don Zagoth is his evil brother's name.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you guys know we are currently in the Benjamin M. Dan cluster. So the next several questions, I think Benjamin M. Dan submitted them all at once.
He's a very curious fellow.
So, next question from Benjamin M. Dan in the cluster. Is there any aspect of college life that the study group wishes they would have explored more in depth or would like to explore in the future?
I want to do athletics.
Athletics?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see stuff like that.
I think we were talking about me and you maybe joining the football team or something.
Maybe.
Football
Because,
team's
like-
pretty intense.
I know.
Do you join the football team casually? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you just sign up and they give you a uniform and send you onto the field.
Yeah, you're on the football team.
That's how it works, right?
So athletics for Ron. And also for Calvin?
No. That was just something we talked about.
I was going to say, I haven't seen Calvin really display
It
much
was
of an
something-
interest in
something we were
athletics.
amusing, but he wants the attention if they're a good
Sure.
team.
I would say extracurriculars is kind of the thing because I don't know. I just for me in college, clubs and the organizations you were part of was such a big part of your experience.
Nah, that shit's nerds. He wants to be
But
in a
we have
frat.
our own group, so.
I'm gonna convince Sawyer to join a frat with me.
Okay, so
Frat.
extracurriculars. Anything for
We
Adelaide?
doing a frat.
Thank you,
McHenry.
McHenry.
For sure.
No, not really, honestly.
I already got a reroll earlier.
Okay, fine.
That was
Wow.
Woo! Yeah, no, I don't really think there is anything in particular that Adelaide's not run into. Honestly, I'm more interested in the in playing with the character arc of all these characters throughout the college experience more than any particular college interaction.
But a lot of that stuff can come
Right.
out of things in the college
Right,
experience.
but that's what I'm saying. I'm more interested in seeing what things come up that affect that than having some specific thing I think will affect that.
Sure. So, but I will say now. Or sorry, go ahead.
I am interested though in continuing to play with Addie is going to parties and being social in that way because I think that's something she never felt comfortable with in high school, and I think there's an element, especially when you're a freshman and no one knows you, and I think you sort of mentioned this with Sawyer, where you can kind of go and be like, I can start new. And I think for Adelaide, it's not that she feels the need to go and be cool. I think she just doesn't feel like there's the same stigma of everyone knowing who she is, and so if she's trying something new, they'll either give her too much attention or or make fun of her. You know what I mean? So I think in this instance she's nervous about it and she wants to focus on her work, but she's also interested in kind of trying things that are not considered kosher necessarily, at least for how she grew up.
These are all great things that you guys are saying. Do hang on to those questions that you have in the chat for the end after we get through the pre-submitted questions. If there's time, we will answer some of those.
I think Tatters 0336 is entirely correct, though.
The boating level? I'm really loving what Ghost Hack just said. I want that to be Sawyer's future girlfriend, the host of the late night radio, a sultry voice on the airwaves, daring to tell the campus how it really is.
That would be kind of amazing.
That is a great idea. But I was going to say, I will say right now, any extracurriculars, any curriculars that you guys want to explore, tell me. Because otherwise, I will not bring them up or make them central to it unless I decide to ahead of time, and I have other things that I'm thinking of. So the college experience aspects of the show largely are motivated by these guys. The what's going on that's spooky and weird is my territory. But yeah, most of it comes from what they decide to talk about in an episode.
Yeah, I think Callum will definitely try to join a frat at some point.
Hey, Manalian.
That makes sense. All right, so we've gone for I'm an alien. We've gone for a little bit.
Is a historian. That's what he's doing.
So this next unlock here, bless you.
I knew it was coming.
We got this one unlocked by the Alumni Association. This really happened with Megan Case.
Oh, me!
Yes.
So Megan, tell us an awkward, embarrassing, or just typical story from your college age years.
Okay.
High school.
Well, I was trying to think. High school. No. I was trying to think of one because I took what he said too literally. Anyway, so here's just one thing that happened that
Which part?
frustrating.
Don't worry, Clint.
What? What did I miss?
No, Clint said his daughter is a late night college radio host. Cool thing for your daughter to be, though.
Yeah, stay the hell away from her, Sawyer.
Done.
All right, Megan, tell us your story.
So in sophomore year, I was in Macbeth, and it was with a bunch of older upperclassmen. I was the only sophomore.
Nothing fell on us.
We're not in a theater. I was just checking.
Oh, yeah, only sophomore. And this particular group of people in Macbeth were all friends.
Gotta run around the studio now.
And they, I don't subscribe to that in theaters anyway, but, but yeah, they drank like every single night. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how those guys survived. Every single night, every night they got drunk. But yeah, I just remember we had closed out Macbeth. And we were going to do the cast party. This was the spring semester, so it was the end of the year, and finals were the next day. This was a Sunday night.
No, it was fall semester.
Was it fall semester?
Yeah, because it was cold outside.
You're right, it was. So I was like, they were like, you have to come to the cast party. You have to come. This is, the cast party for our show. And I thought, okay, fine, I'll go. I'll just hang out for a little bit. Well, they were doing Power Hour, and for you folks who don't know Power Hour, you basically take a shot of beer every minute for an hour.
They're great.
I'm a lightweight now. I mean, I don't drink a ton, but, I drink more than I did then. I'm a lightweight now, so oh, man. Yeah, so I just remember going, they were like, you have to do Power Hour, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I will. And so I started doing Power Hour, and I remember getting really drunk, and I had an 8 a.m. final the next day. And my friends just kept pushing, they just kept pushing more shots to me. And I don't get drunk very often. I have a few times throughout my life, but I don't black out, I don't forget. I do not remember a lot of this time being drunk. This is probably the drunkest I have ever been. But I remember just being really shit-faced and seeing my friends across the table pushing more alcohol at me. I remember crawling across the floor at some point. I remember my friends were... also I should mention, I lived at home because my mom lived 3 blocks from the dorms.
Right next to the dorms.
Right next. I mean, you can walk to the dorms from where I lived. So I lived at home at this point, and yeah, it was cold, and my friends, I remember sort of being driven home and like throwing up a few times out of the car, and then I don't remember this part. I remember this part from what Jordan says, but basically they leave me on my front porch, and they left her on her front
porch in winter in Oklahoma, so she was drunk, wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and had just been left outside in the cold at like 1 a.m.
Yeah!
On her front porch.
Package.
And then they called me.
Yeah.
They texted me because Megan and I had just started talking to each other. We weren't dating. We weren't together. They just texted me and were like, hey, Megan's pretty drunk, and we left her on her front porch. And I was like, you what?
Yeah. So Jordan comes, and I guess I'm still sitting on the porch, and he puts me in his car.
Sitting is a very strong word for what you were doing. You were collapsed on the front porch.
Oh, no. And I got real upset because I was so frustrated at how drunk I was. And I was just like freaking out, kicking the shit out of his
I thought she was gonna trigger my airbags. Like she was kicking my dashboard so hard that I was like, whoa, please stop.
I was so upset, and I had no control over my frustration. And so eventually he took me inside, and like I passed out on the couch, I guess.
And I tried to get her bundled up on the couch, and I'd never met her mom.
Yeah.
Or been inside her house. And I was just like, oh my God, please don't have your mom wake up and come into the living room to see some strange dude tucking your clearly drunk daughter onto your couch. And then I like sat there and watched her for a little bit, and I left. And I have to take over at this point because you were unconscious. And I was like, crap, I've never seen someone that drunk before. So this is before smartphones, so I called my friend, and I was like, can you look up the symptoms of alcohol poisoning on a computer? And she did, and told them to me, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to go back inside to see if she has alcohol poisoning.
You had left at that point.
I left, and then I went back inside, still going like, oh God, please don't have her mom wake up. Like, just sat there and watched her breathe for a little bit, and I was like, I think she's good.
And you set an alarm, I guess, on my phone at 7:30, because I remember waking up being like, huh?
I did set an alarm on your phone because we had a voice final the next morning
We had a voice
at 8 a.m.
At 8 a.m. And he came and got me at 7:30. I was still drunk. I think you brought donuts or something. And then we went
Megan likes donuts.
I do. And then we went to the voice final, and it was a group final. And one of my asshole friends who was also there the night before, and then another friend were like, let's go first. Needless to say, I got a C on that final.
But she lived, which is the important part.
Yay, living.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Megan.
You're welcome.
That really happened.
Yay!
With Megan Caves. All right. Jumping back into the questions. This one comes from Benjamin M. Dan. Which does Cal prefer, Atlanta or New York, and why?
Ooh. I think he'd probably say New York just because that's where he gets to do all the ritzy things that he can't do in Atlanta. Like, he loves his mom and gets all the nurturing and care from his mother that he doesn't get from his father because he's always too busy and a bit colder than his mother. Yeah, I think it's tough because New York is always the place where he's taking all the photos of like him, like, hey, check me out, I'm over here. Oh, check it out on my dad's
I'm
yacht.
over here now.
On my dad's yacht. This is so cool. And when he's at Atlanta, he doesn't really take as many photos, or well, he does. He just doesn't share as many of those photos because those are all personal moments with his mother and her boyfriend and soon-to-be child that he goes home for Christmas and meets them for. So those are all a little more private, and he probably has closer friends in Atlanta than he does in New York. Friends that he keeps contact with, not just for monetary reasons, not for like class reasons, like, hey, we can go out and do the night or whatever, but he's just like, hey, come over, we can watch TV and do something that a family would do,
Sure.
So it's a toss-up, but at this point, probably New York.
New York.
Yeah,
okay.
At this point.
He's going New York.
All right.
This one's also from Benjamin M. Dan, but I feel like we kind of already answered this. Which has been the most fun NPC for the group to interact with, and which has been the most fun for the Dean to portray? I think we did talk about that.
Answer yours, yeah.
Which has been the most fun NPC for me to portray?
And why is it Barrett?
It's not Barrett, actually. I do like playing Barrett, but he's not my favorite NPC to portray. I'm trying to think. Honestly, my favorite NPC to portray this whole season was probably Brad Schwager.
Oh yeah.
Which we'll get to.
Yeah.
There
He was very
there are
good.
questions
Brad
about
Schwager.
that episode later on, but that was probably my favorite NPC to play this entire season.
I don't know if it's resonated with the audience as much as it has with me, but I kind of came out of all the things being like, no, Brad Schwager seems like the most legitimately scary person we've run into.
He's the only one that I think after the fact of the episode we've taken precautions not to like get involved with. Like I gotta get these gunshots fixed. Like we can't be seen out there. Like we're very afraid of this guy.
Right. Because he seems so real scary.
Yeah. He's a real scary. The ghosts are like scary, but like we can't do anything about that. We can die from this guy shooting us.
And we are going to talk about that later on. There are questions about that later on, so we will come back to that. This next question is from Benjamin M. Dan. Are there any situations in particular that you wish had played out in a different way this season?
Should I just like turn the light?
Is it like lightning or
No.
like, what's happening?
I don't know.
It is lightning. It's
Just
so
my
the signal.
signaling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the signal's just.
Situations we wish had turned out differently.
I kind of do wish we that Addie got possessed at this point just to see how that would have turned out, because that was like halfway through the season, and like the entire rest of the season I imagine would have been a little different because of that.
Yeah, I think that would have been interesting.
I kind of would have been interested in that.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe someone should not have kept saying Macbeth.
Jordan!
This is like a small thing.
Listen,
but-
I was a witch.
I sort of would have liked to see the fallout if Sawyer had been stabbed by the guy who was dressed up as a vampire.
Oh,
Because
okay.
he ran at him and then he crit failed, or I soaked it, or something.
I think he crit. I think he
crit
crit
failed,
failed
yeah, I
because
believe so.
we
he
had
like dropped the
He
knife.
tripped on something. and dropped
yeah,
it.
and basically I didn't. Oh yeah, no, that happened. Yeah, you're right. He dropped the knife.
Right, he dropped the knife and it like got kicked away and stuff. But I think it would have been interesting to see how it would have worked out, how it would have been dealt with if Sawyer had been like legitimately stabbed by.
I think that's a pretty common GM thing to go like. I think it would have been interesting if this antagonist for this session had not been immediately dispatched in a really humiliating way, and instead had gotten to do any of the cool things that I wanted them to be able to do.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like it's like that sort of.
But it's just lightning. I like the lightning.
Yeah, it's fine, man.
Yeah, we're kind of into this now.
I'm into
Yeah, we
it.
like
not
it.
change
Get
it?
back here on the table. You get over here.
It'll just go on and off every
We're
now
definitely
and
going to complain when it happens, but can you keep it?
Yeah, but yes, be careful. Like, it would have been fun to roleplay actually being stabbed and being like, what the fuck? How do I deal with this?
Is that the reaction? That's a bad reaction.
No, it wouldn't have been that. It would have been different.
Whoa, what the fuck?
What?
Another
Jump
story about
sandwiches.
Jordan being covered in blood. Great.
You guys haven't heard my gut stab story?
Okay,
I'll
moving
save
on.
it.
Moving on.
I'm just kidding. I've never been stabbed.
Yet.
Yeah.
Just like that Drew Barrymore movie. Never been stabbed.
Never been stabbed.
What about anyone else? Anyone else have a situation that you wish it turned out differently? Nope. Dom is 100% happy with everything the way it is.
I was definitely interested to see what would have happened had Adelaide been possessed.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting. But
I agree. I think it would have been interesting.
outside of that, nothing I can think of
Well,
off the top of my
now-
head.
I'd like to know what would have happened if I'd gone on the Loreley special date thing.
Oh, I'll never tell you what it was.
I know.
You'll never tell. Chances are you're going to get back together with her, so...
That timeline has been irrevocably deleted. Next question comes from Benjamin Mdan. I know Adelaide doesn't particularly enjoy going home on break, but has she given any thought to staying at school for summer classes? He also asks, what are the study group summer plans? But I think that's something that we're going to address at the beginning of the next season, so we won't answer that now. But, Adelaide, summer classes?
Yeah, she might be.
It wasn't an
interested in
option for Harry Potter, but it could be for you.
I strongly suspect she didn't really think about it this first semester, but I guess it'll depend upon how the summer goes, or this first year rather. From that point on, she might decide to do summer classes for sure if that's an option. Mm-hmm.
Mortem and Terratum, thank you very much for the tip. And I agree, Manalian. I think that would have been interesting too. But I think that that was a choice that Megan made in playing Adelaide.
Megan knew Adelaide. Adelaide did not put it together. Not entirely. I think her subconscious knows.
I'm going to update that on the document. Oh, that means we have unlocked yet another reward tier. Thank you very much to the Alumni Association. We will get to those. We are slowly getting to them, but I am on the way trying to get all of these other questions answered. But real quick, never mind. Let's keep going. This next question comes from Benjamin Mdan. This is for the Dean. Are there any situations where the study group's actions completely took you by surprise, or have you been able to anticipate most of their responses? Sometimes it is important for me to try and figure out how to anticipate their responses. I probably did that more earlier on when in Wildcards, but I very quickly learned that it was way more fun to just give them a thing and then have some other things that needed to happen at points that made sense later on and just kind of see where they went.
Okay.
You were like 4 for 4 for like the second to last episode on like guessing what would be.
I've gotten pretty good at figuring you guys out, but that doesn't, like every GM who runs a game can tell you without fail, like this happens constantly, and this happens at my table too here on Wildcards. Like there could be like some like I could be like there's a glowing glyph on the wall in a strange design, and next to it you just look around and you see there's a pencil and a notebook. If anybody wanted to make a sketch of this, and they'll be like a glowing glyph, huh? I feel like something's up with this pencil. I think we should look into this pencil. Something weird with this. Why was it just sitting there?
You just had a notebook there?
There was just a notebook and a pencil? And they'll just forget the glyph. I mean, that's just GMing.
I want to draw a camel on the notebook. Does it come to life?
Yeah. So this is kind of just one of the things that you learn as a GM after you've been playing with a group for a while is that stuff is going to happen. So go like have other ways to get them to the thing that you want them to get to, or just go like, you know what? Sure, yeah, it's a fucking haunted pencil. A pencil's haunted as shit. It did, but it's empty. Next question, still from Benjamin Mdan. The study group seems to be very realistic. How closely do your characters resemble what you were like in college?
In college?
95%.
95%.
Wow.
Okay.
No, okay, maybe not that much. I was Sawyer's heavily based on me. I think I've said this before, but like a big part of making...
I'm going to time you out real quick because ETU Cirquette said
yes.
That's the problem I have with high strangeness, and I do agree with that. ETU has a great system for adding in a random element of strangeness, but one of the reasons why I tend not to play with that too much is because those elements of strangeness often seem like, oh, this is something we should investigate, when instead they're just meant to be like sort of like a weird like tangential weather pattern from the strange things that happen in Pine Box, Texas, but they do have a tendency, I think, to try and pull groups off course, so I do know what you mean. Sorry.
I was just gonna say Sawyer has different like skill sets than I do, and he has different interests than I do. But a lot of the ways he's like approaching college are very based on my college experience. Like I don't have the attention to detail that I want Sawyer to have as a character, and I was never necessarily interested in journalism or anything. I was much more of a film and comedy person. But a lot of the same like drive and like shift in life from who you were in high school to who you are in college is very heavily determining how I'm playing Sawyer.
Makes sense.
I don't. I was definitely like I've always been an anxious, kind of socially awkward person, but I'm actually really good at faking it to seem like I'm a lot more confident than I am. I'm better about that kind of stuff now, but I was very similar in that in college, and I've always been kind of a like geek in my own way, but not in the way that Adelaide is. I've definitely been the type of person that kind of like wants to dress like different, like. I don't know, almost to, as far as like the rebelliousness against family, that's definitely like that kind of like tight-laced but also rebellious against family. That is definitely something I felt because there was always that feeling of not being, like I wasn't right somehow, and I think that's very much how Adelaide feels. She's just different from her family, but I kind of went a different direction with it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really think I was like that in college. I was awkward and shy and like anxious and things like that, but
Not like Adelaide.
Nothing like Adelaide. I read people a lot better than Adelaide does. I have a lot of, and I'm really good with social cues, and Adelaide is not. She puts her foot in her mouth. I don't know that. not like that.
Sure. This side?
So real quick, because Ghost Hack just said something about Calvin having doubting Thomas as an edge or a flaw. Was it intentional to play?
We actually are getting to that later.
Is that in there?
Yeah.
Great. I do want to answer that.
But also save questions for the end too, if you have any in chat.
So I am in college. I was 50% like Calvin, and the other 50% was Adelaide. Like if you combine those two, that's what I was like in college. Like I did like to party when I could, but I also graduated near the top of my class. So like. I wanted to be in film and do stuff for film and stuff. It was a community college. It wasn't like the classes were hard or anything, but I also wanted to party every night that I could party, but not when there was like a test. I was also working like 2 jobs at the same time, so it's very difficult to party when you're doing that.
Kortra asks, so you were a caddy?
He was Alvin.
Oh, Alvin is
Alvin!
Alvin is
Alvin!
It was Alvin.
Alvin the caddy.
Oh God, they're here for Alvin.
They're coming to get Alvin! No! You'll never
That's
get
what we've
me
been
on.
waiting for.
Adelaide.
That's like a car.
Caldolade.
Get in my Caldolade.
You were
Okay.
in a cult until you were in college, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Everything that Ron goes through.
Isn't theater a cult, though? Let's be
I
honest.
mean, it depends.
It's cult-ish.
Yeah. No. I aside from not drinking, doing drugs, smoking, anything like that, and loving my parents, I have nothing else in common with Ron.
Nothing else in common with Ron.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I was just like this in college. I am going to, and it's not because we don't love you, but I'm going to skip a cluster of Benjamin M. Dan questions here because I don't want this to be just Benjamin M. Dan asked questions. I feel like we got the larger, more pertinent ones. A couple of the ones that we didn't get to are more like character minutia, which we may get back to if there's time. But thank you very much for your questions, Benjamin M. Dan. We will move on. This question was submitted by Anonymous. I think we can all agree that Barrett is amazing. Are there any plans to give him a spin-off show, or at the very least to put more content out on his YouTube channel? B Squad for life, yo.
Wait, did Barrett submit this question?
Barrett did not.
Spin-off.
However, I can say yes, 100%. There are plans for a spin-off show where I just GM for myself as Barrett.
This is Barrett.
No,
People would watch
no,
that.
there is
all the characters.
100%.
I
would watch
There
that.
is no plan for a spin-off show. More content on his YouTube channel. Yes, I would love to. I still haven't done the Ask Me Anything video that we unlocked before, and I am going to do that very soon. But honestly, between running this show, working my full-time job, and doing other stuff on the channel, I don't see myself putting out a crap load of content on Barrett's YouTube channel. It was always meant to be more of like, just sort of like a fun little extra thing. So yes, I would like to do more, but also like, don't hold your breath. I specifically told you not to. All right. Next song.
Breath pact. Here we go.
Next song.
Next song?
Next song.
Thank you.
Tenacious D.
Oh wait, hold on.
Oh.
These are still Benjamin M. Dan
Oh, can you
questions.
fix these lights?
Hold on. Okay, all right, here we go.
Questions, Benjamin. M.
Here we go. Yes, thank you very much. And thank you for the resub. Coster or Coaster?
Thanks.
Coaster! Thank you.
This question came from Peter Buxton, and it also involved what would have happened in the scene with the thing in the corner if Adelaide hadn't succeeded. So now we know. Thank you very much, Peter Buxton, for submitting that question. She'd have been instantly disintegrated. This question comes from Ozark Howler, and it's a little bit of a different question than we've gotten here on these chatbacks before. What is involved in setting up for a live broadcast? Can you describe some of the behind-the-scenes work that we typically don't get to see?
Dumb question.
Oh boy.
I'm going to that.
No, I got this. Dom is
Like-
the answer to this.
Like the technical stuff, or like
Well, just
all of the
like
stuff.
the things that we do to get ready for Wildcards, let's say. So
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You know, we get the cameras all set up and angled right. I make sure that all that stuff is working. We had an audio test, but unless you go live and something's happening with the stream, you can't tell if that stuff happens. So, like for this, I set up some special lights and everything for that. But we have the lights going on. Make sure audio is right. I have to switch over all the commands and stuff from the previous show to this new show. Change up Twitch. Make sure that the social command is for the right show and everything like that. And turn on toasts and the themes, the wildcard themes for the unlocks, and and then we put up these backdrops for this particular show.
yeah, we hang the backdrops. I bring in all of my crap, and I have to get my computer set up, all of my like screen and notes and dice and accessories and the different props and things for the different characters I know I'll be portraying that night. I typically try and get everyone to leave me the hell alone because I'm in the middle of like crunch mode for crystallizing and distilling all of my prep. But at that point is when I become the most interesting person to talk to. It doesn't work super well no matter where I go in the studio.
We follow him around the studio.
Eventually, someone will just come over and sit next to me and start talking to me about something else, and I'm like, leave me the hell alone. Now it's just a joke that everyone plays on me.
Yep.
Megan typically cooks a family-style meal for all of us to eat, so we get here early to hang out and have some food. Rick gets things set up behind the camera if he's here. If not, Dom gets everything going. And then, we
a lot
just...
of in-between stuff, too, for social, and I don't know if that's what you're
Yeah, we try and take pictures. They do their shot video.
There's a lot of things to keep in mind, and there's never enough time or enough forethought to do.
Yeah, it's a lot. But it's just what we do.
Yeah, one of these days I'll do an actual behind the scenes style video for you all for YouTube and show you kind of what what happens when I walk into the studio for a show.
We'll just make a saving throw documentary.
I wonder.
Yeah. Next question also comes from Ozark Howler. How much out-of-game coordination is done between players or between GM and players? The improv is impressive. So I just want to say, we talked a little bit about this earlier. The improv is very impressive at this table because these guys are great. I try and do as much of it as I can as well. I am loath to give them any information at all before a session starts for a couple of reasons. One is because, as I've said before, I am a GM who really enjoys secrets as my main mode of storytelling. And then two, I don't like the idea of artificially creating moments of discovery at the table or pretending that we're all organically playing this game when really I'm like, here are your, plot points that you have to hit, everybody. I don't think we are a show. And we are aware of that. And from time to time, if I feel like I absolutely have to, I will let them know ahead of time. Typically like 10 to 15 minutes ahead of time. I try to cut it close. Hey, we might run into some kind of this situation where you might need to have an in-character thing prepared. So be thinking about that.
Oh, wait, okay. From our perspective, I will tell you that, the most he ever really tells us is hey, there might be a point tonight where, you have to make a decision. And I'm not, using this in vague terms. I'm saying he will say, almost these exact words. Be like, there might be a point tonight where you have to make a decision. When you have to make the decision, just make a decision. Because we've got to like get through it.
That very much sounds like almost word perfectly something I would have said.
And we'll be
to
like,
one of
what
the before
decision?
show.
You'd be like, you'll know when we get there.
Well, no. I mean, there's an exact moment before the season finale, and Jordan pulled me aside about 5 minutes before the show started and was like, "When we do our what happened in between episodes thing at the beginning of the thing, don't do anything with your parents." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, I just told him not to contact his parents.
That's the level of
contact my
prep
parents, yeah.
we have
So-
coming into
So
this.
it's like, oh, okay.
One example of a time when we prepped more was the flashback episode with Gabriel and Rosaline that we did in Deadlands, because it was a flashback, because we had to get to the end, like a particular end, and that was so hard and
so hard.
frustrating.
And it wasn't super fun.
No, it really- yeah.
So yeah, like the only reason we did that was because we literally had to, just to make sure
Yeah.
we didn't go like, oh, we've ruined the future somehow.
Right.
Emperor Riptide, thank you very much.
you.
for the
Thank
tip.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Attack
you.
Type.
Be to
Yeah.
speak here, you joke, but that is sort of how it happened about me learning that Howell was harrowed. Like, he did not tell any of us. Like, that survey or whatever that poll you guys did went on like 3 months ago or something.
Oh, yeah.
And we did not know until like the end of the session. I was not going to be there for a session. I was going to miss it. And then they were going to find out when I was gone that I was harrowed. And I found out the night of the previous episode. And I was just like, I can't tell anybody for 2 weeks? Why?
Yeah.
How do you
Real,
do
we
this?
didn't know.
No,
we
we
did not
had no
know.
idea.
How did you do this?
And that's important to me. It is actually really important to
Torture
me
is
that
important
when we no, not that, but that when we are doing this, that yes, we are a show, we are trying to entertain you guys, and hopefully we succeed at that. But also we're here to play a game. And my philosophy, all of our philosophy, really at the Wildcard table is if we are all enjoying the game that we're playing, and it's the kind of game that we want to play, that our excitement for that will hopefully translate to you guys and will be enough form of entertainment so that we don't have to sit down and like try and make it a show by like plotting things out. Like that's what I do as a GM, but I don't share that with them.
Like, I like to hope that if, let's say, like, Twitch shut down tomorrow for something, and there was no way on Earth that we could continue playing this game ever again.
On a stream.
That we would still probably be like, well, we should play through the next year, right?
Like, just for ourselves. Like, we
Yeah.
want to know. We're attached to this.
Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. But also, I will say again, you are absolutely right. The improv is fantastic, and that's because these players are amazing. So any of the really cool character bits that come out of these, scenes that seem to come out of nowhere in the middle of an episode sometimes are all coming from the heads of these guys and me rolling with the punches on it. So like, I will absolutely say the improv is fantastic because these guys are fantastic. So I hope that answers your question. Ozark Howler also has another question. The thing in the corner. Addie was not expected to make that roll. Will we ever find out what the expected outcome of that encounter was? Yes.
Rewind.
Rewind and watch what happened earlier.
Great.
Wow.
Everyone,
YouTube rewind.
raise your drinks. We have 2 shots. One from Vampire 54. Experience pointers. All you need is some time turners. Raise them up
Oh,
and chug.
those things are illegal.
Thanks, Vampire 54. And Emperor
illegal.
Riptide
Unless you're
bought
a
us
really
a shot.
overachieving student.
Shots to 6 seasons and a movie.
Yeah.
Raise them up and chug. There's only going to be 4 seasons.
Jordan.
There might not be a movie. I don't know.
Away!
Pogue needs a second Coke.
This is another question from Ozark Howler.
Reload.
Wait, no, I got it.
Don't open that.
Reload.
Just like stab it with those fingers.
Have you ever considered appearing at PAX Unplugged? Yes. PAX Unplugged is a convention we would dearly love to attend.
love PAX.
The problem is we are a very small group with very limited resources, and those resources are already largely taxed just by going to Gen Con.
Yeah.
Which we try and make it a point to do every year. And we have, as a large group, have gone for the past several years.
A lot of people going this year.
This year it is a plan that the Wildcards crew has been doing to try and attend more smaller conventions, which is why we were at Genghis Con and Chupacabra Con and things like that. We would love to go to all of these things. It's just really hard to find the time, the space, the money, and all of that, and just honestly the planning and scheduling you have to do for a full upcoming year of conventions.
Oh my God.
Basically, as soon as each January comes around, we would have to be like, we're already too late.
Well, and what you have to remember is that when we're saying, like, it's a financial burden, we're not saying, like, oh, it's a financial burden on some enormous corporate entity that is saving throws.
Shields up!
Hello, blind seer.
Yeah!
But it's like, it is a big financial burden on each of us as individuals.
Yeah, we pay.
Dom would love to take us all to conventions, but we all have to pay our own way to go to these places. And
which
so
we love to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
and we love to meet you guys.
It's definitely something that we would. I'm repeating. It is something that we'd love to do, and it's something that we're trying to do more of. And with the Wildcards crew, it's just we're a smaller group, so it's a little bit easier to send us out. We can coordinate a little bit better, but it's hard to be at conventions. For us and make it, sort of worth what we're doing.
We're pretty great at moving game tables, though.
Yeah,
very
Clint,
good at that.
So.
We did it.
And we will be taking more questions from the chat after we get through these pre-submitted questions. So if you do have more questions, I love that question, Horace. Hang on to that for the end.
Hold on to that. But anyway, I am hoping I can do PAX Unplugged this year, but I would love to have people come with me to do PAX Unplugged. A lot of it depends on if we can get a panel into PAX Unplugged or something that we can do there.
It helps. Like if there's an event that we're part of, it
like we're not big enough for
more.
PAX Unplugged to be like, hey, we're gonna give you money to come to our thing, or we'll put you up in a room. We still gotta pay our own way to get there. So I hope that I can make it. This will be the third year of me saying that, and I still have badges from year one that because I got them and it was too late to return them. So hopefully, but we're going to be at other cons this year, so.
But thank you for the question. This next question also comes from Ozark Howler. Can you describe an instance where your players misconstrued a piece of your carefully constructed puzzle, taking your story down an unexpectedly superior path, and you simply made that the new reality without letting on?
Get out of here.
No.
We've always gone the worst path.
Are you saying no, you won't describe it, or?
Correct.
Okay.
I will say.
No, but honestly, because I literally can't think of a moment like that right now, and there is a reason for that, which I will explain after Megan says what she was going to say.
What I will say is he often, especially talking to me as a newer GM, talking about GM stuff, he often talks about the gifts that players give you, which is, I guess, something in improv as well. But yeah, I mean, he talks about that all the time. He often talks about how what us as players come up with is way more creative than what he could have. Not that he can't, but 4 minds against 1, I think is really what he means by that.
Yeah, there are definitely times that happens. I will say it's another thing that I've learned running RPGs for these guys for as long as I have now, which is the longest I have ever run consecutively as a GM and the longest I've ever been with one gaming group. I learned to stop prescribing things as much in my prep and just go, I just come up with situations more. Situations and a predicted outcome sometimes, but sometimes not. And I just kind of see what they do and then go from there. So that's really become more of my mode of operation instead of a thing that happens that goes against what I was thinking. It happens constantly in a lot of small ways at the table. They'll have an idea about, they'll mention something offhand. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a more fun thing to be happening in this scene, so I'll make that be what's happening in this scene. But not really huge. Very rarely does that happen with something really huge because I'm already sort of keyed into what they're thinking and doing in that respect, if that makes sense.
Night of Fultus, we will be at Gen Con.
Oh yeah, Gen Con.
We will be at Gen Con.
And stay tuned for hopefully some more information about that.
So since
Our Gen Con show last year was like one of my favorite shows.
it was really fun.
Yeah,
Since
totally.
Megan got up from the table, and because we have unlocked some things that we haven't gotten to yet, and because this next question is for everybody, it seems like it's
right.
time for This Really Happened!
Yay!
With Gaurav Gulati.
Wait, I wanted Megan to hear it too.
She's on her way back. Gaurav,
Yes.
can you tell us an embarrassing, awkward, or typical story from your college-aged years?
Okay. Yes. So, funny enough, it also involves alcohol and blacking out. But that seems to be a key fact in all college stories that are fun to talk about.
Not mine.
Oh, challenge accepted. This was when I was in my second. I only went to 2 years of college. I got an AS degree, so it was my second year. I was almost done, and my friend who I lived with at the time, my roommate, was like, "Hey, do you want to go visit my friend in Alabama? He's an old friend of mine. I used to go to school with him. He said we can meet him there, and then we can go to Nashville for the weekend." Which is like a fun thing you do. You go to Nashville and go to this like strip of bars that are like well known, and it's just a fun thing you can do. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like fun. So we road tripped it there. We drove 8-10 hours from Orlando, Florida to Alabama or whatever. We met him, we did some stuff, and then the next day we left to Nashville. We got to Nashville and we got a hotel, and then we went out for the night to all the bars and stuff. The first bar we went to was one of those bars where they have like people dancing on like the bar, like.
Coyote Ugly style.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so we were having a lot of fun, and we were also talking to a lot of girls there. None of them who like were interested as far as we could tell. But at the bar, I was like, I want to buy everybody shots. So I bought it was just me and 2 others, and I bought them shots. And I was like, okay, one more, and I kept on doing it. And then my friend told me like, hey, by the way, that you're using the most expensive type of vodka. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. More. And eventually I was like, I asked for the bill, and they're like, oh, you're good. And I was like, what? And apparently someone had paid it?
What?
Without me looking? Or something. Or they fucked it up. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. It was
amazing.
It was a Christmas miracle, and I don't know. And that made me so happy that I was like, more. I want to drink more. I want to drink so much more.
Cool, I made it out of the woods alive.
Yeah.
Back in.
and then we also, at that bar, we finally met like 3 girls who were also there, who were not from there visiting, and we got to talking, and we were all flirting with each other. And around that point, after I'd had...
Were they all the female version of you guys, like in TV shows?
It kind of felt like that.
Cool.
But they eventually left that bar, and we're like, well, we'll do something else. And at that point is when I started like sort of blacking out, because I don't remember much else. I remember going to other bars and drinking more. And then I blacked out. And then I remember, well, this is my friend told me, because I don't remember waking up here. But apparently we were at one bar, and I was in the bathroom throwing up. And they went up to, like, the bar was closing. They were like, everybody has to leave. And they knew I was throwing up in the bathroom. Some bouncer had...
Did the girls have elf ears?
They did not have elf ears, but they did speak in foreign tongue. They were from like Ireland or something.
Ooh.
They were very like, their accent was very specific.
Did you say they spoke in foreign tongue?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I don't know.
Dialect.
Maybe they were
What
speaking
is this
Gaelic.
foreign tongue?
Maybe
you
they were
speak?
speaking Gaelic the whole
Maybe
time.
they were.
Speaking
They were very
Irish.
specific. I don't know what it was. But basically, I was throwing up in the bar, in the bathroom, and the bouncer's like, "All right, he's got to go, or they've got to go pretty soon." Or actually, he said she's got to go pretty soon, and they're like, "Oh, that's a guy." And he's like, "Oh, he's got to go now. Get him out of there." And they're like, "What?" Because he's a guy. He's like, "Yeah, I don't give a shit. Get him out." I'm like, "What?" So they dragged me out and put me in their car. And also, this was before I had gotten laser eye surgery. I still have glasses on. This is going to become relevant.
Laser eye surgery.
Yes, I was so sick that I was throwing up outside of their car. And the one thing I remember from being blacked out is me losing my glasses, like throwing up outside of the window of a car. And I was like, no! And then I blacked out and didn't remember the rest of it. But yeah, that like I have glasses for the rest of my trip. The next 2 days, I was like, well, I can't see anything. This is great. It's wonderful. What a great party that we had. And
This
yeah.
really
That really
happened.
happened.
This really happened
a
with
real
Gaurav
thing.
Gulati. Thank you guys in the
Also,
Alumni Association for unlocking that.
Welcome, Ovocop. There was a question about your GIFs earlier.
Oh yeah.
So.
Hi.
That's true. You missed it. You should go back and watch the replay where we all talk about how great your gifts are. All right. Next question from Roger Cantor. What was the process you used to pick major hindrances?
The process we used?
We only have one, or I only have one. Right?
Everyone
We all
should only have
just one.
one.
Right.
How many major hindrances do you have?
I think Curious was mine.
Yes.
I think because I knew I wanted to do a journalist, because I've wanted to do a journalist character. Even in Deadlands, I think I initially talked about doing.
You did. You wanted to be a yellow
character.
journalist.
Yeah, and that's a very different idea from like the Sawyer idea. But I feel like Curiosity was like the clearest and most obvious, and it's also like a super useful hindrance as far as like being able to like find reasons to get involved in stuff. So that's why I chose it.
Okay.
I really like characters that have some kind of edge of darkness to them. I like playing with contrasts. So that was one of the main reasons I picked Cursed. And also, I actually had created Adelaide before, which I've talked about her so many times on stream.
We will get to that later.
Oh, so I should not keep talking? Wait.
I mean, you can
what
talk
do I
about
need
your
to edit?
hindrance.
Okay.
I'm just saying the whole
So-
previous version of Adelaide.
That's fine. I just really, I think I wanted her to have sort of a mystical background of some kind that was dark, and her contrast of being not that at all and having to deal with who she really is when she learns that, is why I wanted to pick it. You know, I don't know, I wanted to go extreme. I mean, I had, not that Curiosity can't be, but I had Curiosity as Rosaline, so I really wanted to do something that was more, just really affected her more directly, like Cursed.
Which it does.
Who boy does it?
Over here?
Yeah, so Calvin has overconfident, which means he should be overconfident in everything he wants to do. The problem became early on is that he didn't want to do anything that involved ghosts because that shit is spooky and also like weird. Like he didn't want to be involved in that. But the reason I picked overconfident is because he wanted to fit the model of being a jock, essentially. One of those guys who's like, yeah, I can do that. I can do whatever I want because I have all this money, all this power. And so overconfident felt like the best fit for him. But so far it hasn't come up too many times. And that's sort of on me at this point.
Fun hindrance though,
It is a fun hindrance.
from being Gabe.
Right. You played him better.
Clueless is my major hindrance, and
I feel like Dom plays that every now and then.
yeah, yeah. It just, I mean, you know, it made sense for the character. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a progress report for everyone. We have 76 questions remaining. So let's get through these.
What? Yeah, let's lightning round some
All
of
right,
these.
Emperor Riptide for the characters. Favorite horror movie
The Thing.
for your characters. Calvin's favorite
characters.
Hold
for
on.
your characters' favorite horror movie.
Ooh.
Phantom of the Opera, the original.
The original Phantom of the Opera. Okay.
Ooh. Damn.
Did Michael Bay do a horror movie?
I mean, okay.
Every movie Michael Bay has made is a horror movie.
It is.
Shut up.
I don't think that this is probably what Adelaide would have just because she's so much younger than me, but because I am the age that I am, I'm going to say that Craft, even though I don't know that I would quite put it as a horror movie, but I think you could categorize it that way. But I think she would like anything that had sort of a mystical element to it, basically.
Okay.
I think scary movie. Yeah. Actually, my Calvin's answer would probably be he would not admit to having a scary movie that he likes because being scared is a thing of weakness, and he does not want to show that in any way. So like him being like, oh, and everybody makes fun of him. He's like, nah, not doing this anymore. Exorcist.
So he just doesn't like scary movies because they don't scare him.
Because like people are like, hey, what's your favorite scary movie? And he's like, nah, I don't do that. But if he says like this one, they're like, oh, let's go watch it. He's like, no, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to leave that on.
Okay.
All right, I'm stealing this because BSB cares. This has to be a Hitchcock film for Sawyer, and he said that. I'm like, yes, it does though.
Yeah.
And I think it's Rear Window.
Rear Window.
That tracks.
That makes sense.
yeah.
About a very
Yeah.
curious guy in a wheelchair.
And who also is just in a situation where no one believes what he's saying, and he knows that's the case, and he's just
Cabin
put
in
in
the
danger
Woods is
by
good
it.
too.
Sure. All right.
I've seen Cabin in the Woods myself,
Oh,
and I
so
didn't know
good.
Chris Hemsworth was in it, and I do really
Lightning.
like Chris.
He's great in it.
Oh, Cabin in the Woods is so good.
Emperor Riptide also asks for Sawyer. And I don't know if Emperor Riptide actually meant this to be a question for Sawyer. I suspect he might have meant Calvin, but I'm going to ask it anyways and see what you guys think.
Okay.
The rest of the group seem to be leaning harder into the occult, while Sawyer still seems to be almost a doubting Thomas. Is there some reason he shies away from the arcane or magic-y stuff?
Why are you doing that, Sawyer?
Okay, well, actually, I do think Sawyer does kind of lean away from it a bit more.
Okay.
Than like Addie and Ron. And I think partially it's because Sawyer was raised on the idea of, like, things that are unfounded are not
See
real.
you later, Robocop.
You know, like, he was very much like the superstition is wrong kind of a way. And it's like, if you don't have facts to back things up, they're not real.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Well, no, the question was for Sawyer, so that's a good answer. There is actually a similar question for Calvin later on.
Adelaide wants to believe, so yeah.
Emperor Riptide asks Adelaide, who, if anyone, does Addie trust at the end of the year to be herself around? She seems to keep getting burned by opening up around people.
I don't know that she trusts anybody yet. I honestly, at least through the gameplay, I don't think she's gotten
Ron
close
is
enough.
insulted.
But I was gonna say Ron would be the closest, simply because she sees similarities. She sees bits of herself in Ron. She sees that he feels like an outsider, and she, to a larger degree than she has. And she doesn't want that for anybody else. So I think in that sense, like, she feels a kindred spirit that, you know, he struggles, she struggles. So there's sort of a safety in being able to be more vulnerable with that. She definitely does not feel like she can be fully vulnerable with Calvin. And Sawyer, it's different. I think for her with Sawyer, she doesn't really trust his judgment when it comes to people and their interactions. Because the whole Lauralee and Sawyer relationship really bothers her, and I don't know that I've fully formulated why. I think partly it's that she's loyal is one of her hindrances, and she doesn't like seeing her friend be kind of, in her mind, taken advantage of, and also she's inevitably stuck in the middle of it, and it makes her feel weird. Yeah. Okay. I feel like there's more to that, but I lost track of where I was going.
No, that's fine. It's a good answer.
That's good.
Emperor Riptide also has a question for Calvin. What does Calvin think of the new Bumblebee movie?
He loved it.
Semi-serious follow-up question. Is there more than meets the eye to Calvin, or is he on the inside the same as he appears around people?
There's definitely more that meets the eye. And that's kind of... I sort of had a projected arc for him, but I don't know exactly how that will play out. But basically, yes, just like most people who act this way and are overconfident and are seemingly invulnerable to everything anybody else does and wants to be the most powerful force in the world, like, there's a lot more brewing inside of Calvin that he wants to allow. He doesn't want to show weakness, but clearly in front of these people, he has been weak and will probably continue to do so in the coming years.
Sure.
Especially, like, I think he's actually taken, with Ron, he's actually become a pretty good friend of, and is legit sad that if Ron doesn't come back, like, he was very against him going back there and not coming back to school.
On that note, Emperor Riptide would like to ask Ron, aside from your friends, what non-compound available luxury does Ron feel it would almost be worth staying at ETU for?
Ooh, I mean, internet.
Hot tubs.
Ooh, has he put in a hot tub? Get you a hot tub.
No, not the internet. I think Ron sees the inherent... To me, I'm trying to make Ron the best of us in a way. I think Ron sees the inherent downsides to having information at your fingertips. There's definitely a good component to that, and it's helped the study group and Ron specifically. But he stays away from like social media and stuff like that, so he sees downsides there. But the thing that he, what would he like to, what would keep him
Have you guys tried Yumka?
Greek yogurt. No,
Yamcha.
we haven't really explored a lot of things. We've gone to restaurants and stuff, which Ron has not been impressed by.
mean,
But
like-
we haven't like gone to like a movie or anything.
I got you
But, like-
yoga class.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we would have taken you a movie. Like, at this point, like, I know we don't talk about everything we do, but, like...
And that's it's important to point out, if we talked about everything they did,
Yeah.
we would never do anything else.
Yeah. I am constantly doing things on a daily... Like, in real life...
It's
But
really different
at the
from
same
Jack
time,
Nicholson that way.
think about more things better.
Yep.
No. But that's actually an
The
interesting...
show could be 7 hours long, guys. I'm telling you, it's going to be...
that's an interesting
Instead of
contrast
only
to me.
4
Yeah,
hours
I
long.
know. That's what I'm saying.
That's an interesting contrast to me between like Deadlands and ET, because in a lot of ways, we were talking about the majority of everything we did outside of the very, very mundane, you know, like getting ready in the morning. Whereas in ETU, we don't. It's different.
Yeah.
It is different. So it's interesting because you kind of, I feel like D&D settings, like fantasy settings are often, for the most part, like you're with us every minute. So
Yeah.
this is kind of different and hard to maintain sometimes.
You're
Yeah,
very
no.
funny, DJ Phoenix.
No,
Never
exactly.
gone
'cause
6 hours.
In Deadlands,
Tom.
in Deadlands, we had to stay together and
Right.
we had to be together, and most of the tasks that we needed to accomplish together. Whereas here, it's in our, we understand college life, it's in our purview, and we're like, no, I have a class that is not with you, so I'm not with
Right.
you at this time.
Right.
So there are things that not, but I would say Ron likes movie theaters. If we have gone to, let's just say in canon, we've gone to a movie theater
to see Bumblebee at least. I would have been like, come see this robot movie.
and Ron didn't like the movie so much,
was a
but
good movie.
it's actually not a bad movie.
Yeah.
But the experience of a movie with, like digital screen and THX sound and stuff like that is way different than the yurt that he's used to watching movies in.
I imagine Ron just be like, it's a little loud.
Yeah, no, really. During the, how many more of these are there?
These are just trailers, man. There's like 2
Wow.
hours of this, man.
This has been like 6 mini movies.
You guys are doing great. We only have 70 questions left now
I
at this
know.
point.
I'm sorry.
This question comes from LARP Fan for Life.
yes.
So will Addie ever go back to LARPing? And if she does, will she drag the group out again for some adventure?
I think she definitely goes back to LARPing. I think Adelaide was like, these are my people. So I think that's something she does in her off time for sure. I think she would probably like offer up the invitation to everybody, but I don't think she would force anyone.
Okay. Cool. Loki the Ferret asks, what if the whole divorce was just to throw Ron off his game and his mother is really a drug lord or something and this is just how she controls all of the people at the compound? That's an interesting
That'd be neat.
thought.
Yeah, that'd
What
be
if?
neat.
Oddly specific.
This question comes from Mr. Hellfire. Is it just me, or is Addie really an immortal who every 30 years goes and puts herself in college so she can seem normal because she seems like one of those people who know way too much about what was cool 20 or 30 years ago and is playing catch-up?
Fun fact, Adelaide is Glory.
The movie?
No, the Buffy
Yes,
bad.
yes. The
The movie.
I really like
the
that
Matthew
movie.
Broderick, Denzel
Yeah.
Washington.
That was a
Morgan
really
Freeman
good
vehicle.
movie.
It was a pretty good movie. No, well, what you are in fact witnessing, Mr. Hellfire, is someone who did go to college, 10 or so years ago, and is trying to talk about the things that she likes, but recontextualize them for a modern day college
It is
student.
funny because I was doing it, I'm like, damn, is that still like, would that still be the same? I don't know.
All right, wait.
But your theory is interesting.
I just want to point out how good I think DJ Who's comment is. Just Sawyer is Scully, Addie is Willow, Calvin is Spike, and Ron is Xander.
I like
Oh,
everyone
no.
else is a Buffy
No.
character.
No,
except for
Calvin
you.
is Xander.
Ron is Buffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron is
Yes.
Buffy.
Xander never kicked a hole through anything.
But Buffy was so socially cool. Besides,
Only
she was-
in
she's
no,
pretty
actually,
awesome.
she was never socially cool
Yeah,
in the
she's
TV
fucking
show.
awesome.
She was
Yeah.
always because that's why she was friends with Willow and Xander.
We heard
Yeah.
she was socially cool at her old school,
Yeah.
but she was never popular at her
I
new
guess,
school.
but I still feel
and
like
in
she had a
college.
general understanding of how to manage the social.
How much Buffy?
How much Buffy have you
I've
watched?
watched 7 episodes
Of which season?
Fucking
of the first
thank
season.
you.
Okay, so we've,
But I still think she was more like
No. You
in
watched the
touch with
first
the-
season. It's
Yeah,
completely
no.
different.
yeah, it's
that's where they. And I've seen the movie.
Oh my god, it's
yeah,
so different.
from her old school.
Watch
moving
the rest of it
on.
and then talk to us.
It's only wrong in church. Would like to ask. Is
Wow.
it just me, or is Sawyer secretly trying to date Ron now that he's single?
Ooh, what?
I don't see it.
I think it might just be you.
I think it might just be you. But hey, who knows? Who knows how things could go? I think there's definitely been some bonding.
Were you
between-
feeling that way?
Absolutely.
Ron's
I think
picking
there's
up on
definitely
it.
been some bonding
Absolutely.
between
I love that. I love that
Sorry, Ron.
you were like, hey, I'd like to integrate Ron here, and I was like, yes. And I wanted to play that because Sawyer and Ron have always been somewhat diametrically opposed. when they come to things.
we've been at an angle.
Yeah,
basically.
and that was a perfect opportunity for them to get and connect. So I love that. I love that scene. Anyway,
Okay.
but yeah, romantically, yes, totally, Bone Town, 100%.
Bone Town.
no. Oh man.
You have a question? Because we've got so many
it's
more
fine.
to go
I just
through.
have something that, like, I think it's really interesting to examine, especially because we've done these 2 different campaigns and even some other characters within that, to examine the like relationships that we have as people and how they manifest in our characters and if we see similarities between them. I just think that's interesting. But anyway,
Okay, we might answer it when we get to the end.
If we get to the end, we have a lot more questions to do here.
Good question.
Please hold on to it.
Kinky Khan for you asks, so when are they hitting a Comic-Con and Addie becomes super popular while
God.
Calvin ends up realizing the best kind of ladies are nerdy ladies because
my
sometimes they have a real kinky side.
Oh my.
That's true.
We'll see.
Maybe that'll be our Gen Con live show. Who knows?
Oh, that's a good idea.
You know, okay, wait. I'm going to say this, and I don't think I won't go into too much detail here, but I don't think Sawyer necessarily loves a lot of fiction stuff. He's not as into like fiction stories and comics. You know, he doesn't like. He's not as big into things that aren't real.
So this is
He
the
likes
episode we saw when
stories that
he's
are
gone.
This is where Sawyer would go, I think the truth is stranger than fiction sometimes.
He's just more. Yes, actually, yes.
So yeah, that's definitely maybe potentially something that will happen perhaps. Weirdo Clock Shift asks, will the gang end up going on a road trip to save Rond and end up meeting some beautiful cult people of interest?
Guess you'll have to watch and find out.
I guess
right?
you'll have to tune in next season. Man, sometimes we just really just kind of blow.
Speed and flash.
Well, sometimes you just can't answer. Hot for Not asks, will the boys ever get to see those photos on Ron's phone? No, because Ron's phone is not capable of ever having received those photos. And also, for all we know, those were photos of whatever Stacy might have actually been.
You don't think Calvin took Ron to the Verizon store? I was like, hey man, look at this guy's phone. Like, can you fix this? Please? Can you figure this
They
out?
probably
That sounds
laughed
weird
and were like-
when Calvin has the internet.
What? To fix the photos on a phone? I have no idea. I don't know how to do that.
I took what you meant there in a completely different direction.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
You guys know?
she meant pornography.
I did.
That's what I was talking about.
That's what I assumed.
I thought you meant to fix the phone.
No, I meant pornography.
No. No.
Calvin's not
course.
into pornography.
Ron, check out this porn though.
Had to find out for us, asks, should the study group just go poly and date each other already?
No.
Just make
Probably
that
not.
the whole second season.
You guys really want us to bond each other?
Adelaide's upward.
Adelaide's what?
Upward.
Adelaide's up
Whoa.
for it, 100%.
Kinky.
Yeah. DJ Who, great questions. Please save them for the end. First, I have to get through all of these.
We're kind of rolling through it now, though.
Trying
Yeah,
to.
we're doing well. We've only got 80 left.
Love this show, thank you, asks, will Addie start up a D&D game with the group?
She will definitely try. But she might get them to try this like really cool game that not as many people know about. It's called Savage Worlds.
One of my favorite things in the ETU book is that the gamer extracurricular activity specifically mentions that they love playing Savage Worlds or many other fun games with their friends.
Yeah, that's fun.
I like.
Sorry would be into D&D or Savage World. Like he would play RPGs.
B Squad Forever asks, ever thought about icing Barrett to teach him not to be a jerk? So here's the thing about icing Barrett. As of right now, Barrett does not seem aware of bros icing bros as a concept.
Fuck me.
Icing Barrett would not so much teach him to not be a jerk as it would open up his eyes to the possibilities inherent in this little game between friends. I feel like if Barrett got iced, the result would be real world me.
That's Pandora's box.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah,
the
it would
Ice
be
Age.
Jordan. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pointing at Jordan Pritchett.
Yeah.
Great question. B Squad Forever also asks, or states, we need more B Squad in this game. So the whole thing with the B Squad is that I don't think they're real. The whole thing with Barrett's he's part of Calvin's annoying roommate hindrance, and the hindrance that we randomly selected for Barrett to have is delusional. So Barrett is not actually a YouTube star or any good at what he does. He just thinks he is. So B-Squad in the game, probably not so much going to happen because I don't really get the feeling that Barrett has more activity on his... Actually, the amount of activity that is on the YouTube account I created for Barrett is probably at least triple the amount of activity that Barrett actually gets on his account.
He's trying his hardest.
Incidentally, Adelaide would totally love a signed copy, Clint. Adelaide would be like, this is the coolest thing ever.
That would be cool. You know it's your boy asks, anyone ever thought about getting a kilt? Ladies love a kilt. B-Squad.
What the hell?
I don't think anyone has.
Nope.
Absolutely.
Maybe when we go to that convention.
Yeah, maybe they'll sell Ron on a Utilikilt.
I'll definitely make a comment about it.
I love there's always the Utilikilt stand.
Always.
I'm so impressed by it.
Dean of Ravens asks, Dean, any plans on seeing the new Godzilla movie? I hear it's really amazing. I'll probably like that's one that like I'd like to see in theaters just because it seems like it'd be like big and loud.
We'll see you next Friday.
But
We're
like,
all off.
it's not like a
don't
huge
have school.
thing for me. Like I'll probably see it.
I'm
I
trying
don't
to
know.
figure out which in the A team they are.
That's
I'm
cool.
gonna answer that eventually.
Well, I'm just saying, you hang on to these questions. Ask them at the end.
Yeah.
The Westworld fan asks, what would happen if the characters from Campaign 1 body swapped with the group from Campaign 2? Who would each of you be, and which group would fare the best in each other world?
Oh,
Man.
I mean, Ron would
we
be
would-
Howell, I think.
Yeah,
Ron would be Howell,
that makes
okay.
sense. I'd probably be Gabe. Calvin would be Gabe.
Calvin would be gay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So,
I think
Sawyer
you would
would
probably
be-
be Bo.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess, and Adelaide would be Rose. I guess Adelaide could be Bogue and Sawyer could be Rose, maybe. I don't know.
I don't feel like...
nobody's Rose.
I don't think... I
There's
don't
nobody
know...
from this group that's
Calvin is at...
Oh, we'd be the closest
Calvin
one.
would probably be closest to being Rosaline of everyone at the
Yeah,
table.
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think Sawyer would be Gabe.
No. But would you be Bogue?
I don't know.
Just the alertness, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bogue had
Well,
alertness as an edge,
stuff.
so you'd be Bogue. And then Adelaide would be
Gabe or Rose.
Gabriel Pryor?
It could be one or the other.
I don't know. I don't know that there's a neat parallel between
Yeah.
these
Yeah, it really
characters.
isn't.
And that was kind of intentional.
If we were playing if we were swapping to our own characters, I don't think Sawyer would do a good job being Gabe.
Yeah, so I have to assume that things, although it would be weird for the Deadlands, although it would be weird for the Deadlands posse to be in our world, I think that this.
That's what I'm laughing at.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess since you laughed at it first, I'll let you tell the thing.
Megan, what are you doing? You goof.
I'm just thinking of the ETU characters in the Deadlands world and how
Dead
horrible it is.
immediately.
Yeah, instant death.
I think they would just die immediately, except maybe Ron.
It'd be Back to the Future 3, but with
Right,
no
'cause-
Doc to
Oh
save
yes,
you.
yeah.
Because Ron could maybe at least put up a little bit of a fight, but like they just straight up die.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
just
the Deadlands characters, I don't know, would take over the world.
They would be so powerful in ETU.
Right?
Oh
The
man.
outcast.
And it's like, I'm a demon! Oh, great. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh my god!
Anyway.
Oh,
That guy just shot. What the hell? His eyes are red.
deflection.
It is Texas.
So this question comes from Let's Ask the Hard Questions.
Ooh.
What do you think Addie would enjoy more? Star Wars Land or the Wizarding World of Harry
Oh,
Potter?
that ain't hard.
Okay, no, I can answer this question.
Yeah, we know you can.
Yeah.
Not Wizarding World, you're
It's not that
lying.
you couldn't answer, it's that we know the answer of it already.
No, so she would begrudgingly prefer the Wizarding World, but she would value the attention to detail that Disneyland does in general, and she would be frustrated.
Night, Ozark Howler.
She would be frustrated by the fact. And let me put it this way: I've not been to either one of those.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, have you been to Universal?
But
That's great.
knowing Disneyland really well and knowing Universal, she would be frustrated by she'd be frustrated by the attention to Disney does like so many crazy things at their parks.
Apparently, Wizarding World is pretty next level as far
Yeah,
as attention to
I've
detail
heard that
goes.
even
I'm
the
sure that is.
bathrooms
You guys have
are...
been?
Yes,
No.
I've been. It's
I've
great.
never...
Check it out.
You would love it.
I've never been.
You would adore it. Yes.
I'm sure that I would love it. Yeah, I mean she would definitely prefer Harry Potter. I mean
It's in both, but the one in Florida is much more elaborate. BSB care.
I've only been to the one here.
Yeah. So this question comes from Dr. M _ nothing to see here. If the study group has one weakness, it is
Ourselves.
Lots of things.
yeah, lots of things. I would say guns, sharp objects, many projectiles.
I think that we think we're more capable than we are.
Sure. Yeah. If they have a weakness, it's
stupidity.
youthful arrogance and stupidity.
That's
Yeah.
kind of being a PC though.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true. All right. Good question though from Dr. M. Nothing to see here.
It would be Universal because Michael Bay, baby, Transformers ride is fucking dope.
It's all right. Wait, does this question?
I enjoyed it.
twice?
What's next?
Yes, Wizard
All
World
right.
Florida is so good.
Poor IT guy asks, "What do you think would happen if Addie quit the library and started working at a comic or game shop? Would the IT guy finally get hired on?" He is hired.
Yeah,
he works
he does
there
work for them.
as an
He works, like,
IT
for the
person
school, though,
for
right?
the university.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Adelaide as a student library technician who's keeping him from achieving his dream. So no, I think that would be a cool thing for Adelaide to do. But the IT guy is probably going to continue to work in IT. It's where he gets to help people find books the most. Sorry Long Night asks, how long until Ron finds internet porn? Or at least the porn parody version of Singing in the Rain.
You know,
Like how long before Ron is like, I'm going to search Singing in the Rain with safe search off.
They changed. I would have danced all night.
On purpose or on accident?
On accident.
I imagine Ron has probably somehow come across porn. It's impossible not to on the internet. I
It's
think.
everywhere. Oh man.
And
Can't get away from it.
but I think he's quickly shut it off, thinking that he was probably watching someone live making love.
Yeah, Ron.
Oh, I accidentally stumbled
Yeah,
into
oh,
someone's
I'm
private
sorry.
page.
Ron would
turned it
feel
off.
like he had done something
Yeah.
wrong. That's such an amazing way of looking at it. Like, oh, whoops! I found someone's webcam
I didn't see
feed.
anything.
He doesn't
Click.
close the laptop. He walks away. He's like, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Closes his eyes.
Continue on.
Dennis walks back in and is like, "What the fuck?"
I stop him at the door and just be like, "Don't go in there. There's these people.
They're-
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment. Just
They're
don't go in there."
busy.
It is almost funny how much just like being on the internet, like if you just go to like some site that you're like streaming a television show from or something, and there's like a porn banner on the side, you like don't even notice it anymore. At the
Like
time.
Hulu has those things.
Yeah, I was about to say. Where are you streaming?
Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're talking
sketchier
about.
site.
The
Yeah,
sketchier
yeah.
sites.
When you
yeah.
when you hypothetically pirate something.
Sure.
Eat Me Right asks. Hold on.
How would you eat me?
Ever ask if pocket salsas would work as well as salad, or am I asking too much?
Asking too much.
Yeah, pocket salsas just really
way.
wet.
just
So,
fall
like,
apart.
Salads
crazy.
are wet, but like salsa's that's all salsa is. I'm not saying there aren't chunks in salsa, but like you lose the majority of your salsa in the pocket.
Where are you
I
keeping?
love that.
Where are you keeping
Ducky
the
Poo,
chips?
Dennis, dude, why is there a blanket over my computer? Sorry had to ask, asks, will Ron's roommate ever get his computer back?
He's got a computer.
Yeah, I think he has his
I
computer.
don't think Ron ran out.
Ron just uses it sometimes and opens all attachments and emails he receives. Things you learn in Detroit has a bit of advice for you guys. Make sure next season to get a can of wasp repellent. It's far more powerful than mace, and it shoots further as well.
Oh, okay.
The more you know.
The more you know.
SF Giants 49er would like to know, how long has the cult of Rontagoth existed? P.S. I enjoy your show. Thanks, SF Giants 49er. We enjoy you.
Thousands of years?
As far as Ron is aware, thousands of years.
Wow.
Next question
Reason through these now.
comes from Benjamin M. Dan. What is the study group's favorite TV shows? What's your favorite TV show? One by one, as your study group members. Favorite TV show?
I have no idea. I've never thought of this.
Favorite TV
I
show?
don't think he's.
Not applicable.
Yeah.
Favorite TV show?
What's like? I don't know.
Twin Peaks.
I don't even want to say Jersey Shore. That's
Twin
not
Peaks?
true.
Twin Peaks.
There's
But
no
you don't
way.
like weird fiction.
Actually, I'll tell you what his very favorite TV show is. Veronica Mars.
Yeah.
Veronica
He
Mars.
really loves Veronica Mars.
Student journalism at its finest.
And it's just a very well done show.
Okay. Adelaide?
I actually think that Adelaide would like Sabrina, whatever it's called, Sabrina show.
The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina?
The thing
I bet
that-
Addie would like The Magicians, though.
Yeah.
The thing
No,
that
Addie has standards.
makes me.
Magicians.
She's kind of like an Alice
I
though from The
know.
Magician.
I was about to
little
say.
bit.
I think Adelaide probably likes all the CW shows.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like
could see
kind of
that.
hurts my feelings, but I think she would.
I've only read the books, so.
The books of what?
The Magicians.
Oh.
So you're recommending the TV show having only read the books?
I've seen like
This
3 episodes
again?
of the TV show.
The first episode of The Magicians is great.
Stop doing this!
The first episode of The Magicians, honestly, I was like, oh my god,
really-
I'm
this is
going
really
to
good.
fucking love this show.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they spent the rest of that season proving me wrong.
I love the books. I thought the books were fantastic. I really, really love
But
them.
hey,
Adult
if you're on The
Swim.
Magicians or produce it, like, hey, you want to come on the?
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, happily.
Come over.
Kellen probably loves like I don't know, like Key and Peele's
The
probably
book
one
was
of his
bad.
favorite
You're
shows.
wrong. The book was great.
Ooh, fight about it.
Yeah, let's
fight
fight.
the screen.
No, stop fighting.
Let's fight RS.
Don't.
He also
Rare
mentioned he
votes.
likes Game of
Don't
Thrones.
fight.
Okay.
In the LARP episode, he did mention he loves Game of Thrones.
Who did? You did?
Calvin did.
Calvin did.
Well, that makes sense. It's popular.
Yeah,
Gotta
it's super
love that.
popular. It's
Yeah.
the most popular. Yeah.
Owen Lean asks, what happened to the undeclared cast? And more importantly, are Lisa and her family okay?
She would love the library.
Lisa and her family are okay from ETU Undeclared. The rest of the students from ETU Undeclared, which was our Kickstarter game that we ran for the Suede Kickstarter set in the 80s in Pine Box, Texas. We will hopefully find out more about.
Yeah, I want to know more what happened to them.
We'll probably find out. Mr. Hollywood. Mr. Hollywood asks, if Wildcards ETU was turned into a TV show this year, which actor would you want to play your character, and which actors do you think would play any of the NPCs?
I don't know who young actors are.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
I
figure
picked Donald Glover. Easy.
Donald Glover for Calvin.
Donald
Okay.
Glover does not look like a college kid anymore.
That's never stopped anyone who has made a
Oh,
college
yeah.
TV show before.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I was in a high school TV show with a bunch of 30-year-olds. No, I mean movie. What was it? It was a movie.
It was, yeah.
Anyway,
Anyone else?
You can make someone slightly older.
It also, listen, it doesn't, I'm gonna say
Who's
since,
the kid who plays Jughead in Riverdale?
oh, that's one of the twins from the
Sprouse.
Disney,
Sprouse. Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
that guy.
Right?
He actually, like, Jughead is, like, pretty on point for that,
Who-
so.
who's the girl from Lemony Snicket, the Netflix show?
I don't know.
Oh, the one who plays Violet Beauregard?
Yeah, Violet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know her name, but I know who you're talking about.
I feel like she could play Adelaide.
Okay, she could.
I don't know. I mean, I've always said Chris Evans, but he's
Chris Evans, modern day Chris Evans.
Yeah,
So
40,
muscular.
40-year-old Chris Evans. or
Super
whatever.
jacked Chris Evans. And then any of the NPCs? You got any ideas for any of the NPCs? Just anything that jumps to mind?
What do
Just
you
like
think?
Darren Paul or whatever could play
Glenn Mack would be
Barrett.
played by
Oh,
that
God,
kid
yeah.
who bit the quarter
Logan
in that
Paul.
one episode of
Logan
Walker,
Paul.
Texas Ranger. I'm a little bit too young and way not silver foxy enough for Glenn Mack.
You got some gray hair coming in.
Thanks very much, babe.
I don't know. For the NPCs.
Barrett. Who would play Barrett?
Logan Paul is what.
Logan Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's what I said, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about Laura Lee? Literally just the cartoon of Daria.
no,
come
That's
to
what
life.
I was gonna say! I swear to God, I was about to say the cartoon of Daria.
That show, I don't like her as an actress very much.
That could be any number of
Parks
people.
and Rec
Aubrey
show.
Plaza.
Aubrey
Aubrey
Plaza.
Plaza.
I can also see Brie Larson playing Laura Lee.
Oh, maybe from Clash at Demon Head and Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
George Clooney is
That's the
Glenn
first time I
Mack.
saw her and I was like, she's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Melina Weissman is from Series of Unfortunate.
Yes.
George
Yeah,
Clooney.
that's-
Yeah.
All right, so
Aubrey Plaza. Oh.
Mr. Hollywood asks, and this is a question that I'm curious to hear from you guys. After this past season of Wildcards, how do you all feel about the switch from Weird West Deadlands to Monster of the Week-esque ETU?
I have really enjoyed it. However, this is something I've thought about. There was something that was nice in the escapism of being a super cool capable character in Deadlands. Because in Deadlands, you're like, I'm awesome. I can shoot guns and speak cool and be awesome. And then in college, it's like, I made a college kid.
Here's what I think is the interesting counterpoint for that, though. When you guys were playing Deadlands, you built characters who were aspirational. When you started ETU, you guys built characters who are intentionally crappy college students.
Right.
Not crappy, but like you specifically went, I am better than this person.
Yeah.
So like you built whatever the opposite of aspirational characters are, that's kind of what you guys built.
We
for,
built characters
for
that
this.
we hopefully have moved past in our lives.
Right. And I think that's interesting. For sure.
Is. I definitely one of the biggest things that actually colors this particular game for me is that it's modern. And I find it really hard to play in a modern setting. Not just because, like we've sort of touched on, we're playing younger characters in a modern setting without the knowledge of what it's like to be that age in this day and age. But also
You have to speak for yourself.
Also, there's a lot of things to navigate that you kind of don't have to deal with in other settings, or because they are more extreme. Whenever you're dealing in the modern age, at least for this modern age, there's a lot more that's kind of gray and like little things that make a big difference. Whereas when you're dealing with like, I don't know, like the Wild West, even though it's kind of an alternate history, things are a bit more black and white in our perception of what the Wild West is like, if that makes sense, just in like cultural things. So I think that can be, I don't know, I think that's difficult. And it's also difficult, like, for me to hook onto something in that way. But yeah, it's, I definitely miss Deadlands. I really enjoy playing characters who are like, who have like this really heavy weight, who have to go out and, like save the world or solve this big dramatic problem. And not that we don't necessarily have it with ETU, but it's more like real life in a sense, at least right now. It's again, it's more gray. It's not as huge and extravagant. That's really more what real life tends to be like. And I don't know, maybe that's why it's harder. It's kind of hard to be sort of like what you were saying, as opposed to getting away from what real life feels like. We're really trying to delve into it and like go like, let's play with this aspect of grayness that sucks in real life.
It's like, so we were doing, we did a photo shoot, which you'll see some of the photos going up as promo for Wildcards.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Whatever, we posted one of them already.
Not really.
On the Instagram.
We did today.
Well, we did post one, but we didn't talk about it.
Whatever! There's gonna be photos.
It's
You know
only
there's gonna be
Surprise!
photos.
And we were always going to announce that right now. So
This isn't a fucking
that's happening.
announcement.
That's happening.
There's gonna be photos, of course.
It's an announcement.
But it's
All
okay.
right. But the photographer was like saying things like, okay, so your character's like the guy who does all this stuff and just like listing cool things from the impression he got of the character. I was like, just tone down the cool a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of been sort of the theme. Is
Yeah.
In the Weird West, we were eventually solidified towards a goal, and I think it will happen here too. But seeing us in the first year kind of struggle, and especially Calvin being someone who does not want to be initially involved in this, and being an aimless college kid who wants to do the aimless things that college kids do, like he's not thinking about defeating a ghost. He's thinking about what he wants to do, like next weekend for a huge party, and beyond that, like what kind of cool job he's gonna have when he's older, like. You don't think about that in Deadlands. You're trying to survive from day to day when we were like living through it. Like it's very different.
Well, and it's interesting too because Jordan talks about like how as players, I think this is common for players in general, but as how we don't, we always want to come out on top. We always want to best the NPC or
thank you for the bits.
Thank you or best the
I've got a haunted
situation.
card, you're right.
Or whatever it may be. And in ETU specifically, especially playing these younger characters, we kind of aren't going to be able to... I mean, that's kind of the point. That's the point of playing these regular people in this, like, kind of extraordinary situation, is the conflict of not being able to match it and have to figure out how to maneuver around it. Not that we didn't have to do that in Deadlands, but there is a, like, no, you won't imprison me. No, I'm smarter than you. Like, all that kind of stuff, whereas...
Authority matters here a lot more.
There's definitely part of me that misses having like a cool, collected, awesome, legendary character I can slip into every week, you know?
You know what? I think because of that reason, because I can be the same way, I think it's really, really great to to take the opportunity to play a character that can't do that, sort of to stretch yourself in that way, because it is really easy to want to play, and like having been on the GM side and the player side, it's really easy as a player to want to be like, I'm the best and I can beat everyone up and do everything great, and that doesn't. If that's all you ever are, it doesn't make for a particularly interesting story for you or anyone else in the long run. But it's a hard lesson to learn as a player.
Anything else on that note before I move on? All right. Well, then it's time for the final unlock that we have gotten to so far. The final one of the This Really Happens with me, Jordan Caves-callarman. So I'm going to tell you an awkward or embarrassing or typical story from my college years. And this is a very long story, so I'm going to give you the Cliff's Note version of it. I was a freshman in college. I had a friend named Patrick. Patrick had a crush on a upperclassman who was a sophomore who had an apartment that wasn't too far away from the dorms. So I think it was a Friday night, on a whim, I was hanging out with Patrick and he was talking about how he had a crush on this girl, and I just got a weird idea.
Is this Aaron?
No. And it was a weird idea because it's not typically the kind of idea I came up with, but I was a 18-year-old in college for the first time, and I was like, I can do impulsive things and whatever. I was like, hey man, let's ride our bikes over to her apartment. I have an idea. And I was like, whatever I do, just go along with it. Which is very out of character for me, but he was like, okay.
Did you murder a person?
Nope. So we rode over there, and we knew what apartment number they had. I don't know how, because we'd never been there before. But I knocked on the door, and the girl he had a crush on, answered the door. I can't remember her name right now.
2 years older than us?
1 year older than us.
Oh.
And I was like, hey, sorry, I know this is really weird, but they're fumigating our dorm right now, and we don't have anywhere to stay tonight. Like this, we didn't realize it was happening. Like, we messed up big time. Can we just crash on your floor? Like this, I know it's weird, but we knew them from theater. They were in the theater department. This wasn't like some random person we'd never talked to
So it
before.
didn't feel out of the blue.
It wasn't completely out of the blue. They knew us. I had been in a play with this girl. And
What year was this?
it was freshman year. She was like, okay. So I was just like, I was like, cool, thanks so much. And my friend was going like, what the hell is happening? So we got there and we're hanging out, and then there's this girl who my friend had a crush on, and then her roommate. And then their like next door neighbors, who were just like 3 guys, came over and hung out, and I was like, well, this is kind of ruining what I was hoping to like be able to get, which is sort of like an like let's hang out evening, so Patrick can talk to this girl.
The beginning of this. Never mind.
Yeah. So, anyways,
God, I didn't know that
those
part.
3 guys were hanging out. We were actually having a decent time until one of them fell on a drinking glass. Like he had his feet on an ottoman and was in a chair, and it just sort of like was spread out. And I think there was a glass in between the chair and the ottoman. And I think someone threw something at him or something. And he was just like playfully was like, whatever. And he fell out of the chair and fell lower back directly on a drinking glass, which shattered and stabbed him in the back.
Oh no!
And he immediately freaks out and starts bleeding heavily from a deep gouge, a deep glass shard gouge into his back.
The story's got blood, so you know it's good.
You could almost see bone. It was bad. And everyone was like, we were all standing there. And if you don't know this about me, I can't watch gore on TV shows or movies. Like, I just can't do it. It doesn't work for me.
Like body gore.
Yeah, but I'm standing there, and we're all just silently staring at this guy on the ground, and I remember going, someone should probably apply pressure to that wound. And I looked to my right, and I looked to my left, and everyone was just staring. I was like, all right, give me a dish towel. No. So I go over, and like he rolls onto his stomach, and like I can just see, he like pulls his shirt up, and I can just see this hole in his back, and I'm like, so I put the dish towel on there, and I can feel an opening underneath my palm, underneath the towel. And I'm like just trying to talk to him to keep him calm, but really I'm talking to him to keep myself conscious. So I'm like, yeah, we called the police, or we called the ambulance, and they're gonna be here in a little bit, so this probably sucks. This is weird, right? Everybody's, so we didn't take anything out. It wasn't in there. It just stabbed him and he rolled off of it. Like we had the broken glass with the blood all over it. I know, I hated it too. So we did did that, the ambulance showed up. They put him on a stretcher and take him away, and his friends leaves, which leaves me and my friend and the 2 girls whose apartment it is just sitting there like, cool. So like we are all just kind of in shock. And at some point, I don't remember whose idea it was. They were like, I guess we should play like Monopoly or something. So they brought out Monopoly.
Yes.
They brought out Monopoly, and I was like, right. Okay, cool. We did that, made it through. That guy's gonna be okay. We got the call from one of his friends, like he's at the hospital. It's cool. And we're like, all right, good. He's gonna be fine. So we're playing Monopoly, and I was like, right, the reason we came here. So we're playing, and it's it's Monopoly. Do with that what you will. But I was like, hey, here's an interesting variant rule that might be fun. Like, what if like we get to a point where one of us is just like out of money and we land on someone's property? Like, what's gonna happen then? The game's over? Monopoly sucks that way. I was like, what if we have the option to make out with that person instead of pay the rent?
Jordan was Calvin.
And they all were cool with it. So I was like, right, we were 18, they were 19. I was like, dope, man. This guy plays his cards right, like, and
You're like, I put the layup, be good at Monopoly.
But what we said, and I'll say this, even though I was not as aware of consent and things like that at the time, we did say it was an option that someone could choose to take if the other person allowed it. It was not like, nope, he said he's gonna make out instead of give you money, so you have to make out with him. I did not make out with my friend. That is not where this story is going. That was, I will tell you, that is not a possibility that would have even, I would have even conceived of at that point. But that is what probably would have happened to me on any other night. Instead, it never happened for Patrick. I ran out of money right away. I landed on not the girl who my friend had a crushes on space, but her roommate's space. And I sat there for a little bit when I didn't have any money, and I was like, I guess I'll take the makeout option. And she was like, okay. So we went down the hall and made out for a second. And I came back, and we kept playing Monopoly. So...
I thought Aaron was at this thing.
No. Meanwhile, they're like, so do you go or do we
So
wait?
not only did he not get basically any FaceTime with this girl that I tried to like get him into a position to be able to hang out with, and we ended up sleeping on their floor, and we went back to our dorms the next morning, and he was like, "What the hell, man?" I actually made out with that other girl a couple more times because I kept landing on her spaces.
You're like, well, it's a thing now.
And then we went on a date.
We opened that door.
And then we went on a date after that, and it didn't really work out, and we never talked to each other
who
really
was
again
it,
after
though?
that. It's not
I had a
important.
similar story with Jenga, but after
Why?
that.
No, you cannot tell Megan.
Why?
Who this is.
No, we talk about relationships all the
Yeah,
time.
no, it's not because I'm trying to keep it from you. It's just because we'll talk about that later.
It's
That's
way
not
more
pertinent
fun
to anyone
for
other
to-
than you and me.
with these gears working
No,
in your
but
head.
it's so fascinating.
It's so fun.
I want to see if you can remember.
One of the girls, but I don't remember her name. It's like Courtney or like
Laura was the girl that he had a crush
Laura Mexi.
on. Wasn't going to use last names,
Sorry.
but yes.
Probably
yep.
not her name anymore.
It's not. It's been changed. So that was my story of the time I tried to help my friend and only ended up just making out with a girl I
And
barely
you
knew
were a
a couple
hero.
It
times.
wasn't Kellen.
No, it wasn't. Will you stop guessing people's names that no one else knows?
Yeah. And like, never mind.
All right, jumping back in here.
Hey, couple.
Hey, couple.
Beth asks. Sorry. That has been. This actually happened with me. Thank you.
I remember it.
Beth asks, is Adelaide going to use her summer break to study more magic? It seems like there might be rituals to be found in Salem.
Faux show. Yeah, she definitely is.
For sure.
I mean,
Definitely
like,
plans
all
to.
of her friends are going to be elsewhere. And not that she probably doesn't have friends in... What? Not that she doesn't have friends in Salem, but I just don't... I think she has maybe like one good friend from high school that may or may not be there when she's there type thing.
They probably have really good magic in Vegas.
Truth.
Different kind of magic.
You don't know that.
Beth also asks, Calvin has seemed cautious about Adelaide's enthusiasm for magic. Will he get more on board now that he's met his ghost car?
Yes, but slowly.
Yes, but slowly. Calvin, as we have seen, takes everything real slow and deliberately. The werewolf asks, what gave you all the idea of your characters?
I've wanted to make a journalist character for a long time, and I've actually I pitched a journalist character as one of my potential characters in Deadlands, and I've made 2 sort of pseudo Sawyer characters in like one-off campaigns that we've made. One was a character I showed up for one episode of Misadventures that was like a journalist character and was a coward. And that was the whole thing. And then another was for a one-shot Buffy that Blythe Calla ran. And I played a journalist character whose whole thing was that he wasn't really afraid of all these supernatural stuff because he was so fascinated with finding out what was going on behind it. And then Sawyer was a much more like kind of real take on that same sort of
So
idea.
basically, Pridgeon has been itching to play a journalist for a long time now.
Itchin'.
What about over here? What gave you guys the ideas for your characters?
I wanted to be a character that was opposite of Howl, so someone that wasn't naive and nice. He was powerful and sort of mean and knew what he wanted and knew how to get it. So that's how I started my character, basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Similarly, I didn't want to play Bogue. I wanted to play Howl.
Yeah, weird how that worked out.
Yeah.
Okay. And Megan?
Oh, you came back to me? I
I mean, you hadn't answered yet, so.
Yeah, but I
still working
thought
out
you
that
like
stuff.
skipped me for a reason, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, I just wanted to give them a chance to answer because I feel like all of the questions so far have started over here, and then you guys answer a lot of things,
He's noticed.
and then they don't have
sorry.
anything else to say about it after that. No, it's fine. I'm just trying
Oh,
to.
they said that everything. It's
I like talking.
Yeah.
I know.
I like talking.
I like talking.
I like turtles.
I like talking about turtles.
Yeah. Similarly, I wanted to play with something different from Rosaline. She didn't necessarily need to be the opposite, but I just wanted to play with different major aspects. But yeah, also Adelaide was actually a character I created for a home game. I adapted her for this a little bit. She was older and worked at the Harvard Library and things like that, and she could do magic.
And was a less fleshed out character
She
at
was
that point.
less, yeah, she was less fleshed out for sure. Her whole thing was kind of cool if you guys know the Secret World MMO, but she basically like tried to cast Harry Potter spells and things because she like loved Harry Potter, all that kind of stuff. But her magic was all like really dark focused, which is the antithesis of this particular Adelaide, just because of her family background. And her family background ended up in our Deadlands game, and I was
Which
like,
we
"Well,
will
I
get
gotta-"
to later on.
Yeah.
Beth also asks for Dom, what made Ron decide to study anthropology? Did studying it for a year have any impact on how he sees himself and his place in the world?
Yes. And
Moving on.
Yeah, no, honestly, part of that is a Dom thing. I wanted to study anthropology and archaeology when I was in college, and I did a little bit. I did take some anthropology classes, but also I think Ron wanted to basically have a crash course in the world because he's been kind of in a bubble for a little bit, and so this was his way of sort of, learning about other cultures and everything that he hasn't had a huge amount of exposure to. And then I think also he wants to learn more about how prolific the cult of Rontagoth has been. And part of this has been discovering that it's not as prolific as he has been led to believe. So it definitely has kind of colored what he's thinking.
Okay. Beth also asks Megan, how much fun is playing the Big Mouth Hindrance?
It is fun. It's fun too because it even if it hadn't been a hindrance, I think it would have just happened without a legs. It just makes a lot of sense to me. But sometimes though, it's not a whole lot of fun because you come up upon, you kind of have to. I feel like as a player in general, you have to be careful with stuff like that because there's a point at which when you can overuse a hindrance or a negative that just becomes really frustrating for the table, and then there's a point at which it can create entertaining moments and it can be really hard to parse that line.
I have to say, it has been a lot of fun for me watching Megan play with the Big Mouth Hindrance with Adelaide, especially the times when everyone at the table, including me, forgets that that's her
feel like
hindrance
everybody forgets
and go,
it a lot.
why are you doing
It
that?
definitely happens, and I'll be like, why are you saying that? Then I'll be like, Big Mouth, Oh.
but I will say, I agree, BSB Carrot, it does feel like she plays it naturally. And the thing that I think is really good about how Megan plays the Big Mouth Hindrance with Adelaide is she doesn't do it to screw everyone else over. She chooses times that make sense for Adelaide to be naive or innocent or just not think about what's going on or like not understand what's happening. But you have not yet done it like, we're trying to lie to this vampire to get out of his lair. Now's the time for me to reveal that we're all secretly here to kill him.
To me, that would be a stupid thing. Like, Adelaide is not stupid. She's really smart. She just misses cues. So there's a difference between going like, this is our plan. Like, she would cue into that. But like a social cue, like the dorms want you to stay the night there throughout finals, she's not gonna pick up on the fact that they're lying to help. She's just not.
She's like, guys, that's 100% not the policy.
Yeah,
here.
that's not. She's trying. She thinks she's being helpful. She doesn't think she's screwing anything up.
Right.
But yeah.
She's like, wait, where did you hear that?
Yeah, she thinks she's like, that's her anxiety coming out. But she's not stupid. That's the big difference for me, because again, that can be a hard line to cross, but it can get really frustrating in a game.
I think that's interesting with a lot of hindrances, because sometimes it's too easy to be like, I'll play this only when it's convenient, but you also don't want to play it so much that you're like, you're fucking this game up by playing your
that's
hindrance
curiosity
so
too.
hard.
That's
Curiosity.
a lot of the
be that
hindrances,
way.
a lot of the major hindrances that are socially related can be done to death. But I think a good thing about Savage Worlds, which isn't the way we necessarily play it here at the table because it's a stream, is there is a system to reward players for playing their hindrances where the GM awards them a Benny. And also, I think it's a great way for the rest of the table to get on board. It reinforces for everyone, oh, they're playing their hindrance. I should play my hindrance more. I recognize that what they're doing is playing their hindrance right now, so I'm not going to like feel weird about it. And then also, oh, bye, DJ Phoenix.
I think honestly, for me, sometimes what hindrances are really good for is when I'm kind of on the line on a decision. I'm like, I'm not sure what to do here, and I think about a hindrance, and I'm like, I have the curiosity hindrance. I would want to know.
Sure. Yeah.
And like that will help tip scales in that direction.
And I think that's really what they're meant to be used in Savage Worlds is as sort of like just a signpost. Like basically like if you're not sure which direction to go, err on the side of your character's foibles, you know? Like which I think is great.
Well, and like the example of the minefield where you were like, how confident do you feel about that? I was like, oh, I feel very confident about that.
That was from our Deadlands campaign.
Yes.
Beth also asks for everybody, what was your favorite NPC of freshman year and what was your favorite villain?
Barrett.
We already did.
We already
talk
did
about favorite
NPCs.
NPCs.
We did
Talk about
villains.
favorite NPC.
We did.
Okay, so favorite villain.
Favorite villain is what's his name?
Yep. Great.
Dope.
Bug Boy.
No,
Bug Boy was your favorite villain?
It's my favorite.
I agree with you, but that's not who I'm talking about.
I know. Yes.
Wait, you agree with him that his favorite villain is Bug?
No,
I'm very
sorry.
confused.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I said what's his
Yeah.
name, and he said Bug Boy, and I thought he was saying that's who I was referring to. But he's talking about Bug Boy as his favorite, which is fine.
Yes.
What?
I like
Brad? Is that what
Brad.
you're trying to
Brad.
talk about?
Okay. Yeah.
Brad is my
Like,
favorite villain.
which
Brad-
one
yeah,
was very good.
Brad is also my favorite.
I
favorite
really liked, and arguably, I suppose the villain would be considered to be Dr. M. What's his name?
Dr. M.
I never met Dr. M, so
No one has.
But I
Yeah, no one
really
I never
liked.
interacted.
No one really has. You got just like talk.
I really liked the Lighthouse 411. Like
418.
yeah, obviously.
Lighthouse 411 is when you call to get weather information from a lighthouse keeper.
You find out there are ships coming.
Yeah.
Is it foggy? You liked the Lighthouse 418, like the entity that showed up?
Yes,
Okay.
I like the entity. I like that whole thing. It was like spooky and supernatural in a way that I really get into.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a cool one.
That's what I liked.
Cool. So no one likes Dr. M, and that's fine.
don't know
I'm
enough
kidding.
about
I'm
Dr.
totally
M yet.
kidding.
I never
Obviously.
interacted
A lot-
with Dr. M. I missed that episode.
Dr. M
popped
tried
up
to
a
kill
few
you with
times.
cartoons.
But I didn't ever see that.
Yeah, you did.
Like someone else saw the.
We would have
the thing with
explained
Liz.
it to you. though.
Maybe.
No,
But
we would,
All right,
never had
Whatever.
we would have because that was the
Oh,
whole thing.
it's
was
cool.
all Facebook
Moving on.
pictures.
Moving on. Beth.
I'm me, and you've never mentioned it in game to me.
Beth. For the study group.
Yeah.
What is everyone's theory about the Needler?
420.
Was somebody controlling it?
Oh, Adelaide is totally X-Files on that right now, assuming she like goes back and watches the X-Files. You know, it still has a pretty good fan base, so it's not like going back too far. Anyway, she totally thinks of it like an X-Files thing at this point. After what happened in the finale, yeah, there's some like government base. I think I talked about this in the show.
You did.
As Adelaide, there's a government base, and she would.
I don't think Calvin does. I think that even though that guy who shot the grenade or whatever was trying to blow up whatever evidence it looked like, or I don't know what he was trying to do. It looked like he might be trying to kill this thing. I don't know. I wasn't there when the whistle thing happened in with Ron and that Stacy demon. I wasn't there when that happened. Maybe he just misheard something. Maybe it was a siren going on. So no, I think we got rid of the Needler. Hopefully he's dead forever.
I think after seeing, because I think Sawyer was the only one who directly saw the guy who shot the grenade in with him, right?
You all saw him.
Oh, okay. Well, but I think Sawyer doesn't think they were controlling the Needler, but he does think that there's a conspiracy covering up the existence of creatures like the Needler.
And on that note, Beth would like to ask you specifically, with the cover-up of the Needler fight, will Sawyer go to greater lengths to make sure the truth is told? Can Pine Box handle the truth?
Yes, absolutely. However, I think that the Needler encounter and the guy firing the grenade has made Sawyer realize something that he hadn't really thought about in journalism before, which is that trying to tell the truth about things could be extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, people could actually try to kill you for, like, putting out things that they don't want you to know. And I don't think that's ever really occurred to him. It's always been like he's been, yeah, people care about the truth and they want to silence it. But when someone actually launches a grenade in after you, I think that has been a splash of cold water on his face to a certain extent.
Okay. Beth also asks, anybody else worried about Jackson? He may be an asshole, but I still hope he's okay.
Adelaide does not think of Jackson as an asshole. She really doesn't. But she's definitely
a little bit.
No, Sawyer liked Jackson by the end of things.
I mean, he's redeemed himself a little bit, but he was kind of an asshole at the start, right?
No, Adelaide never really saw him as an asshole. She
I
saw him
actually, as a person, don't think of Jackson as an asshole either.
Yeah.
Just me then. All right.
Yeah, no, I think she was kind of, even though maybe the way he did it was a bit strong, I think she was surprised and flattered by his reaction. She didn't pick up on it until you guys said something. His interaction with Adelaide initially. So she didn't start off being like, oh, he's a weirdo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, she doesn't think of him like that at all.
Okay.
Definitely worried about him. She's loyal.
Nemakath asks, would you as the players have been friends with your characters?
Yeah.
You would have been friends with Ron?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I would have been friends with Calvin.
In
You would have been friends with
college?
Calvin?
He seems really cool, yeah.
Okay.
I think I knew people like Calvin, actually.
Maybe. I don't know how I would have gotten to know Sawyer.
Yeah, I don't think I would have ever run into Adelaide.
I mostly knew people through my Shakespeare group and my comedy group and, like, classes and stuff.
Yeah.
My roommates and stuff.
I think sometimes Prison just drops these little bits of things that are like just normal things,
yeah.
and we're like, you were in a Shakespeare group? Also, what is a Shakespeare group?
We were
Lady
Shakespeare all
Imago,
along.
thank you very much for the
so
tip.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I just don't think that.
Wait. $9? That puts us $1 short of unlocking the next reward tier.
What?
I think someone might have miscalculated. Oh, did you add the 100 bits that we got?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's...
Ah,
Bit
100
City,
bits.
baby.
100 bits puts us at the
bits,
next
bits.
tier. So, what that means is we have unlocked Jinkies.
Yay!
You guys get to design your own mystery box card, but
Cool.
this time we won't forget to do it before the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So thank you in the Alumni Association for giving that. They will get to design their own mystery box card that will go into the mystery box for next season. Thank you guys very much for unlocking that. There remains only one more reward tier to unlock.
Like, what's a mystery box?
You guys are killing it. All right, let's get that struck out. There we go. Cool. Nenakath also asks, what music does the study group and Dennis listen to?
Mellow Wolf, but don't mention it to people.
Yeah, don't tell anyone.
I figured this out just the other day. I think that Adelaide listens to, I was like, like Haim and Churches and other like of these sort of alternative pop rock
Like
females.
like female-led
Yeah.
pop rock groups.
Yeah, I think she's really like totally into that and loves it. And there's kind of like that nostalgia feel to it that she doesn't have nostalgia for. Anyway, she likes it.
Over here?
Maybe Avril Lavigne. I think Avril Lavigne's too.
Calvin has a whole playlist that he made for himself that people think of songs for him that he puts on there. So all the songs that he's put on there are songs that he listens to. So it's mostly, I mean, there is some top 40 stuff that he listens to because it's popular music and he wants to be popular and he has to play these at parties he goes to. But also, like, a lot of the rap that comes out of Atlanta, he's a big fan of that stuff because he lives there with his mom sometimes and that's what he listens to.
Ron?
No, Ron hates Perry Como, just like Dom does.
Hates him. Good night, Relative D-Pod. Thanks for stopping
Good
by.
night.
Bye. No, yeah, Ron is musicals and classical music.
Musicals and classical music. Dennis listens to crossover country.
Oh.
Dennis listens to like pop country.
Dennis is a local, isn't Dennis from Pine Box?
No.
Dennis
No?
is a
Okay.
townie? No, he's not.
No, he's not a local, but I think of Dennis as being from Texas.
Yeah.
Like just not like he's from the suburbs of
in-state.
Texas. Yeah, he's an in-state student.
Yep.
Thank you for the question, Nemakath. Nemakath also asks, what was everyone's favorite action moment this season?
Action moment.
Yeah. And action moments were pretty few and far between, especially in comparison to our Deadlands campaign, because ETU, at least initially, and really throughout the whole scope of things, is not an action-centric game. Or not the way I run it, at
like-
least. You can run it action-centric.
Like the basement scene thing? Would that be considered?
I would count that as an action sequence, like the thing in the corner in the
Yeah.
basement.
Mine was when me and Addie got back to campus after that knife guy attacked us and he followed us there.
Oh, and tried to like break through the
yeah.
door to
Yeah,
get to you
that was-
guys.
Fucking scary. That was so scary.
I actually think potentially from the same episode, Sawyer, like confronting that guy when he was going after
the
that
start?
family was
Yeah.
probably his like my favorite action moment.
Okay.
The whole thing.
The hiding in the closet. I
Yeah,
think.
I was gonna say that too.
That was a good
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
The frat house infiltration
Yeah.
I really enjoyed because
yeah, that
I
was
didn't
fun.
know how that was going to work out. This chair's fine.
Guys, we don't make enough money to keep buying chairs here.
Good action moments, everybody.
Yeah, that and also the truth episode when Ron basically took down like 15 dudes.
Oh
Because
yeah, that's
Yeah.
he's
true.
the only one who had fighting, and no one else had parry. So
Yeah.
it's just like, boom, boom, this is easy. Sibelius and Holst, yeah, Holst the planets, absolutely. Ron would listen to. Sibelius, yeah, for sure. Some Debussy, maybe.
Oh, okay. So, Ironic Razor or Razortide asks one question that is actually 3 questions that is actually 6 or 7 questions.
What?
Questions to the Dean. The atmosphere in the Morphine Den episode was very tense. I had a few questions because it was so good. Number 1, Ernesto Castillo, thank you very much.
Yeah, 2 years.
No glasses.
Hey, Estelle
behind me.
Costello.
2 years.
We saw you a couple weekends ago.
Number 1,
I like
Ironic
that.
Razor asks, did you prepare some situations beforehand that you wanted to describe? The guy with the needle in the arm, the dancing people, the vomit scene, the cabinet. Number 2, where did you draw your inspiration from? How did you approach that scene? I presume you did put some thought into this beforehand. And 3, how did you approach creating Brad? He was an exceptionally threatening character. So overall, I wondered, how do you approach the scene beforehand, and what did you do beforehand?
Wait, can I just say real quick? I discovered Lord Huron like this week, and I love them. Sorry, go on.
So Sawyer should
You're
probably
gonna
check him
get
out.
tweets.
Yes.
So, did I prepare situations beforehand in the drug den house that I wanted to describe? No. I only knew that the girl they wanted to talk to was going to be there, she was going to be high, and there were going to be other people there who went there to get high, and that it was going to be a not cool place to be. So the things that I described were all things that I just sort of came up with in the moment to impress upon them how depressing and sad and dangerous this place was. Where did I draw my inspiration from and how did I approach that scene? most of the time when I'm trying to create something original in a game, but I'm trying to convey ideas very quickly to my players and to you as the audience, I will pull from other things that I have seen in movies and television. So there wasn't a specific movie or TV show that I was pulling from. I was just thinking of other things where I've seen scenes like the scene I was trying to describe for them that had elements that I thought would immediately put them like, oh, okay, we've all seen TV shows and movies where there's like things like this happening, so I know what kind of place this is. So that's what I was trying to do there.
Well, and Dom's a pretty severe heroin addict, so we kind of drew that from just our
Yes.
him off camera.
How did I approach creating Brad? So the interesting thing about this scene, and this is kind of something we sort of talked about, that scene at the drug house was originally in my notes just going to be a layover. They were gonna go there, find that girl, talk to her, leave, and go do something else climactic. But I wasn't really happy with the way I was figuring out the climax for that episode. I wasn't feeling super good about how it would work. And we got to that scene in the house, and the way everything was happening, and the way how do I approach creating NPCs? Sometimes I go like, it's gonna be something like this. And then I get into the moment and I play them for the first time, and that's when I figure out who they are. So like, I'll go like, Brad's a bad guy, he's dangerous, he sells drugs to people. But then when I was having Jackson tell them about Brad ahead of time, I had Jackson tell them a lot more than I had originally decided about Brad, because it just seemed like things that made him seem more dangerous and threatening. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So then I start to paint an interior picture of this character more fully in my head. And then when we get to dealing with Brad, immediately I realized, oh, this is where the climax of the episode needs to be. Like, everything needs to be happening here at this house, and then they'll just find the missing girl. Like, that can be a whatever thing. This is where the action is. Because sometimes it just feels like you just luck into a situation where you're like, man, all of this is really firing on all cylinders, and everyone at the table seems to be into it, so I'm just gonna keep pressing this and see where it goes. So I hope that answers your questions. So a lot of that was discovered in the moment. Next question from the Civil Savage. If your character was a butterfly, what color would its wings be, and what type of flower would your butterfly prefer to delicately rest upon?
Orange and sunflowers.
Orange and sunflowers.
Blue and poppies.
Blue and poppies.
I don't know anything about flowers, but purple and orchids.
Purple and orchids.
Multicolored and bleeding hearts is all I can think of.
Multicolored and bleeding hearts. Are they a real flower?
Yes.
Yes,
They
good.
look like hearts that are bleeding.
They look like bleeding hearts. They're really cool.
They literally do. Look at them.
Gross.
But like in a pretty way.
Cool.
Philly
Gross.
is, if you had more of a question, all I got was study group.
Oh, no, I can answer this one. Yes.
So thank you for the
Yes.
submission.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry that it got cut
was-
off. Philly does have another question though. What is the hardest thing or situation that the Dean has challenged your character to do this season?
The hardest situation.
The hardest thing or situation that the Dean has challenged you to do. And you're welcome, Civil Savage, asking the hard-hitting questions about butterfly
Your
colors.
character to do.
I mean, I guess the stuff with my parents and everything, and discovering the information about that was, not not easy. Oh, okay. I'm
Sorry.
Showing bleeding hearts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in terms of character-wise and stuff like that, those types of moments are fun to play out, because I had no expectation. It's not like, oh, there's a bad guy, there's a monster, we have to defeat it, get away from it. It's like, nah, it's a super personal kind of thing. So it's like, so that was really. It's also really hard to play. So personally, that I felt was the hardest moment for Ron, because in general he's been able to take care of himself, but emotionally he's not there. So
Okay.
I don't have a good answer for this one.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that was like
There were
Moving
lots
on.
of things that were hard.
difficult.
What
for
about
my
the
character.
music festival?
Music Festival was actually, yeah, I really liked that scene. And actually, a lot of the relationship role-playing stuff has been really fun, but like a interesting challenge to like do, because it's not like normal role-playing.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So I guess anytime Calvin had to take the lead on anything, because he should be taking the lead because that's the kind of person he is, it's tougher for me to do because I'm not usually that kind of player, which is why I wanted to play someone like him to challenge myself to take the lead in those situations. So something like when we went to the LARP thing where he didn't know anything, but instead I was like, no, I'm going to be whatever the top of this is. That doesn't exist. I'm going to make that up. I'm going to go with this as far as I can.
King of the LARP.
Yeah, I'm just going to take that as far as I can. So
I think it worked out pretty well for Calvin.
It wasn't that doing it was difficult. It was thinking what it would be, what that would be before I got there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a particular challenge that.
Megan's never been challenged.
No.
Step it up, GM.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
She was pretty challenged. She's trying to think of that girl's name.
Challenge Megan.
There's the face.
Much like what you said, Gaurav, the challenges that I get really excited about are the ones that are more about like social interaction and emotional honesty, I suppose, for lack of a better way of putting it. And those kind of come up in the interactions we have as players at the table with this GM as well. So, yeah, I don't know that I have a specific thing in mind, but that's the kind of stuff that gets me, I suppose.
All right, guys. 25 questions left.
Oh,
and
boy.
We're getting to the end, so let's breeze through these. Evil Dice Monkey asks,
Go for it.
what would be your character's ideal sorority or fraternity? And Dean, what would be your ideal foil sorority fraternity for the group? So just real quick, like what kind of sorority or fraternity? You don't have to name like an actual Greek organization, but like what sort of fraternity or sorority?
I guess ones that are in
Like a service one, maybe
Yeah,
for Ron?
yeah.
Or an athletics one?
Yeah, some ones that's into healthy living.
Okay.
I guess a political one.
Okay.
Whatever has the most power over the school.
Okay.
I don't know about politics, but like a connections sorority. I mean, fraternity.
Okay.
Are sororities and fraternities normally like about something?
Yeah.
Often.
I
yeah.
hadn't.
Yeah, I
No
didn't either.
They are
I didn't either.
typically at least in name founded to like be like we serve the community. We are a place that creates connections for your time when you go out into the
I
world.
thought they were just like, I don't know, which club do you get into?
No, they typically have like a goal
Fun cults.
for their organization.
Oh man, the sorority and fraternity is at OU. Whoo boy. Yeah, Adelaide would be terrified of. That's super stressful to her. But I
What if it
mean,
was like a witch sorority?
That's probably a little bit too specific
that
for
would
a
be too.
sorority.
Yeah, she would.
But
She
would
would.
she be into it?
Love witches.
She would be into some sort of like sorority that was focused on like knowledge, essentially.
Which is power.
My answer for which sorority would I create that is a foil to these characters would be just a normal sorority that sometimes doesn't want them to do the things they're doing, that the study group is doing, for very practical, sensible reasons. Just because one thing I have found at the Wildcards table, and just being a GM in general, is if ever a NPC stands in the way of something that a PC is trying to do for any reason, the PC immediately goes, well, you're my enemy now. Like, it could literally be like someone who's like, hey man, you can't go through this, you can't get out of this parking garage without paying for your parking, and they'll be like, who is this guy? Who is this asshole? You know what? Yes, I can, and here's why. So yeah, just I would love to just be like a normal, pleasant sorority fraternity that very sensibly asks them to not, scatter goat's blood all over their front lawn, and they're like, fuck you, man! We're trying to do something here. Evil Dice Monkey asks 5 questions, which I will read in succession. Number 1, some of those secret edges were weird, right? But which one would you like in real life? I've not seen the extra ones, but those are fair game too. Number 2, body parts. University is usually a time for finding or defining yourself. If your character were to get a tattoo, piercing, hair coloring, etc., what would it be, and would it be to strengthen a quality they already have or redefine something about themselves they dislike? Number 3, once your character dies, which object do you think they're most likely to come back and haunt, like Rosa and Cal's car? Number 4, told a tale out of school. What's the worst thing you or your character have told a teacher another student has done? 5, me and a few friends were wondering how much studying actually goes on in this study group. Are you passing your exams due to luck or hard work? Gaurav, did you happen to notice the first word of every question there?
No, fuck! Are you serious? Is that what it says?
Yes.
Who did this? Who does?
Evil Dice Monkey.
I hate you.
my God.
Somebody once told me.
I hate you. You're my enemy now.
Nice Smash Mouth reference, but we don't have time to answer all those questions.
You're my enemy now.
Very good questions. I love the questions.
They are good questions.
But clearly they were just a delivery method. So here we go.
Wow, nice.
This one comes from Anonymous. What are the distractions going on off camera during the show, and is it ever hard to ignore them?
The
Yes.
distraction.
The adorable dog that snores.
I will
Yeah,
name
it's
some.
very-
Harold
snores
snores super fucking
Oh my
loud.
god, it's so loud.
Sometimes there are weird noises from outside on the street in the area we
Oh
live
my
in.
God, yeah.
These goddamn fruit flies
Yeah.
sometimes are so
boy.
irritating. And then also sometimes technical stuff happens, or like there'll just be noise from outside in the studio, and it just takes you out of it.
We had an earthquake during a show once.
Like
Not in
the end of
Wildcards. I think that was in the NPC show. Remember?
It was at the end of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Because my show was so good, they're like, oh wow, let's just clap the earth.
Did I miss any other?
No, I think that's good.
No,
Distractions?
Those are the main ones. It is
No,
weird
yeah.
that we can hear people in the street in here. Like, I feel like we should have enough walls
Walls are
between us.
real thin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anonymous asks, "Can you please ice Garav again during the bonfire?" Well,
Yeah.
No.
no,
Oh thank God.
but you thought I was gonna do it.
Yes,
though, right?
I did. I was like, you're playing this? No.
Lady Amago would like to know, how exactly is pocket salad made, and what are the best dressings?
Ooh.
How exactly is pocket salad made? Well, you have to take the elements of the salad that you want. Ron typically uses romaine lettuce, some arugula, and some spinach, and a little bit of kale, maybe if he's got access to it. Wash all of that stuff fairly well in the sink. Pull it apart, make little bits. Put that into the salad, or onto basically a somewhat moistened paper towel.
Like a cheesecloth or something.
Like a
too, would
cheesecloth,
work,
yeah,
right?
if you have one available to you. Delicately fold
salad.
that together. You can fold it one more time, and then into the pocket it goes.
But
no
good point,
dressing.
BSB. First, you need a pocket.
Yeah.
You need a pocket.
Very true.
Probably not something that lends itself to dressing because it would soak
Right, yeah.
through.
Yeah, dressing, generally no dressing. I mean, why would you put dressing on delicious roughage?
I'm gonna guess pocket sweat is dressing for the pocket salad. Oh, don't worry, pocket sweat's great. I'm gonna give that to you guys. I'm gonna give this to you guys. The very silent stranger asks, "Can I get a rousing rendition of the ETU fight song from the crew?"
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. Ravens fight, Ravens fight. Put on the black and white. Ravens fight, Ravens fight. Our team will own the night. Fear the fighting Ravens. Our mighty team does soar. Fear the fighting Ravens when we make another score! There we go. See you later, Tatters 0336.
Good night.
Have a good night. Thank you for being here. All right. The Purple Harp asks, and hi, Purple Harp. We met you at. And we also met Civil
Hey, I
Savage
know
there.
you.
What was the hardest part of playing in the ETU setting, which we sort of already talked a little bit about, shifting from a sort of fantastic scenario to a modern day real world grounded one, some of that kind of stuff. Is there anything else that was hard about switching to ETU?
I would say the hardest part was like accepting your limits as a college student while not being so limited that you like don't take any action on anything. You know, like picking the times when it's like, yes, I should attack this thing and like fight a little bit. And finding the times when it's like, no, this is where I need to run. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like in the Needler fight, we ended up like doing some serious damage to the Needler, but like part of me was almost like, I would run, right? And then I was like, no, maybe at this point I wouldn't run.
Sure.
Like, not immediately.
Yeah. And there is a, I will say, in the plot point campaign, it is made very clear that when you fight the Needler, he was actually supposed to start with 2 wounds. So like he's a wild card who already has 2 wounds. So it's supposed to be a fight that is like one that you could conceivably win. Me, knowing you guys, only gave him 1 wound, and I'm so fucking glad I did because you just immediately were like stun gun and he's useless. Let's all kick him to death now.
The taser's ROP, let's be honest.
So yeah, there's that. Anything else that was difficult for you guys switching
Purple Heart,
to?
hi, you're Talkback Games now. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
I think the hardest
hardest thing to me was just letting go of the previous game and the previous character. Honestly.
Definitely.
It's really not that I don't like Adelaide, because I do. She's just very different. Rosaline was a different kind of challenge than I've ever presented for myself. Adelaide isn't really. She is in a different way, but not in the same kind of way. And I really miss Rosaline still sometimes.
Yeah.
Anything else that was difficult for you guys?
No, I think we talked about most of it.
I will say it's been very hard for me because it necessitates a very different style of prep and storytelling that has taken me a long time to switch over to. And I still feel pretty rough on it, so I'm hoping that it'll get easier and smoother feeling as the show goes on. But it's been a pretty savage transition for me. Pun intended. Bondo asks, do you think some, if not all, of the PCs will move into an off-campus apartment? I could see Calvin wanting a party house to make a name for himself, not to mention what could be hidden behind a wall someplace.
Adelaide wants a studio with no roommates.
Yeah, I think Calvin would absolutely love to do that.
Yep.
Absolutely. 100%.
Story move off campus. I mean, he's been lucky with his own room.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've sort of been using it as that anyways, right?
Yeah, right.
Because that's what we kind of want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would absolutely.
Wherever Sawyer goes, that's where Sawyer's place.
I don't know how that works monetarily in the book. I don't know if it says stuff about that. Mm-hmm. It does. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Nice.
Then yes.
But you don't have to worry about that because that doesn't happen until you're a junior.
Oh, okay. That's us. I didn't know when.
Yes, indeed. Sparky the Fallen asks, is Adelaide Blackwood related to the Blackwood Society in any way? I had to ask. It's been nagging at me for a while. So yes, as Megan started touching on earlier, when we played our home game in the Secret World, her character was Adelaide Blackwood, who came from a New England family of dark sorcery. Vampire 54, thank you very much for the tip. I will update that.
Thank you.
Vampire 54.
Bye, Mortem and Tyranum.
Bye!
Mortem and Tyranum. And then, when we played our Deadlands game, as a nod to that, I created the Blackwood Society to be the people who were after Rosaline as kind of like a fun inside joke, so she would understand it was something specifically targeted towards her. And then we brought Adelaide Blackwood into ETU as sort of a distillation of that home game character reimagined in a way. So I will say this, Adelaide Blackwood is not connected to the Blackwood Society in my game. I don't see ETU and Pine Box, and I'm sorry to disappoint any of you who were hoping for a shared universe. I don't see it happening in the same universe as Deadlands for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
The most obvious one being it's the modern world that we know, and in order to make it the Deadlands modern world, I would have to be a way more imaginative person than I actually am.
But I like to think there's a mystical connection there,
There is.
through time and space.
There is
not
absolutely
necessarily,
a connection
Yes.
of some kind, but yes. So that is that answer. Thank you, Sparky the Fallen. We're getting into the final stretch here, guys. Sparky the Fallen also asked the study group, how do you think you have evolved in your first year at ETU? Are there things you know to be true now that you never would have expected before you came? And I'm going to go ahead and get the obvious out of the way, which is supernatural shit is real and dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like freshman year, not that you can't grow in freshman year, but I don't know. I feel like we planted the seeds of growth. At least I would say that for Adelaide, as opposed to necessarily making a transition.
Sure, I mean, it is still freshman year, so that makes sense.
Right.
I think I think there's a lot of growth still to happen, but I think Sawyer has gone from sort of an assumed confidence in himself, where he's like, I think I'm pretty capable, but I've never had any way to test that.
Yeah.
To actually being like, okay, I can manage myself in difficult situations. And I think that from early on, where he was almost like kind of breaking down because of how crazy and ridiculous everything was, I think now he's like, okay, this is how things are, and in this world, I'm going to find out what's happening instead of just panicking.
Okay.
Yeah, Calvin has definitely evolved over this very short year, it seems, because at the start he was very much the doubting Thomas, and now he has no option but to believe in this because it happens every day to him, it seems like, or every other week whenever they get into something. But yeah, so he no longer denies the existence of this. He tries to, but it no longer can be a thing.
Sure.
Yeah, Ron, I mean, everything about Ron has evolved in this because of his upbringing. So pretty much every day brings something new that he didn't think would ever come up in his life. So there's always that. But especially the fact that his training and everything in Sipsu has come to be so useful in the real world was probably something that he was taught that it would be, and then when he was realized no one else knew Sipsu, when he got to college, it was probably a kind of a weird thing that he was like, okay, well, I guess I'll take point and attack this monster. But yeah, it's almost everything has been a change for him, and he, I think if you watch from the beginning when he was very much into promoting the teachings, if you could call it that, of Ron Tagoth, and then at the end going like, maybe not.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Final 15 questions. Let's try and get through these so we can get to a couple
15.
of rapid fire live questions.
Yeah.
The Jersey Driver asks, for the study group, what's the roommate situation for next year? Any of the boys wanting to room together? Is Adelaide looking for a new roommate?
Oh,
Do we have that option?
yeah, I haven't thought about that. Is that a thing?
Not for you.
Oh.
It's your hindrance.
All right, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
I forgot.
So the way I've been thinking of it is, as long as you're on campus, unless you put in for a transfer or something, that you would just have the same room and roommate next year.
Sawyer wouldn't switch his room unless it was like, cool, we're getting a cool place off campus. Like, he would keep having his own place, if he could. I mean, I could see them assigning someone to his room. But whatever.
Sure.
I think maybe Adelaide at this point would try and get a different roommate. She's not a big fan of Laurel's.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll
You like
see.
Dennis?
I like Dennis, and Ron likes Dennis. I don't think he would not want to be with
We
Dennis.
should hang out.
Okay.
But yeah.
Dennis could potentially request a transfer.
I don't think he would.
Not because he dislikes you,
No.
Anonymous asks, so Adelaide knew ahead of time that the Seekers of Danger episode was about a LARP. Did the party usually get a heads up of what each session is going to be about? No, and we already addressed this a little bit earlier at length, so if you missed that, watch the VOD and go back. We did talk about that for some time. Megan knew about that because before that episode, I was just like, is this a crazy idea? Like, is this a bad idea? And because I don't have anyone to talk to. All the people I would talk to about my ideas for a game are all sitting at this table. And sometimes I try and talk to people who work at the library with me about stuff like that, and they are so not interested. So for that, I just was like, I can't tell in a vacuum if I think this would work. So I was like, do you think this would worth trying? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool.
Also,
so that's how much she knew about it happening.
I did, and also I was like, but it would make sense that Adelaide would be the one to decide to do that, and I was like, and that gives me the opportunity to like bring costume stuff, because she would totally be like, I'm dressed, do you guys want to dress too? Yeah.
It was a great episode.
Veiled Valkyrie asks, does the group plan on attending any events on the East Coast? PAX Unplugged, perhaps. We did also talk about that earlier, so I feel like we already pretty much answered that. We would love to attend every event.
It's difficult, but we'd love to. I mean,
our
I'm from
time
the
and
East Coast, I would
resources
love
limit
to go
us.
back to
We
the
gotta
East
start
Coast
a
for things.
GoFundMe or something.
But yes, we would love to. Randy Gunslinge asks, what is each student's favorite song of all time? Of all time!
Oh man.
Rapid fire!
It's probably a Kanye West song.
Probably a Kanye West song.
I
I accept that as an answer.
Yeah.
Sweet Judy Blue Eyes.
Sweet Judy Blue Eyes.
Arabesque by Debussy.
Arabesque by Debussy.
I have no idea, so I'm just gonna go what came to my mind. Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Really?
By Cyndi Lauper?
No, by Avril Lavigne.
By Avril Lavigne.
did she do
A
a
cover.
Oh, I'd be into that. She did crush it.
Yes,
That's a
Rio
good
was
answer.
Toa47
I just want to listen to Laura Huron
asks,
now.
to all Dean of the Wildcards, What was your most favorite moment of messing with the gang via roles, story, plotline, or the mystery deck, or the mystery box? And your favorite moment when the Wildcards gang did something that shouldn't have been possible? Well, my favorite moment when they did something that shouldn't have been possible was Adelaide making that roll. I was like, well, that's it, they lost. And then she fucking made that roll, which was
That was
insane.
I thought we lost too.
That was absolutely my favorite one of those. I don't like... I do and I don't like messing with my players. I don't like messing with them in a legitimate way where I make them feel like off balance at the table. I do like messing with them by leaving breadcrumb trails or like answering them cryptically when they ask me questions. But like other than that, I mean I'm a fan of my players, so I don't want to mess with them too much.
But Gaurav gets iced.
Gaurav gets iced sometimes. Speaking of which.
No, I don't believe
Yeah, you're right. Peter Buxton asks, what was your favorite bit or recurring joke from the season?
Possibly Mellow Wolf. I guess it was only
That was
sort of a
pretty late,
recurring
though.
joke.
Probably
There's got to be an earlier
I
one.
feel like you guys liked the IT guy.
Oh, love the
Yeah.
IT guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
And
you
us
guys like
being
the
NPCs,
idea.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
like adding to it, being other NPCs in that was really fun.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
I mean, just Ron being Ron is my favorite.
Ron's
joke. I don't-
phone capabilities
Oh,
was a
yeah.
pretty
Also
like yeah.
Me striking out with women constantly for some reason kept on
Yeah,
happening.
I liked Ron always answering Calvin's phone whenever he was using Calvin's phone.
Yes,
Yes.
that was fun.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, that fun small stuff is.
I think the
is
IT
so much
guy is
cool.
my favorite.
IT guy, yeah.
That's a
Megan?
good one.
The IT guy.
I don't know. I said Barrett.
You said Barrett?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Just everything Barrett.
Barrett's great.
Most of what Barrett has become is like a bunch of
monster?
like jokes. Yeah, but like all around him are that's like his whole thing. That's like how he moves through the world, you know, in our game.
Yeah.
Toa47 also asks, Megan, how did it feel to not play a huckster and be playing with the Cursed Edge for the first time? Which I feel like you've kind of answered in separate. You answered the huckster thing and also you talked about the Cursed Edge. So I feel like we answered that already. I'm going to move on past that one.
Yep.
Unless you feel like there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, just to distill it down, I miss that, and also, yeah, I don't know, I don't fully remember what the specific question was.
Stinky curse bad.
Yeah, no, the curse is hard, but I like that it's negative. There are a few things on the curse table that I really don't like. I think that's obvious, but yeah, for the most part, I think it's fun to play with.
The psych out barrack. Hold on.
People keep mentioning Lauren. I was like, who the hell's Lauren? But now I know who you're talking about. And yes, you probably will. Toa47 asked, to the whole Wildcard gang, what was your any favorite crit fails or crit successes in the season?
I really love that we all crit failed out of the smiling demonic tutor.
Yep.
I just don't think that was so insane that it's really hard to value any other role in the same way over that one if you're like putting it on a scale. Like he's saying, everybody crit failed and then that role was insane.
It just made your success so much better because all of us crit failed out of it.
Yeah. My favorite crit fail was when we were leaving the Raven's Roost. For the second time, we went in there because Jackson told us to. And then I don't remember who failed first, but one of you did. And then the other one was like, I'm going to go help them, and started trying to lie their way out of it. And then also quit failed, and it was like, you're both stuck out here.
wait,
and busted.
First.
Wait, was that getting out of that was getting out of the party?
Getting
right?
out of the cop party was also some pretty great role failures.
Oh, yes.
Those were
That
fun.
also
when you
was
got
fun.
busted by the cops, that was actually early on. That was one of my favorite moments because it felt so college.
Yeah.
And both our characters were like crying, upset
Yes.
that we were like caught by the
Yeah,
cops.
that too. Was
And I
great.
got to play like the kind of cops that were like really leaning into the like these goddamn college kids drinking
Stupid
underage.
kids. Yeah.
That was fun. Any favorites?
No, those were the ones.
Those were all your
Yeah,
favorites?
mhm.
Oh, man, how lucky. Peter Buxton asks, what are you guys most excited about for the next season? Relationships you want to explore with other characters, stuff you want your character to do, places you want to go, etc.
I'm most excited about getting more into the meat of stuff in like the supernatural world and like it getting more dangerous in that sense, I guess, for lack of a better
Good
way.
night, Kortra.
Good night.
Cortron. Yeah. I think that stuff is going to be interesting to pursue because I think Ron will, if Ron comes back, Ron's exploration of the cult and stuff. I want to see how that continues.
I've got a haunted car, and I'm real excited about it.
I
A
think
little too excited.
it'll be exciting to see Sawyer take more of an active role in like trying to expose what's going on. Because now that he can actually pitch shows to the television station and stuff, I think that's something he's going to try and pursue more actively, and it could be fun.
Okay. Cool. Tyrannodon asks, Dean, how many hours a week do you have to devote to prep? Do you prepare a lot or make it up as you go? I don't do a lot of actual sit down and write prep work until lately the day of the show. But how much prep time do I devote to it? The entire week. The show is constantly running in the background functions in my head. It's very distracting. It gets stressful at times, but that is how I prep things. It's sort of like putting a bunch of rocks in a rock tumbler and it's just running and making that awful noise the whole time. And then at the end of the week, you're like, oh, I sure hope something came out of here that's useful. And so far, it's been working out pretty okay.
It's like that app that's always using too much power, and you're like, I can't close it though. I need it to go.
Right. I'm mining Bitcoin in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Tyrannodon also asks, Dean, do you take a lot of the ideas for ETU from real-world ghost stories? I've been running the Degrees of Horror plot point campaigns, so a lot of what I'm doing is these pre-written adventures. So I know that Preston and Ed, who developed ETU, took a lot of inspiration from real-world ghost stories. So there is a lot of that in Pine Box. For the episodes that I create, I tend to just sort of really go as out there as I can. I've had to actually kind of pull the reins back a bit because they're just freshmen and they can't handle a lot, but I look forward to kind of going a bit further as we move on in the seasons. 3 more left, guys.
We're so close!
We wish there was a million now.
Toa47 says, to the Dean, if you could make a custom edge or hindrance for ETU, what would it be and how would you hinder it to the Wildcard gang?
Attach it?
I kind of already sort of got a chance to kind of do this. I worked with Clint to make the secret edges, and when I say I worked with Clint gave me a crap load of ideas and was like, do you think these are good? And I was like, could we maybe kind of fiddle with that one a little bit? And he was like, sure, how about this? And I was like, that looks awesome. So,
It's more like he's picking paint colors for a wall.
yes, and mystery box card we will get to. We are going to do it. So I sort of already got a chance to do that. MMace134 asked, to the players, your study group characters are almost the opposite of those from the posse. Was that your intention? And I feel like we've sort of talked around this, but yes, I feel like everyone did kind of have that in their heads. They wanted to make characters that felt very different from, yes, be a peacock.
Be a peacock. Be a peacock.
Clint, if you're still out there, at ChupacabraCon, what Escape Box Games is reminding us of is we all talked about an edge like Be a Zebra called Be a Peacock. That would be the opposite of that. That's something that a character like Calvin could take.
You have to be like a junior or senior
right,
something.
That basically gives I think you would make like a roll to or something.
No, it was like when you are alone, it's essentially sort of a taunt kind of thing where you're trying to be the biggest thing in the room to attract people, because it's the opposite of what Zebra does.
Was it when you're alone you get a parry bonus?
When you're not adjacent to allies, you get a bonus to...
I think it was parry.
It was like I thought it was like it hurt them when they attacked people who weren't you.
Yeah, it was like a taunt thing. Like they got a penalty to attack someone other than you.
It's like,
but that is a thing already. Isn't
it is,
Yeah,
yes.
so that's what I was saying. It was something different than that.
But something different than that. It's cool and awesome, and a reason to use Be a Peacock.
Megan.
Sounded like you said peepcock.
MMace134 asks, to the study group, if you're comfortable, what were your inspirations and motivations for creating your character, which I feel like we talked about earlier. So thank you for the question. And that was the last question from there. So now, chat, let's take some rapid fire live questions.
So you need to make a peacock? Yes, you do.
Yes, Be a Peacock Edge. Yeah, that would be great. How does the group handle edges not covered in Savage Worlds Deluxe, but in Suede? Does it slow down the game? How does the group handle edges not covered?
For the most part, they've actually fit pretty well.
Yeah, most of the time it's fit pretty well. How did Dennis feel learning that Ron could be leaving. Dennis was just really confused. I don't think. I think he was hoping that Ron would stay.
Good answer that one.
Is there a 501c3 organization the Wildcards cast
Dom's on it.
support that
Dom's
they
gonna
like to
work on
partner
that
with
one.
us?
Yeah,
for
I'll contact you separately.
Dom will get on that.
Please email Dom.
Vampire54 says, since we did not get a session 0, was the discussion had about what roles you each fill? No, that was actually something we tried not to avoid doing. We don't fill
Actively
roles.
avoided.
Yeah, we just make interesting characters that we are excited to play.
How
How do we all meet in real life? Through saving throw, except
Yeah.
for Megan and I.
Yeah, the rest of us met through saving throw.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that we did.
We came
Me
to saving throw
too.
through Wes Otis, who we knew from
Yes.
the comic book store.
He came through. Jordan Pridgeon came through. Sean Graham.
Sean Graham, he pulled me in on Dark Sun.
And Gaurav came through with David Crennan on.
All
Some
of
of the
it
odds.
about
Yeah.
pretty much the same time.
Also, thank you very much to the tip from Truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jordan CC, do you ever design encounters specifically to play to your character's edges and hindrances? Yes, I try to. I'm not always super good about it, but every now and then I remember to give them something that specifically is like, this is a thing you can do, or this is a thing that's going to give you trouble. But most of the time, it's things
Garbage
that come
people.
up. How did you all meet? Yes, okay, we did that. Yes, you guys are $45 away from the final tier for the evening. Are there plans for more LGBT NPCs to show up? Yes, absolutely, Knight of Fultus. So one thing, and honestly, more have shown up than we have made a big deal out of pointing out. But that is one thing that we are that I am taking an active hand in trying to do, because it's a challenge for myself. As a GM who is a straight white male, I tend to approach a lot of things from my perspective, and I had an interesting conversation on Twitter with a bunch of people a while back after last year's Gen Con, actually, about this, that I thought was really illuminating, and it is important to me that here on Saving Throw we are representing different points of view and things like that, and it also stretches me as a GM and all of us at the table as storytellers. So yes, definitely something that we want to do, think outside of our own personal experience.
Any friends expressed interest in playing in this world, like Amy Vorpal?
Amy Volpaul.
I think we all, most of us here at Saving Throw enjoy the work that everyone else is doing on the other shows. So I don't have a tendency on Wildcards to bring in guests unless one of my players is missing. It is always my goal to have all of my players here at the table to continue the story forward. Thank you very much, the Purple Heart, for the
Thanks,
for the
Purple
tip.
Heart.
Yeah.
However, when they are missing, I am always happy to bring in guests. Guests are a lot of fun, and I feel like ETU is a great setting, much easier to bring guests into than the Wildcards or the Deadlands
Well,
posse.
and one thing we can tell you about Amy Vorpaul is she is very busy.
Very busy.
Yeah, I
all
don't know
the
if
time.
you know this. Yeah, Amy
Very
is
busy.
very hard
Do we
to-
have time to play home games anymore in Riptide? No, I don't. I actually tried to run a home game for some people who were new to RPGs and very quickly realized, I can't give you my best material because I'm so distracted by what's going on at
really
Saving
hard.
Throw. So I did have to stop, but I was like, I hope you guys keep going, because they were having a lot of fun, and I felt bad, but I was like, I'm sorry, I just don't have the mental space to do this. It's hard.
My home game campaign, I don't play anymore, but I'm showing up as a special guest as the villain in a future one. But besides that, no.
We try.
very difficult.
Ever just wish to eat more tacos? I love tacos.
All the time.
Sometimes tacos just sound really good.
All the time.
Taco trucks in LA are amazing.
They're
The
pretty
best.
good. JCC, would you ever be a PC in a session and have someone else GM for a session? Of Wildcards? It's my baby.
He doesn't trust
I would.
us.
It's not that I don't trust them. It's just it would feel weird handing it
Well, also it's the way you GM, like you talked about. You like to play with secrets. It would be hard.
yeah, I'd have to hand off something of importance to someone else, and that would be hard.
That's not how I took it. I thought it was non-wild cards. It was a one-off.
No, I think they're talking about being a PC. I've played in other people's games on the channel.
But
and
not
yeah,
with this
doing it.
crew exactly, is what I'm saying.
Not with this crew exactly.
Shifting it over.
That would be fun. I would love to
That'd
do
be
that.
cool, yeah.
I would actually love to see every one of these guys run a Wildcards game.
I think it would all pale in comparison.
Would you
because you're
like
very good
to
at running
do-
wild cards?
Would you like to do a one-shot where one of the players
That's the same
DMs
question.
and you play as a PC in the ETU universe? So that's a more specific.
That is more specific.
I would have a hard time with that.
I would also have a hard time because, like he said, we can't look at a lot of the
Yeah,
book,
that would be
so
hard.
we'd have to make it elsewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
It'd be tough.
There are big gaps in our understanding of ETU because, in the same way with Deadlands, we don't read the lore. We want to we want to experience
bread
it
coming.
in firsthand.
Wait. So we have Toast Richard Bottles. Richard
Right.
Bottles. Vampire 54 bought us a shot in the voice of the Wraith. Well, the West is always ready to kill you again. Raise them up and chug!
Oh, here.
Truth. bought us a shot. Why am I being suppressed? Trust but verify. Yes. Raise them up and chug.
Cheers.
And the Purple Harp for 60 seconds. Mysterium being a peacock, and for the awesomeness that is the Wildcards crew. Raise them up and
thank
chug.
you. Cheers.
Oh, and Kaga.
Thank you.
Kaga, thank you very much for the tip. That puts us at our final reward tier. Woo! Savage 60 seconds.
Savage 60 seconds.
Nice.
Dope.
That's
Thank
gonna
you
be
guys
fun.
for unlocking that. We're going to get to work on that.
Fractured Avatar.
I think it's gonna be fun.
asks,
Thank you guys.
Was Ron generally attracted to Stacy, or was he pressured into dating her? I don't know who Ron is.
Who does wrong?
Come on, answer it. It's going through.
Yeah, you got
Yes. Ron was, I would say Ron was being more nice than anything. She was definitely pressuring him, and he wanted to be nice to her. And she was attractive, for sure, no question, but he more than that, he just wanted to be nice and see what was what. And look what he got for that.
To DJ Who and BSB Care, thank you for thanking us. We hope you enjoy what we
Thank
do,
you.
and we're glad if you do. Vampire54 says the players could now run a one-shot of Deadlands
Oh,
if they know
sure.
more now. There's still a lot they don't know.
I could run a Doomtown one shot.
You could run a Doomtown one-shot.
that'd be
Well, have
fun.
you guys read the lore?
No, not
Read the
No.
I've
goddamn
read the stuff
lore.
that comes in the cards.
If any
Oh,
of
wait,
you,
I have read some.
If-
I think Sloan is like the greatest idea
If-
in the friggin' world.
If any of you love the world of Deadlands, go to Pinebox Entertainment's website and read the lore for Doomtown. It is great, and it would very easily fit into your Deadlands games.
Yeah.
Was Stacy's house the same as the Nazi house from the 80s? No, but that's a great idea, and I wish that I had thought of
Oh,
that.
that would have been wild.
I tweeted about this, but what would it take if someone wanted to run a one-shot for all of you? Donations to the Patreon, perhaps? I honestly don't know. That is something to give Dom a whisper about. He's all business bones here at the table, so that's
we call him that so often.
that's what we call him, old business
business
bones.
bones.
I think I'm calling him that because I saw
Yeah,
Ronald P.P.
Tagathi
Tagathi Bones there.
Oh, that's great.
Old
I could probably run a one shot of the X-Files.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah. I would
Buffy.
love to play
Do
that.
it. Oh,
That'd be
yeah?
so cool.
I've
Do
never
it right
seen
now.
the X-Files, and I feel like now Sawyer would
But
watch
you've seen
the
one
X-Files
episode, and you know
and be
everything.
like, oh, I like these now.
Yeah.
But when he was younger, he's like, that sounds like bullshit.
I have something to give you if you have never seen the X-Files.
I believe
There's a knife in the gut.
I believe Pinebox Entertainment's their site, but Gamora Gazette is where they have all of their
Yeah,
lore for
it's like a
Doomtown.
separate-
So
yeah.
do check it out. I love you guys. I would love you guys to do a Buffy the Vampire Slayer game one shot.
We
We've
did.
done it on the channel before.
We have.
It wasn't us.
We probably won't do it because honestly, it would just be ETU, except one person would be a Slayer. Which what's the fun in that?
Blythe and Mac ran the game.
There it
and
is.
was,
Yeah, it's on our YouTube.
Yeah, it's in the way back.
Go check it out.
All right, I think that's a lot of the questions that have come up. So you guys come up with a mystery box card right now as a group, and I will monitor this for more questions.
Okay.
I had an idea for one that, like, essentially would make your edge a negative, like one of your edges a negative for the rest of the session.
Just for one of us?
Yeah, just for one.
Which edge?
So like
how
a
do- how
random
do we-
player would have, like what edge?
I don't know.
Like
I don't know.
is-
It could either be the like edges that were made specifically for us, since those are so specific to the characters, or it could be like of your choice. I don't know. It's just a thought of essentially taking something that's a plus and flipping it. The idea to me in the like story, the story idea of that seems interesting to me. The idea of like, this is a strength of mine, why is it not working? Seems kind of cool. But
Clint has run Savage Buffy before. You know what? I imagine Savage Worlds handled Buffy the Vampire Slayer really well. Because as you all know at this point, I'm pretty sure it could handle most things really well.
Maybe it could be an edge where like a teacher like picks a grudge against somebody or something like that.
There's stuff like that already in the system. And,
Really?
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of like, and in some of your exam roll results that you guys like sort of forget about or like don't have time to like play. So I feel like that would be harder to bring into the system. Suggestion for JCC: have you thought about bringing in a variation of the Benny system by giving the table a reroll for something absolutely spectacular like Megan's roll? I actually used to do that in Deadlands. If they just kept acing over and over again on something, I would give them a Benny. I stopped because these guys have so many resources.
Oh.
They do so well in this game that like I feel like
I got an idea.
when does season 2 start? Right now it is scheduled for June 21st.
What if
longest day.
What if when we pull this mystery box thing, all extra credit, the cost of extra credit is doubled. You have to spend 2 to reroll 1 die. Or whatever roll you're doing. So it makes things harder. Or, I guess, last time we did this, we had a good and a bad.
Right, yeah, I was thinking
So
like
what is the good of this? Could be like, we all get 2 rerolls each or something.
Maybe it could be the sort of thing where, like, the thing could set it up so that if you reroll, you have to use the worst.
Call it feast or famine.
Oh, will there be any chickens in the mist? Probably not, because I don't want to kill them yet. Although at ChupacabraCon, someone mentioned doing that after they graduate, which might be fun. And then Ducky Poo says, I think it would be funny to have a character lose object permanence, but it would also be pretty harsh. I don't even know how that would play at the table. I imagine it would become that episode about the time that one person lost object permanence instead of whatever else it was about.
That would take over the whole story for sure.
It's a well-known fact that Duff Bullet is a timeless, universe-spanning entity immune to death, reboots, and retcons. Who is he in the ETU world? I guess that's for me to know and you to find out. What are we doing now on Fridays, now in the hiatus?
We're going to go see a lot of movies.
What are we doing? We're going to enjoy our Friday nights for a little
We're
bit.
going to go see Godzilla.
Maybe play Doomtown?
Yeah, we
can
encourage
go see
you guys to go see all the great summer blockbusters that are coming out. Trade 2 extra credit for 1 Benny.
That's not bad.
Oh, that's a good
So
idea.
is that the good side, or is that what the box does no matter what?
I think that's what it does no matter what.
I feel like it could be like a one-time shop thing where you can take the extra credit you have and cash them in for bennies, right?
Yeah.
And
I would take that trade.
NRPG Fuel asks,
2 extra
JCC,
credit
did y'all stop doing no resource encounters or zones? Yes. Originally, I did red zones because there were too many resources at the
they
table.
were a necessity.
It was insane. Everyone had like 30-something pieces of cursed Spanish gold. Now, I have gotten a lot better at winnowing that stuff back. They still have resources that I feel like are still a little bit more than if I was awarding bennies, but not so much that it's breaking the game, so I don't feel the need to do red zones anymore. However, I believe the red zone card is still in the mystery box.
A big part of that is because you guys were way more engaged and interested in the show than we expected from a pretty early point.
Yes,
which is great.
Emperor Riptide, how do you guys choose classes? Were they in the book? No, they're not in the book. We looked at the UT course selection basically and chose classes from there.
We put together real course schedules.
Yes,
So
we found a website that put it together. Will you be doing Red Necromancer? Maybe, but I don't know at that point. That one's a little bit later on. Prickly Tall Stag and the Danger Seekers Common Pairs? No, Ducky
Not
Poo,
this
because there is not as much of a need to have that sort of pressure release. Deadlands was more grim and relentless, and ETU has more time and space and energy to explore the lighthearted and the heavy, so we don't need it in the same way. We'll probably come back to them
Also,
eventually.
the name of that show is different now, so I don't know.
That's true. Go LARPing in real life. Try Twin Mask.
Is that
Maybe we will.
Oh, maybe.
Kaga, and you send mystery box suggestions to me on the Discord. That would be great. JCC, the rerolls from today go to unlocks or next session?
You could, maybe we could make
Next session. They'll go to next session.
We could make a card where the next critical failure is a automatic success.
There might be one like that in the box. We're going long on the Bonfire chat as well? No, because joke's on you guys. We never told you what time this was supposed to end. All right. So did you guys decide on a card you wanted? You want to spend... You want to draw the card and then immediately have the option to spend 2 points of extra credit for a Benny?
I like that. I think that's
pretty
really
simple
good.
and clean, I think.
Okay.
It's like a Benny economy kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because Bennies are definitely better than
Oh yeah,
the
there's no
extra
question about
credit.
that. Yeah.
All right.
Benny economy.
But if you don't have extra credit, then you're not going to get
also
a Benny.
true,
Yeah.
I guess.
Right, which is, and that's
The
fine.
downside.
So yeah, that is the mystery box card.
Thanks,
We
Glenn.
remembered to do it, and thanks to your suggestions for that, and also for reminding us to do it. If no one else has any last minute questions, then I guess we should wrap it up.
No, I love extra credit. Please give me extra credit.
Benny
Bennies can just-
Benny
He doesn't
Hanna?
deserve any. He hasn't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Sweet. Benny
JCC,
Hanna.
do you have any interest in a write-up of the scenario I told you about at Genghis Khan? I mean, I'm always interested to hear things from... So, where it becomes difficult is... I'm not always in control of where my subconscious pulls ideas from. So I try and limit the things that I read that people have created for the show because I don't want anyone to think that I stole their idea and like didn't attribute it to them. So much in the same way, and I'm not equating myself to like Stephen King, but like Stephen King like and other authors don't accept like manuscripts from people because it's like, hey, will you read this thing and tell me what you think? Because they're terrified that someone's gonna try and like sue them for stealing their idea, which is not at all what I think any of you guys are gonna do. But I, for like my own intellectual purity, I kind of try and stay away from that kind of stuff. Having said all of that, ETU Circat, message me on Discord or on Slack, and yeah, let's talk about it.
That big saving for a moment.
Discord.
No, not
Message
Slack.
on my Discord,
There's no way you'll
I'm sorry, not Slack. I meant Twitch.
Nope,
Discord.
He meant Twitter. He meant Twitter.
No, I meant Twitch.
Oh, okay.
You can wish me on Twitch or Twitter.
I don't know what you're
You have a question?
I did earlier. I think it's really interesting, especially now that we have two longer shows to compare it to.
Okay, final question.
Our interactions as players and as people between the two different casts of characters we've had. Do you think those things cross over? Because I feel like coming into this into ETU, there's still some dynamics that maybe are there in a different way that were there from the previous game.
Yeah.
And so my thought process is that's transferring with us as people and our personal interactions.
I think, weirdly enough, that it transfers a lot by where we're sitting a little bit.
Yeah, no, it definitely
I
there's an effect
really,
on that.
really wanted to change your seats
Yeah,
before
I remember
this.
you said that. And I kind of wanted it too, but like it's weird to think that because we did it, like it still kind of transfers that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How weird is
Yeah,
that?
it does.
Eminem has my bike. Thank you for the sub.
Hey,
I hope you get your bike.
We'll look for it.
Sorry, the brave little
Wow.
Clinster. Sorry about that.
We gotcha.
Yeah, so do you guys think we should switch up seating arrangement for
I'm
next season?
game just to
try
try
it,
it.
yeah.
Let's do
I'm
it.
down. That being said, I sit here always.
Yeah,
Yeah, I sit
every
here always.
show.
I like this seat.
Well,
all
then
the
now I'm
time.
committed to messing with
so
you
we just
guys.
trade them-
don't
just
care.
trade them too.
We hope to see you at Gen Con as well, Night of Foltus. We absolutely will be there. And we are 99% sure that we're doing a Wildcards live show at
We have been
Gen
told
Con.
We are.
But it has not.
not been
We don't know
scheduled.
what the time slot for it is
Nope.
yet. We have been cleared for it, but we don't know when it's happening. So once we do, we will definitely let everyone know. Thank you guys for hanging out for this and for submitting all of those questions, and for asking the questions here and just being the awesome people that you are and unlocking all this stuff. You guys are the best alumni association that any university, fictional or otherwise, could hope to have.
For real.
Yeah, that's true.
So how many total questions were there? There were 118 submitted questions, but some of those questions were nested. So total questions, I would guess, were probably close to like 140. Maybe not that many, like 130.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching this first season of ETU. Thank you to those of you who followed us over from our Deadlands campaign and gave a completely new story with completely new characters a shot. And thank you to those of you who didn't even know about our Deadlands campaign or didn't care about it or weren't interested but came and watched our ETU campaign. We're happy to have you here as well. We just enjoy doing this. And as long as you guys continue to enjoy doing it too, I don't see any reason for us to stop doing it. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
And it's been mentioned in chat, but if you have other questions, like if you want to engage with us or ask things, like our Discord is just always there and we pop in and talk about stuff and have questions and stuff. Like it's a great way to get in contact with all of
And
us.
I
We
do-
love talking with everyone.
I do too. I sometimes have a tendency to get overwhelmed with real life responsibilities, and I tend to like step away from answering questions if I'm getting them on Twitter or something, because I'm like, I don't know. And then, but one day, like I'll sit down, I'll be like, all right, it's time to go through all my notifications and like get back to people. So I really do enjoy engaging. I just have social anxiety.
Cool.
Is there a way you want them to engage with us on our characters on Twitter?
I think engage with their character. So it's different than Deadlands. Their character accounts for ETU are just their character's Twitter account. So engage with them as you would a person.
Someone made up the whole thing about like me selling Addie's notes on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, that would absolutely fucking happen. That's great. That's a great idea. I love it. So please, stuff like that is amazing.
Yeah, we're totally cool.
Tweet at us, do whatever. Like, there's no wrong way to do it.
We just like having fun.
Know that no one from Ron's cult would message him. So if you're like,
Right.
hey, I'm from a cult too, Ron would immediately know that was a lie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess keep it in universe.
No
Yeah.
rhetoric notes.
I don't know. All right. So I think that's it, guys. It is 12:15 here. We've been doing this for 4 hours now. So
We did start late.
It's been a good
that's
time.
true. We did get a late start due to technology. That's out of my hands.
No, not you. No, that's not what I meant.
Hey.
I meant because technology, not because of you.
Technology.
Right. I was.
Get him.
Yes, we're all on the
Get
same
him in the
page.
face with that.
Hooray!
Huh?
Oh, okay. This is.
We'll see you guys next season, June 21st.